Under a vast, misty sky, a full moon casts its pale light over a desolate, jagged mountain range. Its peaks shrouded in an ethereal fog. Suddenly, a surge of white energy erupts, as Mukyang moves with blinding speed. His form a mere blur of motion, leaving trails of pure force in his wake. He lands with an explosive impact, a brilliant white aura flaring out as the ground shatters beneath him. Standing amidst the dust and debris, Mukyang surveys the fallen figure surrounding him, his power undeniable. Suddenly, an insane amount of chi explodes from him, engulfing him in a blinding blue light. His entire body becomes a conduit of raw, crackling energy, leaving onlookers stunned and asking, what the hell is this? This man. The question hangs in the air, has he just shattered the boundaries of the demonic realm, hitting the absolute pinnacle of martial arts? The power surge is so intense, someone can only gasp out, 44. Number 2044. A voice screams, desperate to be heard, can you not hear me, number 2044? But then, we cut to a completely different scene, Young-woo, deep in his martial arts training. As Gong Sun-soo walks up, warning him, you're training again. If you push yourself too much, you'll only ruin your body. Holding a scroll, Gong Sun-soo then drops a bombshell, well, in any case. I have a new mission for you. He clutches the scroll, its chilling directive burning into his mind, your goal is to kill him without leaving any trace behind. This isn't just a mission, it's an absolute erasure. But far away, within the ancient, imposing walls of a hidden estate, the great sect leader, Gong Sun-soo, lays down the law to a kneeling subordinate, his words cutting through the silence. The subordinate, utterly humbled, begs for mercy, swearing absolute loyalty to the mission. Gong Sun-soo, the legendary heavenly sword spirit, watches from his desk, a calculating glint in his eyes, taking in the subordinate's desperate promises. He's heard it all before. He calls out the subordinate, reminding him of past failures, then challenges his current sincerity. The leader's declaration hits hard, even if it costs me everything, he vows, I will pay to get you back. A shocking display of loyalty and power. Body, the kneeling warrior, finally looks up, his face a mask of conflicted emotion, grappling with the impossible task ahead. He cries out, desperately pleading with his lord to reconsider, begging for any other mission, anything but this. His face twists in pure agony, before he finally gives in, a choked got it, escaping his lips. A chilling decree rings out, demanding an insolent fool be put in their place, as a subordinate's terrified eye desperately pleads for mercy from their lord. Suddenly, a flurry of brutal impacts, the punishment begins, tearing a desperate scream from the victim. One last, vicious strike sends a crimson spray across the scene. As the full moon casts its ethereal glow, a quiet, traditional estate stands bathed in its light. Inside, Gong Sun-soo looms over the kneeling concubine, a chilling chuckle rumbling from his throat. The concubine, her face a mask of defiance despite the agony, challenges him, asking if he actually thinks she'd be jealous of a mere concubine. Gong Sun-soo's face darkens as the concubine, still pushing her luck, dares to question his judgment, hoping his reputation won't be tarnished, which only earns her a cutting remark about her insolence. With a chilling glint in his eye, Gong Sun-soo coldly declares the captive will soon prove their worth, revealing his ruthless plan to expand his father's power. Gong Sun-soo, with a chillingly calm demeanor, laid down the law, if you're not important, your arrogance has a hard limit. But then, a sudden shift, his eyes snapped wide, a rare moment of shock on his face. And there he was, the source of the shock, a shadowy, cloaked figure, red eyes burning like embers, a silent, deadly presence with a sword at the ready. The surprise vanished, replaced by pure rage, as Gong Sun-soo roared, demanding to know just who the hell this was. Then, a sickening CHK and AK ripped through the air, as blood exploded onto the polished wood. Meanwhile, the action moved to the formidable headquarters of the Black Rose sect. Inside, Gong Sun-soo, now composed, coolly interrogated the cloaked figure, number 2044, demanding to know why he'd gone straight for the kill. With those burning red eyes, number 2044 delivered a chillingly logical response, why waste effort on mercy for someone he'd just have to kill later anyway? Impressed by the ruthless efficiency, Gong Sun-soo gave his approval, telling number 2044 to rest and await further orders, receiving a respectful, thank you, sir, in return. The night wind howls, a silent prelude over the ancient rooftops of a sleeping town. A haunting memory flickers, a young boy once walked with adults through vibrant streets. As Mukyang's gaze drops, a low, contemplative hum escaping his lips. He remembers his brutal youth, snatched by the demonic cult and forged into a weapon through relentless martial arts training. Initially, pure terror gripped him, but now, he chillingly admits, he's simply used to it. Suddenly, a voice shatters the stillness, a chilling demand to know his identity, an order to step into the light. Then, Mukyang's eyes blaze with a ferocious red light, a raw surge of power exploding outwards. The hidden figures gasp, demanding to know how long he's been onto them. But he cuts them off, demanding their purpose, recognizing them as assassins, and declaring it's time to get straight to the point. Even for elite assassins, he can't fathom how they were chosen by the Black Dragon's forces. He's about to teach them a brutal lesson, because in his world, it's all about the survival of the fittest, only the strong survive. He throws their own philosophy back at them, daring them to confirm their conviction. The assassins, a grim assembly, are given a chilling warning to prepare themselves, their faces etched with aggressive determination. A chilling smirk plays on Mukyang's lips as he taunts them, asking if they've somehow forgotten their connection to him. Meanwhile, Han Jung-gil stands with a stern, contemplative expression, his mind clearly burdened. He voices his doubt, stating the target isn't an assassin, which immediately makes body demand clarification. Back in the confrontation, Mukyang unleashes a blinding, powerful strike, his movements a blur of pure force. This isn't arrogance, it's a calculated, devastating show of strength. He plunges into the fray, engaging the surrounding assassins, a whirlwind of unstoppable motion against their coordinated assault. As the battle rages, his eye flares with an ominous, blood-red light, a terrifying sign of his unleashed power. He unleashes a devastating, sweeping attack, the sheer force of his movement creating a visible shockwave that rips through the air. Meanwhile, in a different location, the elder martial artist observes, remarking that since the young man possesses considerable experience in demonic martial arts, he's able to learn quickly, and that he himself will be the one to teach him. Back in the fray, his eyes glow with a fierce, purple light as he executes a rapid, agile maneuver, a blur of motion against his opponents. The elder continues his assessment, stating that possessing talent is the most important thing, as his companion listens intently. However, he adds, the real problem is that the young man is one of the assassins, a stark realization punctuated by a splash of blood. Amidst the swirling dust and debris, he continues his relentless assault, a whirlwind of pure motion. His long, black hair streams behind him as he completes another powerful, sweeping maneuver, leaving his foes absolutely no room to breathe. Back with the observers, the elder sighs, asking his companion if the young man had been hiding his true identity all along. Mid-action, he turns his head slightly, his expression calm as he replies, "No, I was never hiding it." Han Jung-gil presses Mukyang, demanding answers, but Mukyang, ever the enigma, coolly brushes him off, declaring he won't chase what's beyond his grasp. But Han Jung-gil isn't letting up, demanding to know how long Mukyang plans to keep his secrets, throwing the demonic realm back into the conversation. Mukyang starts to leave, but Han Jung-gil drops a bombshell, revealing the demonic realm is the path to heavenly martial arts, pleading with him to just give it a shot. Then, Mukyang drops the ultimate truth bomb, his real name is Mukhan, and he was once the infamous number 2044. Han Jung-gil instantly calls him out for hiding, but Mukyang just coolly reminds him that number 2044 isn't his name anymore. He just keeps on walking. One last look back, and then the name that echoes through the martial world is finally revealed, Mukyang. Beneath an endless, clear sky, a training ground stood silent. Where rows of wooden dummies once waited as silent challengers. Now just splintered wreckage strewn across the ground. Mukyang, staring down the shattered remnants, couldn't help but question the point of it all, demanding, seriously, what is even the point of this? How am I supposed to get stronger with this kind of training? His mind raced, focusing on the core of true power, the real secret is the key flowing from your body to your blade, right? A burning hunger for ultimate knowledge driving his intense declaration, I need to know everything. I must master every single aspect of martial arts. Mukyang, a lone figure, treks across a desolate, rocky path, his presence a stark contrast to the emptiness around him. But far above, from a towering cliff, a powerful presence watches. A figure in a striking red cape, accompanied by a silent attendant, surveys the world with an intense gaze. A commanding voice breaks the stillness, inquiring if the distant figure is Mukyang, and the attendant immediately affirms it. A subtle shift in his expression betrays his thoughts, as he struggles to reconcile the incredible reports with the reality before him. He reflects on Mukyang's raw talent, forecasting a demanding period ahead for his subordinate, who can only concur. The scene shifts to the formidable Heavenly Wolf sect, its majestic entrance exuding an aura of immense power. Gong Sun Su, the red-caped leader, now holds court, extending a welcome to those gathered and declaring his identity as the lone wanderer and lord of the Chio Young. A gathering of martial artists stands before him, one of them vividly recalling a past trauma, the brutal loss of his right arm. With a commanding presence, Gong Sun Su then turns to the assembled warriors, announcing their summons for a mission of paramount importance. The martial world was buzzing. Everyone was talking about this new, mysterious group, the Corrupted Blood Sect. And Han Jung-gil confirmed it. These guys were the descendants of an ancient, violent sect, now back to cause absolute mayhem. He laid out the grim truth to the gathered warriors. His voice was firm as he gave the order, they had to find these shadowy figures, no matter what. The mission was clear, the stakes were high. Mukyang watched the distant light, a strange feeling washing over him, like the calm before a storm. Soon after, a new group of warriors assembled, and someone wisely suggested they all get to know each other, since they were now a team. First up was Oak Ryan, a shadow assassin, cool and collected, who then introduced her partner, Huan Su. Then came Ma Shik, proudly declaring his allegiance to the Silent Sword, and right after him, Jin Chun, from the very same elite squad. And then, the moment everyone was waiting for, Mukyang stepped up, revealing he was from the legendary Black Assassins. That name hit like a shockwave. Body's eyes widened, realizing Mukyang was from the demonic faction's most elite assassins. The Corrupted Blood Sect mission was on, a high-stakes assignment for the entire martial world. As they hit the road, one of the martial artists snapped, "Shut up. If that's true, you're a black assassin. Go back to your own faction." But Ma Shik, looking hyped, just grinned, "Dude, you seriously want to throw down?" Mukyang, unfazed, just turned his head and cut straight to the chase, no time to waste. "Let's move." The squad kept moving, but another warrior couldn't help but ask, why is he acting like the boss? The wild path just kept going. Meanwhile, Han Jong-gil laid down the law to his crew, "Stay sharp. This whole area's rigged with traps around this." The winding trail kept going, full of hidden dangers. Suddenly, a martial artist gasped, "What's that?" Another, totally freaked, yelled, "Watch out." Suddenly, the barrier explodes inward, unleashing a horde of terrifying undead. One figure watches the chaos unfold, a stunned, barely audible. But before they can even react, a lightning-fast blade already cleaves through the first monster. Mukyang is already there, sword drawn, a defiant TCH, his only response to the threat. Han Jong-gil identifies them as Blood Eyes Sect Undead, a chilling thought, did we fail our mission already? But Mukyang, facing down the entire horde, shrugs it off, nope, not yet. Then, with a burst of blue energy, he charges, his sword a deadly streak. Han Jong-gil analyzes the fight, realizing these undead are at least master rank guards, but quickly strategizes, we just need to buy some time. We won't have any problems. Mukyang stands victorious over the defeated foes, as Han Jong-gil dryly comments on his little overconfident attitude, remembering his own order. Mukyang absolutely tears through the undead horde, a whirlwind of pure power. Every single hit is a bone-shattering explosion, sending those monstrous creatures flying. Shum. But deep within a shadowy, candlelit chamber, a sinister figure in black watches, his eyes burning with an evil red glow. He calmly declares that invaders are at the western border, yet dismisses his own undead as weak, even the fresh ones. Talk about cold. Meanwhile, Han Jong-gil is seriously struggling, realizing these undead are way tougher than he ever imagined. His eyes lock onto the young warrior, a burning question on his lips, who is that kid? He can't believe it, wondering if Mukyang is seriously fighting these insane monsters without even breaking a sweat. Mukyang stands victorious, his glowing blade a beacon of his overwhelming power, surrounded by the utterly annihilated undead. His dark eyes blaze with an unyielding focus, showing zero signs of fatigue or struggle. This guy is built different. Two soldiers are on high alert, one shouting that more enemies are pouring in. While his comrade, utterly stunned, demands to know what in the world is happening. Then, out of nowhere, a terrifying, cloaked figure with blazing red eyes bursts into existence under the full moon, unleashing a chilling, demonic roar. Meanwhile, a powerful female voice, belonging to the Scarlet Demon leader, booms with absolute authority, commanding her legions of darkness to awaken. With a chillingly calm gesture of her hand, she promises eternal rest to all who heed her call. The demonic commander, now fully visible with a terrifying aura and burning red eyes, roars again, ready to unleash hell. Then, with an explosive surge of dark energy, he unleashes a cataclysmic eruption of demonic flames from his hand, a pure wave of destructive power. The soldier can only recoil in absolute horror, completely stunned by the sheer, devastating power unleashed. His comrade, equally terrified, clutches his head in utter disbelief, as the monstrous power threatens to consume everything. The demonic tide was surging, but a dark-clad warrior was already on the move, his ally right there, both ready for whatever horror awaited them. A sharp thwack signaled their arrival, and the chilling truth hit them. The undead they'd crushed before were now supercharged, transformed into the terrifying, scarlet demons. The landscape itself was a twisted nightmare of rock and shadow, but they pushed on, straight into the heart of the darkness. Then, a fiery-haired woman with a wicked smirk appeared, her voice dripping with taunting confidence, daring them to be strong enough for the coming fight. No time for talk. Mukyang's blade was out in a blur, ready to carve a path through the enemy. His gaze was locked, unwavering, as the fight exploded around him. Then the shadowy, demon-infused hordes attacked from every angle, but the heroes met them with brutal, precise strikes, turning the tide of chaos. But then, a colossal, white-haired, bearded titan erupted into existence, crackling with a terrifying purple aura, his thunderous roar shaking the very ground, Gong Sunesoo. Mukyang's jaw dropped, a chilling realization hitting him like a freight train. A heavenly demon was summoning his old master. Mukyang, ever the strategist, offloads the illusionary threat of the fallen warrior and its shaman. Leaving his ally stunned, but he's already moving, no time for hesitation, he's going straight for the enemy's main forces. But as he bolts, Huan Su and Jin Chun shout after him, trying to stop him. He's gone, blazing through the trees, knowing he absolutely cannot fall for their trap. He's piecing it together, a trap is waiting, but have they already hit the main forces? The main forces have to be close, backing up their hideout. He slams to a halt, dust flying. If they've got a powerful shaman and a trap, then this means. His eyes snap open with the answer, that's why they're so cocky about their hideout. All this unrest at the border. It's all connected. Mukyang was in the thick of it, a whirlwind of motion against countless foes, but even he knew this wasn't a fight he could win alone. He scaled the heights, surveying the horde below, the sheer numbers making him realize he couldn't just take them all on headfirst. But then, a shocker. His eyes snapped wide, a look of pure disbelief flashing across his features. Out of nowhere, a monstrous, shadowy golem, a titan of rock and pure menace, burst forth with an earth-shattering roar, announcing its arrival. Too fast to dodge, the behemoth slammed its foot down with brutal force, crushing Mukyang with a sickening urga of impact. But you can't keep a good hero down. Mukyang's eyes flared with pure rage, a defiant roar tearing from his throat as he refused to yield. He stood tall, staring down the monstrous foe, and challenged it directly, "Are you a demon from the demonic faction?" The sheer size of the golem was insane, its foot alone a mountain compared to his hand. But Mukyang wasn't backing down. He laid down the gauntlet, declaring, "In any case, I welcome you for making my way over to the Corrupted Blood sect." Suddenly, the vice leader of the Corrupted Blood sect, Saw Mayom, makes his grand entrance. With two terrifying undead in hand, his eyes burning crimson, he chillingly announces his plan to create an even more powerful army of the dead. The demonic commander, vice leader of the Corrupted Blood sect, lays down the law. He then throws a challenge, demanding to know if they're about to betray someone else. The commander presses on, asking if they're trying to seize control of the entire demonic faction. With a piercing stare, he drops the bomb, he's got a completely different agenda. The Corrupted Blood sect, a major player in the demonic faction, got absolutely rocked, and it took them forever to bounce back. But just as they were getting back on their feet, the other factions were already powering up again. Mukyang, seeing the writing on the wall, knew he had to move fast and get this intel out now. A shadow of concern falls over him, his gaze sharp and intense. He asserts, his voice cutting through the silence, "There's no escape. I've already tainted this entire area with my deadly poisonous chi." He muses, a hint of challenge in his tone, just how long the Corrupted Blood sect can hold out in that wretched cave. Spotting the last few survivors, he taunts, "Still kicking, Corrupted Blood sect. Let's see if you've got any fight left in you." Leaving the cave behind, a name flickers in his mind, and he wonders, wait, what was that guy's name again? From the shadows, a sect member whispers, "Did he just say Mukyang?" Hearing his name, Mukyang's mind snaps to attention, a chilling realization dawning, no way, he didn't do it on his own, did he? A massive armored guard at the cave entrance shouts in alarm, "What in the world is happening?" A terrifying red aura erupts from the cave, and a desperate cry echoes, "It's poison chi. Get back." Surrounded by crackling blue energy and flying debris, Mukyang is pushed to his limits, questioning if this is the ultimate end of his relentless training. With a powerful whoosh, he closes his eyes, realizing there's no time for regrets, only action. His ripped physique on full display, he locks his gaze forward, obsessed with one burning question, how can he ascend, how can he become even stronger? As blue energy still pulses around him, standing victorious over his defeated enemies, he feels this battle drawing to a close, but craves more challenge, more excitement. But just as he seeks more, a new, imposing figure bursts onto the scene, dark-skinned with fierce white markings and battle-ready armor, offering a sinister smile and a chilling welcome to the Dead Man's Road. A slow exhale escapes him, his face hardening as he tightens his grip on his blade. His blood-stained hand clenches the hilt, the blade still smoking, ready for the next fight. Behind the new, menacing leader, an entire army of armored warriors stands poised, their sheer numbers an overwhelming force. Mukyang's gaze drops, his resolve turning to steel, fueled by an intense desire to truly experience the path of an evildoer. Mukyang's mind is a whirlwind of power, his eyes shut tight as he delves deeper into his martial arts. Sitting high above the world, he can't help but wonder, is there truly no limit to the blade? His grip tightens on his sword, the burning question echoing in his mind, how can such feats be achieved, and does true mastery demand a complete fusion of soul and steel? He remembers legends of a martial master who could wipe out armies with one strike, a power he once deemed utterly unattainable. But the truth, he realizes, is far more brutal, just cut down everything. A blinding blue energy erupts around him as he locks in, his entire being pouring into the edge of his sword. Suddenly, a mysterious figure with striking golden facial markings emerges, a smirk playing on his lips as he watches Mukyang. You actually think you stand a chance? Impressive. Gong's Sun Su, the enigmatic leader, gestures with his hand, declaring that even the brightest hope can be warped into the deepest despair. His eyes gleam with a sinister intent, as he challenges Mukyang to let him reveal this chilling reality. A chilling, metallic whisper slices the silence, as a deadly blade is unsheathed with lightning speed. Then, a chilling question cuts through the tension, have you heard about the Black Assassins? Their shadowy presence is almost palpable. Flashback to years ago, when they were infamous for their absolutely brutal training regimens. Every single grueling trial was designed to forge the ultimate assassin, a peerless master of martial arts. These elite, shadowy warriors, often linked to the terrifying main demonic cult, were none other than the Black Assassins themselves. And for some, like him, their very identity was stripped away, replaced by a cold, hard number, 2044. But only after surviving countless, brutal trials and tribulations, were they finally allowed to earn and claim a name of their own. This was the ultimate right of the strongest, an ironclad, unchangeable law that ruled the very darkness they lived in. A blinding flash of raw power, like pure lightning tearing through the sky. Suddenly, a blinding flash of white light explodes, followed by a devastating impact that sends black particles flying everywhere. In the heart of the chaos, shadowy figures are absolutely shredded, their bodies dissolving into blurs of motion and sprays of blood. Mukyang's face, splattered with blood, is a pure mask of cold, unyielding intensity. A faint, almost chilling, scent of something dark hangs heavy around him. It's the very essence of dark ink, a power he commands with absolute, deadly precision. His gaze is locked, unwavering, the blood on his cheek a stark testament to the brutal efficiency of his art. With an absolutely chilling calm, he declares, "My name is Mukyang." Nearby, an old man with glowing eyes is absolutely stunned, muttering, "I can't believe this. There's no trace of the demonic cult's killing power here." Mukyang then turns to him, a dark, menacing aura swirling around his sword. "I hope you don't actually think you can get away with this, old man. Your companion is already dead." Standing over his defeated foe, Mukyang's voice rings out with a chilling command. As he declares his ultimate ambition, to transcend the highest peak of the blades. His eyes glow with an intense, otherworldly light, a silent testament to his formidable power. Suddenly, a figure in ornate red robes reacts with shock, his composure breaking at the display. Without a word, the red-robed man lunges, meeting Mukyang's swift, spinning kick with a burst of blue energy, the clash echoing through the air. A wide, menacing grin spreads across the red-robed man's face as he calls out Mukyang's name, acknowledging his opponent. Mukyang, now wielding a whip-like weapon, responds with a challenge of his own, his voice calm amidst the tension. The whip cracks through the air, a blur of motion and power. As he turns to leave, Mukyang offers a final, chilling hope, that his opponent remains alive for their next encounter. His eyes blaze with raw power, but a pained gasp rips from his throat as he doubles over. The poisonous oil he ingested is wreaking havoc. Leaving him spitting blood, his body screaming in agony. But even crippled, he's a force of nature, tearing through shadowy assailants with brutal efficiency. His eyes narrowing with a dangerous glint. "Bring it on," he roars, a primal challenge echoing across the battlefield. "I'll carve a path through every single one of you." Perched on a treacherous mountain peak, he surveys the frozen wasteland. His jaw tightens as he sees them, an endless horde of warriors stretching into the distance. "More," he snarls, "there's an army out here." A young woman, witnessing the sheer scale of the impending conflict, feels a cold dread. "This is getting seriously out of hand," she whispers. A dark cave entrance looms, silent and foreboding. But inside, panic erupts among armored figures, one shouting, "We're in trouble." Another soldier, desperate, screams, "We gotta move. Get Mukyang and get out now." Elsewhere, a grim leader on horseback stares at a shattered barrier, realizing, the barrier's down. But why? A robed strategist, deep in thought, connects the dots. Bandits? No, the Silent Night Sect's intel was spot on. A chilling realization hits him, so, we've been making more undead this whole time. And out there, a horrifying, endless army of undead swarms the frozen lands, a voice rallying, an army of the undead. We have to fight. Put them back to sleep. The cave passage, eerily silent, stretches into darkness. Before a figure rushes in, kneeling over a fallen form, shouting, "Hichichiwai. Are you okay?" Deep in the cavern, soldiers are still fighting, one yelling to hold back, another pushing them to move faster. But the real game changer? The Imperial Blackwing Army just crashed the party, here to snatch up the corrupted blood sect. They're pushing through the darkness, no time to waste. Talk about a clutch entrance, their timing is absolutely perfect. Then, the moment of truth, a soldier is holding up a battered Mukyang, a grim realization dawning on his face. Gong Sun Su bursts onto the scene with his squad, demanding answers to the absolute mayhem before them. He charges forward, eyes locked on the injured warrior. A shockwave of concern hits Gong Sun Su as he sees Mukyang. He can't help but wonder, just how unbelievably strong is this guy to be in this condition. Mukyang is absolutely tearing through the armored ranks, a whirlwind of destruction against a storm of blades. Enemies are dropping like flies, their heavy armor no match for his sheer power as he keeps up the insane pressure. But a furious armored leader is watching this massacre, his voice cracking with disbelief as he screams, "What happened to our PEO?" Before he can even finish that thought, a blinding strike sends blood exploding across his face and armor, proving Mukyang's speed is just unreal. Absolutely shocked, the leader can barely process what just happened, muttering, blood gushing out of the black whirlwind. But that shock instantly turns into pure, unadulterated fury as he screams at his troops, "They didn't just massacre our people, they disgraced the dead. Leave No1 alive." General Bei Yunmin, decked out in his battle gear, drops the ultimate order to his troops. And Commander Im Chong, another absolute unit, gets his squad ready to roll. From a killer lookout, Bei Yunmin sees his soldiers charging, and he's just shrugging off the enemy as total scrubs. Close by, a loyal subordinate checks in on his lord, who just brushes it off, saying he's fine. The leader, with a fierce glint in his eye, gloats about how much he loves messing with his enemies, declaring that a real giant knows the score between himself and some puny human, and that's just how it's gotta be. Miles away from all that chaos, a peaceful mountain range chills under the night sky. And it all leads to the epic pad of the heavenly sect leader. The classic buildings just sit there, super quiet in the middle of nature. And inside, Gong Sun Su is just lost in thought, staring out into the darkness. A subordinate rushes in, dropping a bombshell. Something totally unexpected just went down. A chilling voice cuts through the air, demanding, "Spill it." What happened? The subordinate spills the beans. The Imperial Black Wind Army just launched a surprise assault on the Blood Sect. The leader's eyes narrow, a hint of shock in his voice as he echoes, "The Imperial Army?" Meet the man in charge, Han Jong-gil, the absolute boss of the demonic cult. He's all ears, soaking in every detail as his subordinate keeps reporting, the tension building with every word. A sly grin spreads across his face, he's clearly loving this unexpected twist. Then, with a sharp glint in his eye, he asks, "Did that sneaky silent Shadow's fox pull some strings here?" The subordinate stammers, "Excuse me," but Han Jung-gil just waves it off, "Forget about it. It's nothing." The whispers begin, a hushed conversation about the agent sent out, now back, alive, and getting patched up. But the real bombshell drops next. The talk turns to Mukyang, the guy who used to lead the infamous Poison family. Then comes the bold proposal, a desperate plea for their future. They have to let him learn the sword, to forge him into a proper martial artist. After a beat, a woman's voice cuts through the tension, sealing the deal, it's a go. The world spins, the blue sky a blur as we transition to a grand, ancient building, setting the stage for what's next. A scarred man in glasses, looking totally unimpressed, challenges, "Seriously? This is who I'm supposed to teach?" He then drops his name, Phantom Blade, Ubek, and immediately lays down the law, telling Mukyang to show some respect. And there he is, Mukyang, long black hair pulled back, standing ready to meet his new, demanding mentor. Ubek, the legendary Phantom Blade, lays down the gauntlet, declaring Mukyang is now under his absolute command. Mukyang, ever the intense warrior, locks eyes with his new mentor, ready for anything. No time for talk. Mukyang unleashes a blinding burst of speed, launching himself into the fray. But just as he strikes, he's instantly slammed to the ground, a shocking display of power. Ubek, utterly unfazed, dominates the scene, standing tall over the downed Mukyang. But Mukyang's no quitter. He fires back with a lightning-fast punch, making Ubek react. Ubek's counter is brutal, a crushing strike that sends Mukyang flying. Even after that insane hit, Ubek's shocked by Mukyang's raw power, a true monster in the making. But Mukyang's not done yet. He unleashes a blazing sword strike, forcing Ubek to block with everything he's got. He unleashes a devastating sword strike, the blade tearing through the air with an explosive, resonant clang. But his master, the legendary Phantom Blade, effortlessly intercepts the blow, his own weapon meeting the attack with a casual, almost dismissive parry. Looking down at his student, Ubek's voice is calm but firm, declaring that Mukyang still lacks caution. Mukyang, looking up, recalls the words of others who spoke of his master's legendary skill, now fully understanding why they called him a swordsman beyond compare. Ubek continues, absolutely certain that Mukyang has made a grave mistake by coming here, and that he had hoped to continue his training alone. Mukyang simply responds with a dismissive nope, then challenges his master, asking if he truly wishes for him to die. Ubek scoffs, calling people like Mukyang bastards, or more accurately, dimwits, as his student reacts with wide-eyed surprise. He then adds that it will be up to Mukyang to decide his own fate, letting out a heavy sigh of exasperation. Mukyang, clenching his fist, admits he likes the fire in his master's eyes, a fierce determination burning in his own gaze. Yubek lays down the law, declaring that as Mukyang's master, he'll personally sculpt him into the ultimate phantom blade of the demonic cult. And this isn't just any training, it's a dive into the profound demonic realm, shattering all previous limits. With a subtle purple glow around his hand, he emphasizes, it's all about that profound demonic realm, no compromises. Mukyang, eyes locked on his master, doesn't flinch, declaring this is exactly what he's after. Yubek just smirks, uttering those three powerful words, the profound demonic realm. Then he drops the bombshell, master the profound demonic realm, and you'll never need another lesson again. Mukyang's face lights up, exclaiming that's what he wants to hear, then immediately demands to know the next Phantom Arts lesson. Yubek's eyes narrow, then he hits Mukyang with a loaded question, is it enlightenment he's seeking? He confirms his own point, revealing that true enlightenment isn't found in endless lessons, but only through relentless self-training. When you've got that burning, insatiable hunger for power and knowledge, things are about to get wild. But seriously, what's the point of even trying to balance all that power? And this, right here, is the insane result of all that training. A shadowy figure, crackling with dark purple energy, shows us how it's done. Then, bam. A crushing force hits, sending Yubek flying back, a guttural groan ripped from his throat as the dark energy engulfs him. He's clearly rocked by the hit, his face twisted in pure agony as the sheer power whips around him. Seeing that insane power unleashed, Mukyang knows he can't just stand there and take it. Then, a massive impact explodes, sending debris flying everywhere. As Mukyang unleashes his own devastating counterattack, a massive surge of pink and purple energy exploding from him. The sheer power absolutely demolishes the ground, sending ice and rock shards flying as desperate screams echo through the chaos. Mukyang lets out a primal roar, the sheer force of his dark energy still radiating, a terrifying echo of his devastating counterattack. Then, a sudden shift. High above the world, on a windswept cliff, Mukyang faces down Yubek, his intensity palpable. Yubek, clearly pushed to his limits, snaps back, demanding to know if Mukyang plans to end him before he even gets a taste of true power. But Mukyang's will is ironclad. He coldly states, he'll do whatever he wants, and Yubek will be trained exactly as he was. Mukyang's declaration hits Yubek like a physical blow, the sheer audacity of his master's will echoing in his very soul. Mukyang's gaze drops, dripping with contempt, mocking Yubek's phantom blade as utterly useless, unable to even scratch a rock. But Yubek's spirit isn't broken. His eyes blaze with defiance, his inner voice roaring back Mukyang's own words, I'm going to do what I want. Mukyang, utterly unfazed, cuts him down, coldly pointing out that Yubek can't even manage that simple feat. Then, a blinding, explosive surge of power. Mukyang makes his point with a devastating strike, leaving Yubek reeling with a shocked gasp. The scene opens on an epic, tranquil mountain range. Its majestic peaks piercing the clouds, a breathtaking vista of nature's raw power. But then, the calm explodes. Massive rocks violently crack and crumble, plummeting with earth-shattering impact. The sheer, raw power of the unseen force pulverizes the stone, sending shrapnel flying everywhere. A relentless torrent of debris continues its rapid, destructive descent, leaving nothing but chaos in its path. Elsewhere, Gong Sun Su drops some serious wisdom, declaring that once you've tasted victory, you'll command the very soul of your blade. He elaborates, revealing that with a massive sword, like a simple tree branch, you can unlock formless power, and that ultimate strength is nothing less than a colossal blade, radiating dark power and crackling with purple energy, its edge burning with an otherworldly white glow, hints at unimaginable might. Gong Sun Su's voice booms, dropping a philosophical bombshell, can you even imagine a sword that isn't a sword, a pure, formless force? He presses on, his words hitting like a revelation, only the absolute masters, those who shatter the very boundaries of existence, can command such a blade. It's mind-blowing, even when it's not a sword, it is a sword, but even more powerful. Mukyang takes it all in, a deep growl rumbling inside him, his face a mask of intense concentration as the words sink in. A sudden jolt of understanding hits him, his eyes widening slightly as the pieces start to click. The epic, misty mountains loom large, stretching into infinity, a stark reminder of the monumental task ahead. Perched on the edge of a death-defying cliff, a chilling wind whips around Mukyang, echoing his deep contemplation. He grimly acknowledges his relentless pursuit, a decade has passed. Yet, this formless enhancement still eludes my grasp. He lets out a frustrated sigh, staring into the void, desperate to uncover the missing piece of his mastery. Mukyang, in deep meditation, sat perfectly still in the tranquil water, sending out subtle ripples of energy. The vast sky above, the vibrant green below, nature itself seemed to hold its breath. A lone water droplet clung precariously to a leaf, ready to make its descent. Then, with a soft talk, it dropped, sending out a flawless ripple across the calm water. Gong Sun-soo appeared, watching the silent figure, and wondered aloud if he was meditating. A jolt of recognition hit him as he realized, he'd somehow anticipated this moment, a quiet escaping his lips. The narrative voice chimed in, revealing that the meditator was still unaware of his incredible advancement, yet had already achieved so much. Suddenly, a brilliant blue aura erupted from Mukyang, shrouding him in an otherworldly, pulsating light. A knowing smirk spread across Gong Sun-soo's face, as he declared it impressive, then casually inquired about the situation. He's facing an intense, blinding light, and a critical thought hits him. He's somehow lost his path on the very last step of his training. Stuck in deep thought about this setback, he just stares down, his face a mask of contemplation. Then, from behind, Gong Sun-soo drops some wisdom, telling him not to sweat it, he just needs more chi to level up, but with his current flow, he'll totally get there. Mukyang, ever the respectful student, vows to not keep the senior waiting. Standing right next to him, Gong Sun-soo then drops the bomb, since Mukyang's his successor, he's gotta teach him even more. A booming laugh erupts from the senior, who then casually drops that he's already over 70, completely shocking Mukyang. He doubles down on his age, confirming he's 73 this year. Mukyang, totally blown away, grabs his arm and shouts that he looks way younger than he thought, then asks if he'd mastered the 7 ways of the Scarlet he was teaching, quickly correcting himself to say he didn't realize he was one of the world's top 10 masters. With a sly grin, Gong Sun-soo drops the knowledge that even though body training can fight off aging, you still gotta be careful. Mukyang looks down, new, confident thoughts sparking, none of these guys are as good as his own cultivation, he's sure of it. Then, he calmly tells Gong Sun-soo he'll remember his advice. A new master emerges, a man with a sharp gaze and a confident smirk, announcing he'll take just one more disciple before leaving the mountain, proudly proclaiming himself the eldest. Initially, Mukyang just thought it was all a big joke. But then, it hit him. Fast forward 1 year. The eldest disciple, now ripped and shirtless, asks about the corrupted blood beast, and Mukyang, still chilling with a book, just shrugs, figuring they're all dead. The eldest disciple then switches gears, asking about the black assassin, but Mukyang fires back, wondering how long he's even been stuck in these mountains. While Mukyang chows down, the eldest disciple ponders if these 2nd and 3rd gen martial artists are even worthy of their sword, and Mukyang just shrugs it off, saying they probably just kicked the bucket or got old. In the serene, snowy wilderness, a lone red flower defiantly blooms. A sudden, jarring clang rips through the air, a clash of steel against something unseen, even as vibrant red blossoms seem to mock the tension. Forget luck, he knew better, it was an endless, grinding struggle, a path with no clear purpose or finish line. Every trial was meaningless unless he saw it through to the bitter end, and he was the only one who truly understood the destination. He had to push past his limits, yet the journey felt endless. A deep, guttural hum of raw power erupts, as Mukyang clenches his weapon, his grip bone white. Suddenly, a crackling surge ignites, and dark, shadowy energy explodes, coiling around him. The black aura goes supernova, his eyes blazing with an infernal glow, as the true power unleashes. But wait, a new, electric blue energy detonates with a sharp, violent crackle, merging with the shadowy maelstrom. Now, both forces rage around him, a chaotic dance of black and blue, as he stands, a conduit of unleashed power. He watches the raw power he just unleashed begin to fade. As dark tendrils of pure energy twist and disappear. And a blinding blue explosion erupts, shattering the air and sending debris flying. The sheer, unbridled force of his technique still crackles in the atmosphere. As the final echoes of his power subside, a triumphant smirk spreads across his face. Ha! What an impressive feat. So this is what perfect sword mastery truly looks like. He stands, sword at the ready, a true master of his art. As a powerful voice, whether a memory or his own inner declaration, rings out, I applaud you in becoming the strongest swordsman. He ascends a monumental, shimmering construct, a voice in his head screaming, I can't believe I just witnessed perfect sword mastery in my lifetime. Perched on the edge, Mukyang stares into the abyss, a heavy silence hanging in the air, lost in thought. Shattering the calm, Yubek steps up, his voice cutting through the air, demanding, what's wrong? Deep in thought, Mukyang reflects on his ultimate power, muttering, I reached the peak I wanted, but... His hand clenches, a gnawing feeling of incompleteness persists, it still feels like something's missing. Staring into the horizon, Mukyang's mind races, there's gotta be something more, a power even beyond this. Suddenly, Yubek's voice snaps him back, heard of the Lord of the Divine Demonic Realm? Yubek presents a scroll, continuing his explanation, so... From his perch on a windswept cliff, Mukyang replies, that realm? It's practically the profound demonic realm. Then, a darker thought crosses his mind, but no one in the demonic cult has ever hit that level. No, I've been feeling this for a long time. Striding forward, a line of cloaked figures behind him, Mukyang fixes Yubek with an intense gaze. So, I'm telling you, it's in your best interest to follow me and take over as the new leader of the Northern Heavens in a demonic cult. He lays out the critical intel. To grasp the Balhi Kingdom's history, you need the definitive book, revealing its martial origins, its sole survival among northern tribes, and the secrets to understanding the demonic cult's other foes. Bottom line is, Yubek declares Mukyang absolutely must master the Balhi Kingdom's history, the weight of his words echoing with a solid thud. One last look, and he promises Mukyang their paths will cross again. The realization hits him. Mukyang quickly agrees to study the Balhi Kingdom's texts on his own, a small of understanding escaping his lips. With fierce determination, Yubek announces his moment has arrived. He's leaving the mountains. Mukyang lets out a silent gasp as the narrative confirms his profound respect for Yubek, who is now his new lord. In a powerful display of respect, Mukyang executes a deep bow, the sharp sound of his movement punctuating the moment. He gazes skyward, a quiet "oh" escaping him as a lone bird takes flight, its cry disappearing into the vast expanse. The colossal mountain range looms, a silent, epic backdrop to the unfolding journey. The mountains echoed with the rhythmic creak of a cartwheel, as a lone cart carved its path through the winding mountain roads, its driver navigating the treacherous terrain. Mukyang, ever the pragmatist, approached the cart, a quick thanks from the driver his only welcome. Without preamble, Mukyang cut to the chase, asking if there was any room left. The driver, a twig dangling from his lips, eyed him, a simple question hanging in the air, "You okay sharing with others?" Mukyang's answer was swift and clear, yes. The invitation to board was immediate. As Mukyang settled in, the driver's next question was direct. Mukyang's answer was simple, "Chion Il," with a quick stop planned en route. Gong Sun-su, the venerable elder, is deep in conversation with a young woman, who can't help but notice his weary state, fearing he might just give out. But he brushes off her concern, revealing his exhaustion comes from a grueling trip, and he's just glad to be back with her. She tells him not to mention it, but he quickly pivots, eager to discuss her martial arts training, noting her incredible improvement. He then muses on the legendary, mighty conditioning martial arts, a technique demanding peak physical condition, and how only a select few can ever hope to conquer it. A deep sigh escapes him as he laments the sheer difficulty of this incredible art, a truly unfortunate reality. He presses on, stressing that the mighty conditioning martial arts aren't just about raw power, but an unbreakable spirit. She nods, absorbing his wisdom, realizing that despite being a martial art, its brutal requirements mean only a handful will ever conquer it. Su Hyang, her eyes gleaming with innocent curiosity, then asks if her thoughts are out of line. Gong Sun-su offers a warm, reassuring smile, telling her she's perfectly fine. Su Hyang is absolutely blown away, her eyes glued to the massive, incredible structure dominating the skyline. They keep moving, pushing through the busy streets. The market explodes into view, a total sensory overload of activity. Above, the city's rooftops just keep going, showing off how huge this place really is. Later, chilling at a low table, Gong Sun-su goes all out, declaring he's picking up the tab for everything. He's got this super friendly look, making it clear, anything they want, food or drink, it's all on him. Mukyang, with a quick nod, accepts the awesome offer. Later, he's totally engrossed in some papers, a small gasp of shock slipping out as he reads. Feasting away, Gong Sun-su is loving life, Su Hyang is cracking up, but Mukyang drops a serious bomb, a chilling promise that he's down for a fight anytime. Gong Sun-su is not impressed, scoffing at the low-quality food who think they own the place, as his subordinate can't help but crack up. Taking a slow sip, he shakes his head, wondering just how messed up the world has gotten for these guys to even be a thing. Mukyang just stands there, soaking it all in, his face giving away absolutely nothing as he processes the old man's heavy words. The elder keeps going, his eyes far away, admitting he could crush these punks in a heartbeat, but the real problem? It's the people pulling their strings. He spells it out, he's talking about the 5 warriors of the Moon Mountain, a crew of absolute martial arts legends. Seriously, every single one of them is a certified master, and that's no joke. Mukyang stays quiet, his eyes still downcast, just absorbing all the intel on these super strong fighters. Dinner is still on, the table piled high with food, and you can see Su Hyang and Mukyang's hands, still at the feast. Later, under the wide-open sky, Mukyang stares up, a deep look on his face, totally lost in thought about the upcoming challenge or this crazy new world he's in. Mukyang is still grinding, pushing his limits, but his mind is already racing, processing everything. He surveys the desolate, broken land, a grim realization hitting him, this place is a total mess. The very earth is scarred, a testament to the recent devastation. But his mind quickly shifts to someone else, the one he himself unleashed from the town's grip. A subtle worry crosses his features as he hopes they don't let this newfound power go to their head. And as if summoned by his intense focus, a terrifying vision erupts, a massive, armored warrior with piercing blue eyes and a dark, crackling aura, a chilling symbol of the overwhelming power he's up against. A chilling murmur ripples through the desolate ruins as a gray-haired elder and his companion take in the devastation. The elder's head shaking in utter disbelief. "My goodness," he gasps, his voice a raw whisper of shock. Inside the ravaged building, the sheer scale of the destruction hits hard, debris blasted everywhere, furniture violently ripped apart. His brow deeply furrowed, the elder's voice tight with apprehension. "Is this really that person?" He drops to his knees beside a body, the swift, clean cut a testament to lethal precision, a soft rustle of fabric as he takes in the grim scene. Snatching up a bloodied piece of cloth, he declares, "Take a look. The blood isn't even dry yet. It's fresh." Then, a chilling realization hits him, that means the person who was cut in one stroke is still alive. Such an impossible feat, to survive a fatal blow, could only be pulled off by someone wielding immense mana or enhanced mana, a shadowy figure with blazing red eyes hinting at the terrifying power behind the attack. Witnessing the sheer, unbridled destruction, the elder can only shake his head, knowing the poor souls caught in this maelstrom never even saw it coming. A chilling realization dawns on him, as he finally grasps the terrifying, lawless power of the monster behind this, admitting he'd completely misjudged the threat. A storm is brewing, a tempest of chaos, and everyone can only pray it doesn't erupt into an all-out bloodbath. Elsewhere, a mysterious figure strides confidently towards a formidable structure, declaring his arrival for the mercenary group. With a confident gesture, he presents his identity and commission papers. The guard gives the papers a thorough once-over, and with a nod, allows him to pass. But before he can fully enter, the guard stops him, demanding to know where he's truly from. Without missing a beat, the man declares, he's a top-tier assassin from the infamous Black Assassins group. The guard's jaw drops, his eyes wide with utter shock, as he stutters out the name of the legendary Black Assassins group. Then, Mukyang just lays it out, confessing he's totally clueless about the outside world and hoping his partner can just roll with it. He processes the Black Assassin leader's worries about his crew, understanding that loyalty is a rare commodity, especially when you're dealing with veterans of an ancient guild. The room they're in is understated, but still classy. With a massive window looking out over the serene view. Yu Hyang, the Black Assassin leader, lets out a heavy sigh, his face etched with the stress of his new role, muttering to himself, "Can you believe he was a top-tier assassin, not just some grunt?" Mukyang settles down across from him, and Yu Hyang checks in, "You good, boss?" Then, he presses on, "What's on your mind?" Yu Hyang flashes back to a few days ago, remembering how he was warned that the Guild of the Black Dragon was super old, with members who wouldn't just fall in line. He'd voiced his doubts then, saying, "I just can't shake this feeling." Mukyang just listens, calm as ever, as the leader spills his guts about his worries. Then, out of nowhere, a chilling voice cuts through the air, declaring, "Looks like we've got a monster on our hands." The town hummed with life, a seemingly ordinary day unfolding, but beneath the surface, trouble was brewing. Suddenly, a desperate cry shattered the peace, a young woman's voice filled with anguish, refusing to give up. Already beaten and bruised, she lay on the cold ground, a defiant spirit burning as she realized the previous assault hadn't broken her. Towering over her, a hulking figure sneered, ready to end it all, but from the shadows, Mukyang made his move. The brute's hand shot out, a cruel smirk on his face, mocking her gritty heart as he prepared to strike again. Just as his hand closed in, a blur of motion, and his wrist was caught in an iron grip. The brute gasped in disbelief, his attack completely nullified by an unseen force. Mukyang's eyes burned with cold fury, his voice cutting through the air as he challenged the man's brutality against a child. With a single, effortless motion, Mukyang slammed the aggressor to the ground, who, despite his predicament, still dared to question Mukyang's authority over a guild member. After swiftly handling the brute, Mukyang doesn't waste a second, extending a hand with a money bag, making it clear he'll pay whatever it takes to resolve the situation and get the girl free. But he's not done yet. Pinning the aggressor down, Mukyang lays down the law, issuing a chilling warning that this kind of behavior won't be tolerated again. The young woman can only stare, wide-eyed and silent, as the whirlwind of events unfolds before her. With the brute out of the picture, Mukyang shifts his focus, dropping to one knee, ready to get to the bottom of things with the young woman. He cuts straight to the chase, demanding to know her reasons for stealing and if she truly couldn't find a job. Her eyes drop, and the young woman pours out her heart, confessing her mother's sickness and the impossible struggle to find work at her age. Standing tall, Mukyang takes it all in, a distant memory stirring within him as her words hit close to home. Still, the young woman waits, her face a picture of despair, bracing for whatever comes next. After a beat of intense thought, Mukyang finally speaks, telling her he'll help, but only if she gives him her mother's name. He follows the young woman, who points to a rundown hut, a beacon of desperation in a quiet village. She bursts through the door, a desperate plea for her mother tearing from her throat. The scene inside is grim. Her mother lies frail in bed, and the young woman's heart sinks as she asks what's wrong. The mother's breath comes in ragged gasps, a clear sign of her critical condition. Seeing the severity, Mukyang takes charge, declaring they need to rush her to the infirmary and immediately moving to assist. With a swift, unseen intervention, he declares the mother stable, her life force restored. Tears of relief stream down her face, as she profusely thanks her savior, wondering how she could ever repay this miracle. But he waves off her thanks, offering an even bolder solution: come live with me. It's better than this. A game-changing proposal. He stands before the young girl, who looks up at him, absolutely stunned by his unexpected generosity. Meanwhile, Gong's son Su lays it out, telling him they can't just live in the mountains forever, and honestly, it's his responsibility to take care of them, not theirs. Later, under a brilliant blue sky, a familiar voice cuts through the air: "Hey, mister." Mukyang turns to the young girl, hitting her with a direct question: does she know martial arts? She remembers seeing martial artists at a marketplace, but quickly admits she's got no skills herself, then throws the question right back at him. He deadpans that he can't fly, and she immediately calls him out, declaring him weak. With a smirk, he totally agrees, owning his weakness, and then drops the bombshell that it's why he's going to build a small house just like this. Then, with a sudden shift, he asks if she wants to learn martial arts, and she screams out a resounding yes. He looks up at the sky, a knowing smile spreading across his face, already planning the next move. Picking up right where they left off, Mukyang lays down the law, declaring he's about to drop some seriously basic knowledge on her. Then, with a surge of dark energy, he drops the bombshell: it's the demonic cultivation technique, and she's gotta grind it out twice a day, morning and night. Catching wind of the intense training, Su Hyang's eyes light up with fierce resolve, wondering if this is her shot to get seriously powerful. He gives a hesitant nod, but then lays down the ultimate rule: this cultivation technique is top secret, and she better not spill the beans to anyone. A resounding "yep" bursts from her, her enthusiasm practically radiating as she embraces the challenge. But far away, beneath an endless expanse, a new tension starts to brew across the horizon. Suddenly, a frantic shout echoes through a village, a desperate warning that they are on their way, as shadowy figures close in. As the figures draw closer, a calm voice assesses the situation, noting that their numbers are not many, hinting at a calculated, dangerous move. A hulking, white-haired titan, his eyes blazing with an infernal red glow, dominates the desolate scene, a colossal blade casually held as his crew surrounds him. Someone shouts, "We've hit the jackpot." The desolate mountains stretched endlessly under a muted sky, their peaks shrouded in a perpetual haze. Suddenly, a figure was sent hurtling through the air, crashing violently onto the rocky ground with a pained cry. Gong's son Su stood over the kneeling opponent, his voice laced with contempt, uttering a sharp, "You bastard." The defeated man struggled to push himself up, a guttural growl escaping his lips as he remained pinned by the elder's presence. From a short distance, an old man with wild white hair observed the scene, muttering that some individuals had been smelling like money for quite some time. Gong's son Su, still focused on his captive, warned him that once their sect heard about this, they wouldn't be letting him go. Beside the old man, Mukyang let out a soft sigh, his gaze fixed on the unfolding drama. The blue-clad figure was down, utterly defeated on the barren earth, as a dark-clad assassin loomed over him, ready to end it. More of Gong's son Su's elite assassins swarmed, their leader barking orders to finish the job, but the blue-clad figure was already making a desperate break for the forest. Meanwhile, a mysterious white-haired figure with blazing red eyes observed the frantic escape, a sinister query on his face. But the escape was short-lived. An assassin cut him off, delivering a crushing blow that erupted in a cloud of dust. The assault continued relentlessly, pummeling the blue-clad figure deeper into the earth. A vicious strike connected, sending blood spraying across the harsh landscape. The barrage was merciless, every hit landing with bone-jarring force. Mukyang, however, was perfectly still, his eyes shut, processing the unfolding brutality with intense focus. An assassin leader surveyed the damage, confirming the target was still breathing and demanding his capture, because Gong's son Su would not be happy if he got away. Mukyang's eyes narrow, a silent challenge in his stare. Who would be bold enough to cross them, to steal from their ranks? Who would even show their face for such a reckless act? Meanwhile, the black assassin leader, brimming with confidence, dismisses the threat to his subordinate, convinced it can only be the mountain bandits, and vows to handle them himself. But Mukyang, ever the strategist, knows better. The mountain bandits aren't the only players in this game, and this won't be as simple as the leader thinks. Then, a sudden, jarring act rips through the silence, under the cold gaze of the crescent moon. The scene shifts to a formidable fortress, shrouded in the night, as shadowy figures close in on its walls. Suddenly, a brutal "ugh" echoes as the wooden defenses are slammed, followed by a sickening "ack" as the impact reverberates. The wooden wall explodes inward from the sheer force, and a panicked shout confirms the worst: we're being attacked. Then, Mukyang strikes. A lightning-fast slash tears through the air, his weapon a deadly extension of his will. He unleashes another powerful "arg" mid-air, a devastating surprise attack that leaves no room for defense. Mukyang, a dark silhouette against the desolate landscape, moves with impossible speed towards the fortified structure, as desperate cries to stop him echo across the barren land. Then, a deafening impact reverberates, a crimson burst of energy signifying a breach in the defenses. The very foundations of the stronghold groan and tear apart under the relentless assault. He scales the towering walls with effortless grace, a shadow against the pale crescent moon. Inside, the young warrior stands amidst the wreckage and fallen bodies, his blade humming with a faint, ethereal glow. A burly, axe-wielding man stares in disbelief, his mind struggling to comprehend the sudden, overwhelming invasion. He quickly regains his composure, shouting orders for his armed subordinates to prepare for battle. Mukyang confronts the group directly, his voice cutting through the chaos as he demands the return of stolen items. The leader and his men exchange stunned glances, realizing with dawning horror that their opponent has already secured his objective. He strikes with an explosive force, a blur of motion. The massive man barely registers the hit before his face twists in pure agony. A deafening clang ripping through the silence. He's down. Just like that, the hulking boss is out, leaving his stunned crew screaming in terror. But then, the black assassin leader charges in, absolutely livid. Roaring about the audacity to harm his man, unleashing his entire squad. A storm of blades and fists descends, a chaotic flurry of attacks. But Mukyang just smirks, his eyes burning with an otherworldly glow. In an instant, the entire assault is shattered, bodies flying, as the leader can only stare in utter disbelief at the absolute monster before him. He surveys the overwhelming enemy force, a chilling thought echoing in his mind. Despite the sheer magnitude of the enemy army, their collective scream of terror is undeniable. With blinding speed, he effortlessly decimates multiple foes, their sheer numbers utterly meaningless. Suddenly, an ancient warrior with wild white hair and a furious glare bursts forth, his face a mask of pure fury. The elder warrior charges, weapon poised, proclaiming Mukyang's ignorance of real fighting. Mukyang, utterly unimpressed, simply scoffs, then erupts with power, sending foes scattering. A devastating blow lands, met with a piercing shriek of agony. He tears through the remaining forces, a maelstrom of raw power, obliterating everything in his path. And then, he stands alone, the battle utterly, brutally finished. The final enemy combatants are absolutely decimated, their bodies slamming into the frozen earth. While one warrior desperately tries to drag his injured buddy to safety, begging for mercy. But their desperate cries are lost amidst the sheer terror of their fleeing comrades, who are just trying to get out alive. From the epicenter of destruction, Mukyang's chilling voice slices through the pandemonium, ordering his shadowy legion to wipe out every last one. With an explosive burst of dark power, his summoned shadows absolutely erupt forward, leaving no one standing. Mission accomplished, Mukyang coolly turns his back on the carnage, his face a mask as he simply walks away. High above, the clouds just chill in the sky, totally oblivious to the epic beatdown that just went down. The endless expanse of the heavens just keeps going, a silent observer to his next move. Finally, a distant wooden fortress appears on the horizon, signaling the next chapter of his adventure. The battlefield is a wasteland, the camp utterly decimated. Total annihilation. Bodies and wreckage are strewn everywhere. A lone survivor, an assassin, cautiously emerges from behind a massive barrel, a soft thud betraying his presence. He groans, his body screaming from the strain of hiding, muscles protesting. His jaw drops, utterly stunned by the sheer scale of the slaughter, whispering in disbelief that everyone is gone. Pure terror grips him as he comprehends their complete wipeout in one brutal encounter, knowing he has to get this intel back to the head boss, fast. With a desperate glint in his eye, he pulls a blade, ready to fight or flee. But it's too late. Mukyang looms over him, the assassin just another casualty in his wake. Mukyang strides away, his chilling command echoing through the silence, strip the fallen of their gear, then it's time to head back. Orders given, the masked subordinate drops to a knee, a soft thud marking his absolute obedience. Because he had just single-handedly infiltrated and absolutely annihilated an impregnable bandit fortress. What an insane feat. Is he even human? Or is he one of them again? He wonders, as he inspects his own left arm with a frustrated grunt. A table overflows with gleaming stacks of coins, ancient swords, and a mysterious scroll, setting the stage for a massive undertaking. Gong Sun Su gathers his crew, Mukyang among them, ready to drop some serious orders. He lays out the mission, a huge sum of cash needs to hit the bank in 3 days, and Mukyang's on point to prep the funds and manage anyone who knows about it. No worries about bandits, he adds, a massive bounty's already out, so his crew can handle it, then it's all systems go for the money conversion and transport tomorrow. He looks for Mukyang's nod of understanding. Mukyang gets it, and the leader declares he'll be back in 3 days. Mukyang's face is a mask of intense focus, absorbing every detail of the mission. As night falls, a mysterious traditional building looms, its secrets hidden in the shadows. But inside, a young girl is already waiting, humming a soft tune, her patience almost palpable. Her eyes, full of hope, are searching for someone. Suddenly, a powerful figure emerges from the shadows, his dark robes a stark contrast to the quiet room, and the atmosphere instantly shifts. The girl immediately drops to her knees, a heartfelt greeting on her lips, as Mukyang simply nods in return. Her face absolutely glows with pure happiness, she's so thrilled he's back. Holding a cup, Mukyang questions her solitude, but her answer is simple, she was just waiting for him. She quickly ushers him inside, promising food, but already worried it won't be enough. The massive gate of the compound swings open, welcoming them into the night. He explains that the Bandit King, a figure of immense power and influence, had his money stolen, but incredibly, everyone survived. Even though the money was recovered, they were warned about the bandits' revenge, so martial masters were sent to wipe out the rest of the gangs. He confesses he only sees the surface of these events, because he wasn't actually there to witness it all. Meanwhile, a lone rider absolutely tears across the land, the thundering hooves creating a deep, resonant boom. Hooves hammer the ground, sending dust flying as the rider pushes the limits. The young lady is practically flying, her hair a blur behind her, when a frantic voice shouts, "Young lady." Gong Sun-soo, looking utterly panicked, screams that she can't go this fast, warning she'll get hurt. But the horse is relentless, its powerful gallop thundering on. Gong Sun-soo sits, deep in thought, muttering to himself, "Man, this is complicated, huh?" Mukyang, ever the dedicated warrior, declares his training regimen is on point. When suddenly, a jarring sound rips through the air, snapping his focus and leaving him wide-eyed. A horse explodes into a violent rear nearby. And he can't help but let out a small chuckle, glancing down at the young woman who's clearly frustrated by his stubbornness. He observes her from behind, perched on the horse. Only to find her kneeling beside the beast, asking him to give it a once-over after all this time. The young woman stands, hands clasped before her. And Mukyang's face contorts into an expression of pure shock. Her feet are firmly planted on the ground. A blur of motion, a flash of power, he's honing his skills, pushing past every limit. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence, hitting him with a low blow, "You begged the Guardian Forces for martial arts training again?" He's not having it, letting out a frustrated, "Huh." The same young woman, still persistent, keeps pushing, "Are you good at martial arts? You're like, really good, right?" He takes a quick look at the intense training happening nearby, nodding, "Yep, just like you said, they're training." Then, a shout of encouragement, "Brothers, go." He turns, giving a quick, respectful bow, then brushes off the whole thing, "Yu Hyang. No big deal." Looking off into the distance, he cuts to the chase, "I'm here for the great sect leader and the elders." Then, a curious, long bang do. The view opens up to an epic, towering pagoda, a true marvel of ancient design. Inside, a wise-looking elder with a flowing beard steps forward, offering a formal welcome, "A pleasure to meet you again." But Mukyang, clearly fed up with the formalities, crosses his arms and gets straight to the point, "What's with the great sect leader and bro? Just talk to me directly." An elder, looking totally chill, just drops a casual greeting. He then declares he's letting someone bounce, but only after he makes his own exit. The elder keeps going, claiming he's not interested in any tagalongs, but then another voice cuts in, dropping a warning about Hound Wolf getting seriously ticked off if they just let him walk. The elder, now unrolling a scroll, ponders the whole Hound Wolf situation. Meanwhile, a massive, muscular dude chilling on a throne, demands to know if this guy even gets the rules of Bao in the East, confirming he's the one sent to his hometown. Another elder, looking super serious, doubles down on the worry that Hound Wolf will be furious if they just let him walk. Mukyang, chilling with a young guard, mentally shrugs off their drama, snapping back that he won't be annoyed if Hound Wolf gets to leave, then straight up asks why he should even bother listening to them, while the elders keep rehashing his disinterest in an escort and Hound Wolf's potential rage. Strolling off, Mukyang muses about heading back to his hometown, a dark thought hitting him that this whole trip could actually be the end of his story. He then hits up someone called Lord Bang, asking if a little cash could smooth things over. A young woman is caught off guard, a sudden shift in the air making her gasp. Her eyes go wide, as she realizes someone's already here, maybe even faster than expected. Elsewhere, an older woman beams at Mukyang, declaring he's finally grown up and ready for his own space. But her smile instantly drops to shock, as Mukyang's next move or words completely blindsides her. She then respectfully asks him what he's holding, thanking him profusely for everything he's done. Mukyang offers a small gift, telling her to take it as a small thank you for her leadership. But the older woman flat out refuses, exclaiming she can't take it and dropping the bombshell that Mukyang is leaving tomorrow. He just turns his head, his decision set in stone. Visibly upset, the older woman demands to know why he's leaving so suddenly and urgently. The older woman sniffs softly, and the young girl, sensing the tension, asks, "Mother, what's wrong? He's been gone so long, is all his kindness real?" Mukyang turns to the young girl, a soft pat on her head as he tells her, I'll be gone for a bit. Be good, listen to your mother, okay? The young girl, eyes wide with admiration, declares, thank you, sir. I'll be just like you. A determined smile spreads across her face as she confirms, okay. Then, with a hint of challenge, she reminds him, you promised my training would make me stronger. He gazes at her, a flicker of emotion in his eyes. His eyes flaring with a golden glow as he draws a sharp breath. Before firmly declaring, you will become a strong girl, I'm sure of it. His goodbyes said, Mukyang turns, leaving the two women to watch him go. The desolate mountain range stretched endlessly under a vast sky. As a massive, dark bird soared with powerful wing beats above the peaks. Suddenly, a deep, resonant rumble echoed through the air, the very earth beginning to tremble. With a deafening crash, the ground erupted, sending dust and rock fragments scattering violently. The earth continued to tear apart, a powerful, unseen force ripping through the landscape. As the rumbling intensified, a column of raw energy and debris shot skyward. From the heart of the maelstrom, Mukyang ascended, enveloped in the swirling dust and power of his departure. Above him, a powerful, feathered wing descended, its sheer force hinting at a swift, coordinated movement. Meanwhile, a rugged man with a simple claw pendant around his neck watched the spectacle unfold from a distance. The scene totally flips, dropping us into an epic, sprawling mountain range under a moody sky. With faint, ethereal blue and purple energies shimmering in the distance, totally hinting at some wild, unseen forces about to go down. Meanwhile, Mukyang just walks away, his silhouette fading into the depths of some ancient hall, leaving all that drama in the dust. Inside, the legendary great sect leader, Gong Sun Su, is just chilling with a super composed look, totally acknowledging someone else's vibe. Across from him, the black assassin leader, with his fiery red hair and intense stare, just drops this bomb, I've been a mule, indeed. He keeps going, his voice absolutely unwavering, no matter, even if you're the great sect leader, you're still just a human. You can't take me out. The black assassin leader then just locks into a ready stance, his defiance practically screaming. A hand slams down, a frustrated sigh bursting forth. Mukyang sits there, looking utterly defeated, declaring himself bored beyond belief. He just walks away from the whole mess, refusing to get involved and utterly disappointed they can't even answer a basic question. Fed up with everything, he announces he's going to find the black blade of the wolf. He quietly mumbles to himself that they should just lead everyone else far away. He glances back at a masked figure below, demanding to know what's going on. The masked black assassin leader quickly explains that abandoning his men would break their rules, and completely mess up their alignment if a war suddenly erupted. Mukyang casually brushes off his worries, telling him to just lead his men to him if war breaks out, but the black assassin leader firmly refuses, unable to abandon his comrades. Suddenly, an idea hits Mukyang, as the black assassin leader looks up, utterly confused. He's on the move, back to the viewer, when a voice hits him with the ultimate question, how's the training going? Strolling through the courtyard with the black assassin leader, Mukyang gets the update, everyone's going all out, putting in serious work. His verdict? They're crushing it. Out of nowhere, a red-haired blur explodes into action, striking with insane speed, blindsiding the black assassin leader, who can only manage a shocked hook. The hit sends the black assassin leader reeling, a guttural ugh tearing from his throat as the chilling realization dawns, they're actually here. The red-haired assailant keeps up the pressure, their swords a blur of steel and sparks as the black assassin leader fights for his life. Mid-battle, a shocking detail emerges about the attacker, that fiery red hair. Totally a wig, a complete disguise. The red-haired powerhouse, now facing a squad of kneeling assassins, is hailed with absolute awe, the sect leader. In a single, fluid move, the sect leader rips off the red wig, exposing his real black hair and a gnarly scar over his left eye, then drops a chilling line to his kneeling crew, it's an honor to see you. The sect leader, now absolutely pumped with a fierce red aura, is absolutely raging, demanding to know where Mukyang is. But Mukyang? He's just standing there, twin blades out, dark energy practically exploding around him, ready for anything. He's got that quiet confidence, though, knowing deep down that his own power is just on another level. Then, the sect leader's hand shoots out, a crimson glow just absolutely exploding from it. Suddenly, he just explodes with power, transforming into a muscular beast as he screams Mukyang's name, totally shocked by what's happening. His eye is practically burning with an ominous red light, showing off his insane, unleashed power. He's totally calling Mukyang out for fighting him instead of Jiang-ho, and he's not happy about it, feeling super let down. With a furious snarl, the sect leader just shouts orders to his crew, telling them to take Mukyang out, fast. But Mukyang? He's still totally chill, not even flinching, while the sect leader is just absolutely seething with pure rage. The Blood-Eye sect leader, now a terrifying force of nature, stares down Mukyang in utter disbelief, but Mukyang just calmly takes it all in. With a guttural roar, the sect leader demands he draw his blade. A chilling shing cuts through the air as he starts to pull his deadly weapon free. He's practically vibrating with impatience, yelling for Mukyang to hurry, his transformed body practically exploding with raw power. A heavy thud punctuates his aggressive posture, and it's crystal clear, the sect leader is absolutely furious. But Mukyang, cool as ice, just calmly replies, thanking him for the perfect battleground. Red lightning practically explodes around the sect leader as he roars that Mukyang's arrogance is off the charts, threatening him with dire consequences. Mukyang, accepting the ultimate challenge, lets a brilliant blue aura erupt around his hand, declaring, he's going to unleash everything. His eyes now blazing with that same intense blue light, he muses to himself, how long has it been since I truly went all out? Still grappling with the secrets of the demonic realm, Mukyang stands ready, a monstrous, rectangular blade casually slung over his shoulder. Then, the impossible happens, the very mountain before him begins to crack, groaning under an unseen force. He just dropped the mountain-shattering blade technique. The Blood Eye sect leader is absolutely floored, barely able to process if this is even a sword art. But then it hits him, Mukyang's real sword was completely invisible the entire time. Mukyang moves, a blinding blue aura exploding around him, unleashing perfect sword manipulation. A colossal, glowing blue energy blade rips through the air. With an ice-cold gaze, he declares, allow me the first move. The Blood Eye sect leader snaps, roaring in pure fury as a crimson aura engulfs him. The very earth explodes from the sheer force of the unseen blow. And the Blood Eye sect leader, eyes burning with absolute rage, clenches his weapon, ready to unleash hell. You bastard, he bellows, his fury shaking the very air. He charges, a whirlwind of deadly strikes, screaming for an end to the insolence, but Mukyang is a ghost, effortlessly dodging every single attack. Then, in a blur of motion, Mukyang strikes back, his sword a whisper of death. The sect leader stumbles, a choked cry escaping him, shocked by the speed that leaves his neck stiff and aching. But he's not done. His hands ignite with a terrifying crimson energy, twin blades of pure power materializing in his grasp. As he snarls, promising to prove who truly rules this cult. A monstrous, fiery red aura explodes from him, his power skyrocketing as he prepares to unleash his full, devastating might. Mukyang's eyes narrow, his face a mask of intense focus as the Blood Eye sect leader's power absolutely explodes. Unleashing a devastating technique. The sheer power coalesces, manifesting a monstrous, fiery dragon head that absolutely charges with devastating force. The infernal beast expands, its form stretching as it absolutely engulfs the battlefield, a tidal wave of pure, unbridled destruction. The ultimate question looms, what is martial strength? They say if you master it, you can literally shatter the heavens and rip apart the earth. But this isn't some cheat code. True martial strength is earned, forged in the fires of endless training and pure grind. And if you hit that absolute power level, you could literally dominate the entire world, controlling everything and everyone. Then, a mysterious red-haired warrior steps forward, a smirk playing on their lips, proclaiming the solution is actually super simple, but there's still one critical piece of the puzzle missing. They unleash a devastating display of power, a whirlwind of motion and raw energy, proving that martial strength only becomes absolute when you can effortlessly dominate and tear through anything with every ounce of your training. Their explosive moves reverberate, solidifying the truth, martial strength and overall power are absolutely forged through intense training and real-world experience. But the burning question remains, what crucial piece is still missing from this ultimate martial puzzle? The red-haired warrior, muscles bulging, lets out a guttural roar of pure disbelief and pain. But Mukyang, the absolute legend, just stands there, his blade practically vibrating with electric blue power. His opponent can only gasp, sword decree. The sword erupts in a blinding flash, a sharp crack ripping through the air. The red-haired warrior can't even track the movement, completely outmatched. Pure, unadulterated terror fills his eyes as the chilling truth hits him, he's going to die. Mukyang's strike comes down with surgical precision, a devastating blue arc of energy tearing through the air. But Mukyang? He's just chilling, completely unfazed by how quickly he just ended that fight. With a cool clang, the blade slides back into its sheath, leaving the red-haired warrior a crumpled mess on the ground. The defeated warrior can only manage a weak what, as Mukyang just looks down, clearly unimpressed. Then, Mukyang just turns and walks away, dropping one last cryptic piece of wisdom on his utterly defeated foe, hoping he'll find that missing element for himself. The red-haired warrior hacks, his body still vibrating from the sheer, ungodly power he just got hit with. How could anyone wield that much mana? His eyes dart up, then down, as he grapples with the sheer, invisible force of that mana, a power so immense it could only belong to something not of this world. Later, from inside a massive building, he stares up at the incredible architecture. A sharp, sudden sound cutting through the air as he steps onto a balcony. His jaw drops at the unbelievable sight unfolding before him, a single, raw curse tearing from his throat. Outside, a bird streaks past the incredible rooftops. its cry echoing as it continues its flight. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sprawling complex in fiery hues, and stretching long shadows across the ancient structures. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure with sleek black hair tied back gazes out a window at the rising sun, his face a mask as a new day explodes into existence. With a knowing gaze, Elder Hyang watches a small bird, a cryptic smile playing on his lips as he remarks on the unfolding drama. The night sky looms over an ancient, majestic fortress, bathed in the ethereal glow of a full moon. Its lavish halls beckoning with untold secrets. Inside, Elder Hyang performs a deep, reverent bow, his words echoing with unwavering loyalty to the heavenly demon cult. Then, turning to an unseen presence, he offers a warm greeting, praising their newfound power and dedication. But then, a shift in his demeanor as he delivers a crucial message: the Grand Master himself has commanded him to serve as an assistant. The venerable Grand Master, a fan clutched in his hand, listens with an air of profound wisdom. With a knowing glance, the Grand Master begins, certain his subordinate is already privy to the critical details of the dynasty's mission. Then, a bombshell revelation. The Grand Master confesses his own monumental failure: his mission to retrieve the heavenly demon cult's legendary number 2044, Mukyang, has ended in defeat. Yu Hyang drops a bombshell, revealing their target has already hit the absolute peak of the heavenly demon cult's divine understanding, sparking an immediate, shocked reaction. Then, the spotlight hits Mukyang, who's all ears as the mission's true core drops. Their only goal is to find and bring him back, that's why they're even here. Suddenly, a blazing golden dragon aura erupts, a visual testament to the martial master who's broken through to the divine understanding realm. Then, a menacing, shadowy figure with piercing, glowing eyes emerges, the legendary Sword Emperor of divine understanding. Yu Hyang, oozing confidence, scoffs at the notion that the Sword Emperor would be dumb enough to try and take him out, doubling down on their unwavering mission. Mukyang's eyes narrow, his expression turning to stone as the real mission hits: they're here to retrieve the Sword Emperor of divine understanding. The shocking truth drops: taking out the Sword Emperor isn't just a mission, it's a power move, a brutal message to the entire Just faction. But Mukyang cuts in, boldly declaring his own intent, asserting he's more than capable of taking down the Sword Emperor and sending that message all by himself. Yu Hyang immediately shuts him down with a firm head shake, flat out stating Mukyang's got it all wrong, he's got this mission covered. Mukyang's gaze cuts through the night, a silent, burning intensity that promises absolute devastation. Beneath the colossal full moon, the world holds its breath, oblivious to the deadly dance unfolding across the treacherous peaks. Slipping through the ancient, whispering forest, a shadowy squad advances, their stealth almost supernatural as they pierce the night's silence. A grizzled assassin mutters, his patience wearing thin as he questions the overkill for one man, a chilling sense of déjà vu prickling his skin. His comrade, a cold-eyed killer, confirms their mark is the one who took down the Blood Eye sect leader, but history means nothing now, only the kill matters. The grizzled killer gives a curt nod, the unspoken agreement hanging heavy in the air. But then, a gasp rips from his throat, his eyes snapping wide as an invisible, overwhelming power slams into them. In a blink, the battle is done, and Mukyang looms triumphant, a silent judge over the crumpled forms, his voice a chilling pronouncement: "You're the last ones for today." Later, shrouded in shadow by a dancing campfire, he settles in, a low, calm greetings echoing into the silent night. Just as he was getting comfortable by the fire, a small group of figures emerged from the shadows, one of them quickly trying to ease the tension with a simple, "It's okay." Soon, they were all huddled around the crackling fire, and the older man, trying to play it cool, started his pitch: "Look, we're not bad guys. We just have a few questions, that's all." Then, he pulled out a drawing, getting straight to the point: "We're hunting for the guy who took out the Blood Eye sect leader years back. Ever seen anyone who looks like this?" Mukyang's eyes scanned the drawing, his mind already working overtime, processing the target they were after. After a beat, he delivered his answer, cool as ice: "Nope. Never seen him in my life." An owl, perched high above, gives a curious hoot. While two men clink their drinks, one exclaiming, "All right. Cheers." Moments later, Grand Master Beck is on his knees before Mukyang, humbly apologizing. "I apologize. I misunderstood you earlier." Mukyang, ever calm, just says, "It's fine. You know," Mukyang considers, "you're actually not so bad." Beck, still on his knees, quickly thanks him. Standing up, Mukyang then pulls out a picture, his eyes narrowing as he demands, "Who exactly is this person in the picture?" Beck's face turns grim as he reveals, "That's a killer. A super dangerous man who once ruled the entire Murim." Mukyang stares at the photo, then questions, "When was this picture even taken?" Beck simply states, "It's the only one left." Grand Master Beck drops another bombshell, revealing the killer's weapon wasn't just any sword, it was forged from an unknown material, a substance that vanished from existence after the killer's own disappearance. He then paints a chilling picture: this terrifying killer was once a kind, gentle brother, a complete contradiction to the monster he became. Mukyang's mind races, a single question burning: was that legendary weapon a sword, or something else entirely? Beck confirms it, a sword, and if his memory serves, it was the infamous, Black Dragon sword. Mukyang grips his own dark, unassuming blade, its hilt a silent promise of devastating power. As Beck drops the bomb, the killer's weapon was legendary, and he reveled in his dark attire and the sheer presence of his sword. The Grand Master details the killer's signature, a black sheath, and a blade perpetually shrouded in bandages. Mukyang's eyes snap open, a jolt of recognition hitting him as the pieces click into place. Beck watches him, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. Disbelief floods Mukyang's face as the full, shocking truth of Beck's revelation hits him like a truck. "Hold on, youngest brother," the man with the top-knot shouts, his companion right there with him. He then demands, "But why are you cupping it?" A look of intense concern washes over his features. Mukyang, meanwhile, casually sips from a small cup. He thinks, "I totally forgot about this, it's been ages." The man with the top-knot bows low, showing immense gratitude for their lives. Mukyang keeps thinking, "I don't usually spare lives, but hey, having some people owe me isn't a bad deal." Kneeling with his companion, the older man confesses, "It's obvious now, we messed up big time." He finishes, "If he really wanted to, he could have wiped us all out. We can't possibly fight him." Before making his exit, Mukyang drops a chilling directive, making it clear that he won't tolerate hidden observers, then announces his departure without a moment's hesitation. He simply turns and strides off, leaving the two stunned men behind. One can only confirm his exit, while the other is completely lost on what to do next. The older man, still processing everything, suddenly remembers he's got a mission to complete. Elsewhere, Mukyang, completely unfazed, calmly pours himself a drink from a flask. He takes a casual sip, while the older man, still talking, explains his deadly mission to take down the sect leader, hinting that Mukyang's crew knows all about it. Then, he directly challenges Mukyang, demanding to know if he recognizes the target. Mukyang just watches, as the older man lays out his audacious plan, asking if they'd be cool with helping him hunt down and eliminate the sect leader, or if he screws up, they can just snatch the bounty. The two men look at each other, one nervously asks for a plan, while the other just ponders the offer. The older man makes up his mind, announcing they'll lead the way. Deep within a treacherous mountain pass, a small group was on the move, the only sound the relentless beat of their horses' hooves. Mukyang, ever vigilant, led the charge, his senses dialed to maximum, picking up on every minute change around them. Then, without warning, he slammed on the brakes, his horse snorting in surprise as they screeched to a halt. The older man, totally bewildered, demanded to know what the heck was going on. Mukyang's eyes burned into the shadows, his voice a cold challenge, daring the hidden foes to reveal themselves. Before he even finished speaking, a shadowy figure plunged from the trees, ambushing the older man with a shocked yell. He barely had time to react, his brain struggling to process the lightning-fast attack. Then, from every direction, more assassins burst forth, their weapons glinting as they overwhelmed the party. The older man swore, a chilling realization dawning that these killers had been shadowing them all along, but Mukyang's voice, cold and clear, sliced through the pandemonium, "Go back." With a slight smirk, Mukyang brushes off their concerns, telling them to just stick with him, they're too slow otherwise. He reminds them he did everything to get them out of there, promising they'll get back information. He explains their current spot is a blind spot, a terrible thing to admit, but they need to let their enemies think they're the only ones who can pull this off, then just tells them to get it done. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the massive mountains in fiery hues and deep shadows. Later, the trio rides hard through the mountains, the creaking of their saddles the only sound in the fading light. Mukyang points forward, telling his crew they'll hit their spot right after that next mountain. Then, with a sly grin, he reveals this is where their target lies, finding it all quite intriguing. A massive, ancient building looms in the distance, hidden among the trees, clearly a place of power. The path unfolds, revealing a hidden sanctuary, a sprawling estate of ancient design, serene and untouched. A lone bird perches on a blooming branch, a fleeting moment of peace before the storm. Yet, the calm shatters as a hand reaches for the blossoms, a hushed voice acknowledging the sudden, uninvited presence of a guest. Within the estate, Grand Master Beck, his presence commanding, turns to a young attendant, his words a clear directive, "Go, inform everyone below of our new guest." With an air of quiet authority, Grand Master Beck stands in the courtyard, simply stating, "A guest has arrived." The stage is set. The epic journey finally reaches its climax as Mukyang confirms their arrival. They've made it to the legendary residence of the Divine Tracker. But inside, Mukyang and Gong's son Su were hit with a shocker, coming face to face with a mysterious new character. The calm, elderly man, however, just smiled, telling them to chill out. Standing there, radiating an aura of wisdom, his long white hair and traditional robes commanded respect. Mukyang, totally confused, demanded to know who this guy was, and Gong's son Su dropped the bombshell, "He's the Divine Tracker." "But what even is a Divine Tracker?" Mukyang needed answers, and the truth was mind-blowing. This guy is the only one who can find the emperor. Meanwhile, in a tranquil courtyard, a chill gathering is underway, with cups clinking as everyone settles in. The divine tracker, with his flowing white hair, extends a teacup, declaring it his absolute favorite brew. He urges Mukyang to take a sip, impressed by his tea-drinking skills, but also baffled that someone so important would bother with such formalities. Mukyang, cup in hand, takes the compliment in stride, simply stating he's just respecting the host's traditions. That answer clearly piques the divine tracker's interest, a subtle smirk gracing his face. But Mukyang is visibly startled, a gasp escaping him as he demands clarification, totally confused by the tracker's cryptic message. The divine tracker just stares back, then calmly sips his tea, cryptically remarking that he now understands the tea's nature. Mukyang, clearly annoyed, turns his head, bluntly stating his preference for alcohol over this tea business. A subordinate drops intel on the divine tracker, confirming the Sword Emperor, Mukyang, is in his 30s. The divine tracker takes it all in, while his subordinate nervously asks if they're really going to treat Mukyang, the tournament participant, with such respect. Cool as ice, the divine tracker simply thanks him and tells him to dig into dinner. At a feast-filled table, the divine tracker casually mentions Mukyang's apology for being bitter and confirms his tournament entry again. He then tells his crew to finish their food before leaving, because, it's rude not to. The subordinate, Char-Black assassin leader, can't help but praise his boss's over-the-top generosity. Later, the divine tracker's epic residence looms large. Inside, robes swish, signaling someone's on the move. A whole squad of guys kneels down, one of them asking, "Father, did you call us?" The shadowy figure, fresh off his intel drop, lets out a low humph, already plotting his next move to stay hidden, then declares his exit. As the assassin vanishes, the divine tracker just scoffs, knowing full well it's all just a big show. Then, with a knowing look, he declares, "This is going to be an epic learning experience, so pay attention." The divine tracker notes their impressive training, but the assassin, ever the cynic, mentally rolls his eyes, muttering about how they always front, even when they've got the skills to back it up. Elsewhere, Mukyang, deep in thought, questions himself, has he really learned anything besides how to fight? He's sick of the endless battles, but it's all he knows, leaving him to wonder if there's any other path for him. But then, the divine tracker, with a sly grin, makes an offer, promising to play something for Mukyang, convinced he's hiding some incredible talent. As dusk settles, a magnificent, ancient structure looms. Inside, two intense figures, an older, mustachioed man and a younger, sharp-eyed one, stand ready, their expressions grim and focused. As the divine tracker watches on, a lone figure, Mukyang, is lost in his own world, his hands a blur over the ancient strings, weaving a haunting, powerful tune that echoes through the silence. The air vibrates with each pluck, a symphony of raw emotion. A subtle tap, keeping perfect time. After the performance, the divine tracker, Mukyang, and his two loyal followers are seen sharing a meal, a moment of calm before the storm, perhaps. Mukyang, ever the stoic, finally speaks, thanking the tracker for the chance to share his music. The divine tracker, a knowing smile on his face, confesses Mukyang's music was a truly unique experience, making his journey worthwhile. But his demeanor quickly shifts, a serious glint in his eyes as he presses on, implying Mukyang might already know about the situation, making a long story unnecessary. Mukyang's brow furrows, a flicker of confusion crossing his face, demanding to know what situation the tracker is even talking about. But the divine tracker just lets out a hearty laugh, raising his cup in a move that's both jovial and utterly mysterious. The divine tracker, with an intense stare, declares it's been ages since he last saw Mukyang, hyped for this moment, but Mukyang just shrugs, having never actually met the guy, only heard the legends. In disbelief, the divine tracker demands to know if Mukyang seriously hasn't heard of him, the legendary seeker of all secrets, but Mukyang just doubles down on his truth. Meanwhile, the night outside is alive with subtle whispers, a cool breeze sweeping past ancient architecture. Back in the room, the divine tracker drops a deep question, challenging Mukyang on the ultimate ingredients for peak craftsmanship. Mukyang ponders it, then states that while top-tier materials are obvious, the real secret is the skill itself, declaring that's his final word. The divine tracker finds the answer fascinating, especially coming from a normal guy, which makes Mukyang ask if he's being called abnormal. The tracker just smiles, saying it's Mukyang's call, but he's definitely not normal right now. Mukyang, totally bewildered, just repeats the not normal part, confessing he's completely lost on the divine tracker's cryptic words. With a sly grin, the divine tracker then drops the bomb, asking if he can also label Mukyang as sword master, calling him the supreme swordsman. Mukyang drops the mic, declaring his chosen name with absolute conviction. The divine tracker, already turning, hints at the epic future, saying he's super curious what's next, and promises Mukyang won't be waiting long for the action to start. His eyes practically burning with insight, the divine tracker processes Mukyang's declaration, deciding he's thought about it long enough, and it's time for the next phase. With a decisive turn, the divine tracker makes his exit, dropping the ultimate command. Mukyang's mission starts now. A grand, traditional complex hums with activity. Banners snapping in the wind, creating an imposing, ancient vibe. Inside, Gong Sun Su ponders something deeply, a quiet his only immediate response. His eyes narrow, and he states, it's been ages since he's even heard a whisper of the Black Assassins. But Mukyang, ever the pragmatist, scoffs, calling the Black Assassins a meaningless name for a group that was always shrouded in secrecy. A gleaming, masterfully crafted sword sits nearby, a stark reminder of the power that underpins their reality. Gong Sun Su then pivots the discussion, demanding to know the Overlord's name, hinting at rumors of his demise, or even that he's already dead, making any previous caution utterly pointless. Mukyang's mind flashes back, a voice echoing, declaring an intense fascination with his swordsmanship. The flashback snaps into focus, a white-haired master, eyes gleaming, declares, I see. I'm even more interested in your swordsmanship now. Meanwhile, a stern, gray-haired patriarch acknowledges the white-haired man's words, yes, father. Gazing at the open heavens, the white-haired warrior boldly declares, I will now be entering into a match. Confused by the sudden challenge but undeterred, the white-haired master accepts, I don't know why you're so interested in my swordsmanship, but I'll accept your challenge. The gray-haired patriarch, turning to a young disciple, commands, I'll remember your sword. And Mei Jin, take my blade. Mei Jin, stunned, protests the overwhelming honor, how can a mere disciple like me wield something as sacred as your blade? The white-haired master corrects him, revealing the blade's true nature, this isn't an inheritance. It's a burden I must carry. The gray-haired father studies Mei Jin, sensing a shift in his very essence, your personality and aura are different from your younger self. The white-haired swordsman's eyes widen in utter shock, muttering in disbelief that he's never seen anything like this, never met anyone quite like him. Then, with a lightning-fast chuck, he whips out his sword, his gaze now razor-sharp. But Mukyang isn't backing down, oh no. He fires back, promising to unleash the full, mind-blowing potential of his swordsmanship. His stance screams raw power, a silent promise of the storm to come. The white-haired swordsman's grin widens, pure hype in his eyes, utterly impressed, knowing he's found the special challenge he's been craving. Mukyang, unfazed, just deadpans, a challenge. But before Mukyang can even blink, the white-haired swordsman explodes forward, his blade blazing with a golden, furious energy, a devastating impression lad, attack. Mukyang's eyes snap wide, caught off guard by the sheer speed and power, a rare moment of surprise flashing across his face. The white-haired swordsman keeps up the relentless pressure, his glowing blade a blur, a touch of disappointment in his voice that Mukyang hasn't shown his full hand yet. As the white-haired swordsman's attack surged forward, Mukyang braced himself, a blue energy shield flaring around him, ready for the impact. Meanwhile, the swordsman's hand tightened around his hilt, the weapon glowing with immense power as he prepared his ultimate technique, ready to unleash hell. With a roar, he unleashed the full might of his divine dragon, a golden, draconic aura erupting from him and surging towards his opponent with devastating force. The impact was immediate, Mukyang grunting as the golden energy slammed into his defensive barrier with explosive force. The two opposing forces collided in a blinding flash, the golden dragon tearing at the blue shield in an epic struggle. Mukyang was visibly pushed back, his shield cracking under the immense pressure, yet the swordsman remained unfazed, still pushing forward. The sheer power of the attack was staggering, leaving Mukyang to wonder if his opponent was already dominating the fight, an insane amount of power. His eyes glowing with effort, he realized the swordsman's mana was beyond what his enhanced senses could typically penetrate, a truly formidable foe. Observing Mukyang's struggle, the white-haired swordsman mused that his reputation as one of the 5 emperors of divine swordsmanship was well earned, knowing the battle was far from over, this was just the beginning. Unfazed, he unleashes a devastating counter, a blur of motion known as the tail of the dragon. The blade flashes, executing the precise movements of page 3, verse 1. Mana erupts, his sword blazing with raw lightning power, unleashing the sword decree. The blade pulses with overwhelming blue energy, fully charged and ready to unleash the sword decree. The white-haired swordsman grins, recognizing the immense power of the counter, but his confidence never wavers, knowing his foe still has fight left. His golden aura explodes, and he taunts, daring anyone to even try to block his ultimate strike. Meeting the challenge, the sword decree erupts. Techniques clash in a blinding, earth-shattering explosion, a cataclysm of pure energy. The impact rips through reality, a deafening Kong. The clash of titans detonates with an earth-shattering Kwang, unleashing a blinding explosion of raw power that rips through the air. Gong Sun Su, witnessing the sheer, unbridled chaos, can only stare in disbelief, muttering about the terrifying danger he's up against. But from the very epicenter of that cataclysmic blast, Mukyang bursts forth, completely unscathed, leaving his stunned foe to question reality itself. The white-haired swordsman stumbles back, his arrogance evaporating, forced to concede that his ultimate technique was utterly useless. Still watching, Gong Sun Su can only marvel, his mind racing with questions about just how far this man's power can go. But Mukyang isn't done. His blade ignites with an otherworldly glow, a weapon rumored to cleave through anything in existence. Then, with a roar, he unleashes the Flight of the Dragon, a whirlwind of speed and raw power, a move that shatters all expectations. Tapping into forbidden knowledge, he channels a torrent of dark energy, uttering the cryptic words, page 3, verse 2. And then, with a thunderous roar, he unleashes the Commanding Blade, a cataclysmic strike of pure, unadulterated destruction. The very fabric of reality rips open as a blinding surge of light blue energy explodes forth, unleashing the full, devastating power of his technique. His opponent's eye snaps wide, a terrifying, yellow glow reflecting the sheer, overwhelming power he's facing. Then, with a crushing, earth-shattering impact, Mukyang's blade, absolutely crackling with blue energy, connects with devastating force. The white-haired swordsman, still reeling from the blow, can only stare in disbelief, recognizing the legendary, Commanding Blade and questioning if this power is truly real. Even Mukyang himself is consumed by the sheer, untamed power of his own technique, plummeting headfirst amidst the pulsating blue aura. He plunges downward, a dark, unstoppable force against the swirling, humming vortex of his own creation. Gong Sun Su watches, his eyes burning with a mix of absolute awe and chilling dread, as he grasps the true, terrifying potential of the technique Mukyang is unleashing. The attack culminates in a catastrophic, blinding explosion, ripping through the very foundations of reality. Debris and chaotic energy absolutely erupt outwards, a brutal, undeniable testament to the devastating power of the Commanding Blade. The impact sends the white-haired swordsman flying back, a raw cry of shock torn from his throat. He barely holds on, his thoughts a desperate scramble, he has to pour everything he has into his defense, or this could be the end. But Mukyang isn't done. He roars, unleashing the vortex of the Supreme Dragon, a blinding blue energy swirling into existence. The sheer power of the technique explodes outward, consuming the battlefield. His gaze is locked on, pure, unadulterated power radiating from him. And the devastating blue aura surges, ready to obliterate anything in its path. The white-haired swordsman lets out a frustrated sigh, his eyes narrowed as he can't believe the audacity of those who'd interrupt his chill. He thought he was out, that he'd left all the drama behind for a peaceful existence, but nope, the universe had other ideas, forcing his hand. A subtle shift, a flicker in his eyes, and the decision is made, he's about to unleash the beast. Then, boom. A blinding white aura explodes from him, coiling with raw power as he gets ready to drop the hammer. His fist tightens, then bam. A lightning-fast strike, and the air itself screams with the force of the blow. Message delivered, he rockets away from the chaos, just a streak against the buildings. Hanging in the air, still radiating power, he surveys the scene below, checking out the results of his epic move. The white-haired swordsman was powering up, pulling in everything around him, a true force to be reckoned with. Mukyang spotted his opening, launching a lightning-fast, game-changing strike. But the swordsman's counter was absolutely insane, exploding in a blinding flash of pure power. The very ground beneath him shattered and tore apart, a maelstrom of dust and energy erupting from the sheer force. He observed as his attack ripped through the very fabric of space, slamming into Mukyang with devastating power. Taking in the aftermath, the swordsman's gaze sharpened on his opponent's altered expression. But even after that insane hit, Mukyang pushed himself up, admitting the swordsman's incredible power to strike like that, even while powering up. The white-haired warrior, cool as ice, revealed that he'd barely held back enough to keep the blow from being fatal. Mukyang admitted he'd still felt some of that power, which made the swordsman wonder if he was truly ready to keep this fight going. Mukyang, hand on the broken earth, lets out a frustrated groan, knowing the harsh truth of his predicament. But the white-haired swordsman, his form swirling with raw power, makes it clear, this fight is nowhere near finished. With energy crackling around him, he's shocked Mukyang is still on his feet, but the young warrior just explodes forward, a dark energy blur. With a furious cry, Mukyang unleashes a lightning-fast attack, his dark aura smashing into the swordsman's white defense. The swordsman, scoffing at his foolishness, meets the attack head-on, his power exploding, while Mukyang just keeps pushing with pure grit. Their combined forces erupt in a blinding flash, a violent collision of light and shadow. The sheer impact sends Mukyang flying backward, a dark energy trail marking his forced retreat. The swordsman, now fully unleashing his true might, becomes a conduit for raw power, enveloped in a massive, crackling lightning aura that absolutely dominates the air. His eyes blazing with intense power, he stares down at his opponent, a silent, crushing question hanging in the air, "Did you really think I was weak?" The ground beneath him explodes with the white-haired swordsman's lightning, a raw, agonizing surge of power that rips a scream from Mukyang. He recoils, face contorted in pure shock, unable to process the sheer, devastating force he just took. But the lightning aura, far from fading, only explodes, engulfing the entire area in a blinding, destructive storm. Overwhelming electrical energy absolutely saturates the space, weaving intricate, destructive patterns of pure power. The lightning hits a blinding crescendo, engulfing everything in its brilliant, destructive light. The white-haired swordsman just turns his back, his voice dripping with pure disdain as he calls his opponent a weakling. Battered but burning with resolve, Muqiang's mind races. How is this guy so impossibly strong? But despite the overwhelming power, he steels his resolve, ready to deflect the lingering attack. Then, a powerful impact erupts, as Muqiang attempts to counter or deflect the overwhelming force. Muqiang's defense shatters the lightning attack, leaving the white-haired swordsman utterly stunned. His arm, blazing with a subtle aura, slams the powerful lightning back, forcing the swordsman's hand to recoil violently. The swordsman's face twists in pure shock and rage, utterly baffled by how his opponent just shrugged off that devastating assault. As the dust clears and energy fades, Muqiang stands unyielding, his stance a rock-solid declaration of power. The sheer, raw force of his counter-defense blasts the white-haired swordsman backward, carving a furious trail through the ground. Suddenly, Gong Sun Su's voice cuts through the air, laced with concern, demanding to know why Muqiang seems so careless. The great sect leader watches his disciple, a rare intensity in his gaze, knowing Muqiang could crush any foe, yet he reminds him of the heavenly sword spirit's ultimate power, refusing to lower his sky-high expectations. He presses on, revealing the true core of the heavenly sword spirit is the sword itself, a brutal path to mastery, but one that promises unrivaled power. With the sword now blazing with golden energy, Gong Sun Su delivers the final truth: this blade is the will to protect the entire world. The sheer power of the blow sends the white-haired swordsman flying, his attire shredding under the immense pressure. He crashes down into the courtyard's heart. Barely catching himself on one knee, he grunts, "Didn't even let me get my sword back. You're seriously something else, kid." With a surprised look, the swordsman concedes, "My bad. I totally underestimated you." Muqiang, unfazed, shoots back, "Same here." But before the moment can even breathe, Muqiang explodes into action, his leg a lightning-fast blur, delivering a devastating blow. With a primal roar, he unleashes the full force of his attack. But the white-haired swordsman's eyes ignite with raw power, lightning erupting around him as he prepares for a shocking counterattack. They become a blur of pure combat, Muqiang's shadowy power colliding head-on with the swordsman's electrifying blue vortex. Then, a cataclysmic golden explosion detonates at their collision point, swallowing them whole in a tempest of unleashed energy. Muqiang drops like a meteor, his twin blades a blur as he unleashes a devastating aerial assault. But the white-haired swordsman isn't backing down, he's ready to meet the challenge, proclaiming he'll bloody Muqiang's weapon with his own. Blades collide in an explosive impact, the force ripping through the very atmosphere. It's a brutal test of wills, Muqiang's face a mask of pure focus, as his rival's hand ignites with raw power. His hand practically explodes with energy, as he unleashes his final attack. He screams, "Strike of the hidden dragon," a torrent of power erupting around him. Muqiang's eyes snap open, he knows that move. He clenches his sword hilt, ready to meet the storm head-on. And just like that, they're back in the thick of it, a mid-air ballet of destruction, their power shaking the very foundations of the arena. Muqiang unleashes his ultimate move, shattering wind, a devastating strike pulsating with raw power. Sending a colossal shockwave directly into the white-haired swordsman, who gets absolutely rocked by the explosive impact. A guttural "urgh" rips from his throat as blood explodes from his face, the sheer power of the hit absolutely crushing him. From the sidelines, Gong Sun Su's eyes practically pop out, while one of his disciples screams, "Master," in pure shock. The white-haired swordsman, absolutely reeling, has a terrifying realization: his defensive chi isn't just broken, this attack hit him with something far worse. Even with his body screaming in pain, he knows he's gotta move, and move now, a desperate fire igniting in his eyes. But Muqiang is absolutely relentless, his dual blades a blur as he keeps the pressure on, driving his foe back. Another devastating, energy-charged strike lands, absolutely blasting the white-haired swordsman with a blinding explosion of power. His face twists in pure agony, blood gushing as Muqiang's brutal assault completely breaks him. Wounded but unyielding, the white-haired swordsman digs deep, a desperate blue energy shield erupting around him as he braces for the next onslaught. Then, a cataclysmic surge of power explodes, a blinding white and blue light engulfing everything. But before the light even fades, Muqiang is already on the move, a dark, unstoppable force blurring through the aftermath, his cloak a storm behind him. Muqiang's face, now etched with a deep scar, reveals a fierce, unyielding resolve. He walks away, but not before a sincere thank you echoes in the air. He knows he wouldn't be here without them, admitting he'd never have found himself again, then asks the ultimate question: "Can you trust me?" The response is absolute, a declaration of his new identity: "You can always trust me. I am the hunter of Muqiang." Gazing skyward, he embraces his new path, declaring, "I get it. I'll trust you now. Hunter Muqiang. I'm going to get even stronger." Suddenly, he's cornered. A spiky-haired dude steps up, demanding he come meet some heavenly realm martial master. And then, insult to injury, someone calls his disciple, Mukyang, a total idiot. Meanwhile, the great sect leader, Gong Sun Su, makes a heavy promise, entrusting his son to someone, his voice echoing with resolve. Mukyang, eyes shut, can't believe it. Is he actually about to face a heavenly realm martial master? But then, pure shock hits him. A sudden, sharp gasp escapes his lips. Just like that, he's down. The white-haired swordsman looms over him, a chilling laugh hanging in the air. The victor's boots stay rooted to the ground. And it's not just him. Gong Sun Su is down too. A loyal follower screams in agony for his master. Even defeated, the great sect leader snarls, demanding to know why they're spouting such empty words, his face a mask of fury. Then, a massive crash. Mukyang's eye ignites with an electric blue glow, a silent, furious scream tearing through him. Mukyang, with a dark resolve, admits he can't keep his word, a grim reality setting in. But before he can react, he's instantly overwhelmed, multiple enemies pinning him down, a weapon at his neck. Trapped, he scans the battlefield, seeing one of his own already taken down. An enemy sneers down at him, but Mukyang's eyes ignite with a furious, golden glow, a silent promise of retribution. Then, a thunderous command rips from him, ordering an ally to grab his father's blade and escape, to warn their eastern brethren. Gong Sun Su and another warrior respond. The foe above him mocks his defiance, yet Mukyang's stare is pure steel, refusing to yield his fate. And just like that, he explodes into motion, breaking free and leaving the stunned attackers in his wake. But the chase is on, as a chilling order echoes, kill the boy. A furious roar rips through the air, bastard. Where do you think you're going? As the shout echoes, another pursuer, younger, gasps in utter shock, brother. Meanwhile, determined to break free, the escaping youth's hand clenches around his sword hilt, a bone-jarring crack echoing. With an explosive burst, he moves with blinding speed, a mere blur as he throws a quick glance back. His grip on the sword tightens even more, a faint red glow erupting from his hand as he blasts forward. From a safe distance, Gong Sun Su and a younger man watch the chaos unfold, the elder already strategizing their next move. As the chase intensifies, a voice from the pursuing horde screams, he's running away. Don't let him get away. With a final, desperate surge, Mukyang bursts through a doorway, sword ready, a primal cry of exertion escaping him as he pushes his escape to the limit. Behind him, two guards are sent reeling, one clutching the other, completely overwhelmed by the sheer speed of his escape. Mukyang faces off against Gong Sun Su, who immediately challenges him, demanding to know if he's just another disciple. Mukyang's eyes flash with defiance, his voice dripping with contempt as he retorts, "You're blind. I've got a massive future ahead of me." The masked guard, clearly fed up with the drama, lets out an exasperated sigh, grumbling, "Ugh, I'm just a guard." But Mukyang isn't backing down, he doubles down on his defiance, accepting the apology but making it clear he still has a shot at freedom. Gong Sun Su's temper flares, his voice sharp as he demands, "How can you even say that after getting caught?" Gong Sun Su and his guards start walking away, but not before he drops a final, chilling warning, "With your current power, you'll never escape this sect. Let's go back." Mukyang's face twists with resolve, his eyes burning with defiance as he snarls back, "I'm not going back to a place where I was just a tool." The masked guard, hearing Mukyang's outburst, can only manage a defeated, I apologize." Alone once more, Mukyang clenches his fists, his determination unwavering, "I will leave this sect." Mukyang, with his decision made, drops a final, chilling warning to Gong Sun Su about hidden eyes, then declares he's out. Mukyang disappears in a blur, leaving only a whisper of wind. Gong Sun Su and his crew are absolutely floored, the question, "Live," echoing in their minds. The white-haired swordsman, watching the whole thing go down, can only hope for a rematch when he's leveled up, his hand already on his blade. Shaking off the surprise, Gong Sun Su tells his squad it's time to bounce, a swift motion signaling their departure. Before they split, Gong Sun Su hits up Chief Norman, the sect's top martial arts master, for his take on what just happened. The crew then drops down from their perch, hitting the ground with a solid thump. As they walk off, Gong Sun Su ponders the whole thing, wondering how they even made it through such an intense fight, a fight his subordinates knew nothing about. The squad keeps moving, with the narrator dropping the bombshell that no one there actually grasped the real stakes of that battle. A sly grin spreads across Gong Sun Su's face as he announces everything's gonna be perfect, convinced that soon, no one will remember the real story of what went down. Mukyang makes his exit, but his parting words leave a lingering impact. Gong Sun Su confronts the white-haired swordsman, questioning his bizarre take on the situation, but the swordsman just calls it a blessing. That word, blessing, hits Gong Sun Su hard, forcing him to reconsider everything. He shouts that their master has been played, but the apprentice just looks confused, wondering what's really going on. Then, a sudden realization dawns on Gong Sun-soo, a look of pure shock mixed with understanding. Gong Sun-soo admits he can't keep this secret from the rest, and honestly, he's not even sure he wants to anymore. Elsewhere, the white-haired swordsman reveals to a shocked follower that Mukyang was actually giving them a chance at survival. Gong Sun-soo backs up Mukyang's final message, revealing he also commanded them to forget revenge. The follower's mind is blown, utterly unable to comprehend Mukyang's demand to abandon vengeance. Gong Sun-soo, back turned, absorbs the chilling news, every single attacker, annihilated. A cold sweat breaks, his eyes wide with pure, unadulterated shock. The chilling revelation continues, this man, impossibly, has reached the profound realm, and he's coming for them. A worried voice cuts through the tension, demanding to know the great sect leader's fate. An elder, hand on his shoulder, delivers the crushing blow, he was also killed. The sect leader gasps, utterly stunned. A grimace crosses the elder's face, this foe has surpassed even their legendary father. But the elder quickly pivots, commanding the sect leader to cast aside worry and instead focus on forging a new history, one where they defeat this formidable foe alongside their father. With newfound resolve, Gong Sun-soo snaps into action, declaring his understanding and issuing a thunderous command, gather everyone. Prepare for battle. From the moon-drenched courtyard of the ancient halls, a loyal subordinate's voice echoes, yes, sir. The grand edifice stands sentinel under the watchful moon, a silent witness to the coming storm. Mukyang is back. Fresh off his mission, he's welcomed home. He gets a shout-out for crushing his mission, and he just drops a cool, thank you. But elsewhere, the absolute boss, the leader of the demonic cult, is chilling on his throne, and he feels a disturbance in the force. Mukyang, ever the battle junkie, thinks back to his fights, knowing that even against the strongest, he'd rather go all out than just win. The cult leader, with a wicked grin, totally gets Mukyang's thrill for a good fight, and he's cooking up something. Then, with dark power erupting around him, he throws down the gauntlet, asking if Mukyang even has what it takes to beat the demon cult's top dog. And just like that, a golden, fiery aura sparks from Mukyang's hand, his own power revving up for the showdown. Han Jung-gil, the fearsome leader of the demonic cult, throws down the gauntlet, daring his foe to even think they can take him on. And as he speaks, a terrifying purple energy ignites around his hand, practically screaming raw power. But Mukyang just shrugs it off, retorting that maybe, just maybe, if this guy was his dad, he'd actually be a threat. Han Jung-gil's face twists into a chilling smirk, his eyes practically burning with a dangerous amusement at the sheer nerve of his opponent. His gaze snaps into razor-sharp focus, the earring in his ear glinting as his intensity skyrockets. Then, in a flash, Han Jung-gil strikes. A brutal hit sends Mukyang flying back, the impact shaking the very air. Mukyang's face contorts in agony, as dark, shadowy energy explodes around him from the sheer power of the hit. A subordinate's face twists in pure, unadulterated shock and rage. As even the mighty Han Jung-gil, leader of the demonic cult, flinches back in utter disbelief, his eyes screaming with an unexpected, chilling fear. From his opulent throne, he roars, demanding answers, what the hell was that? Mukyang, though, stands completely unbothered, casually shrugging off the whole ordeal as ridiculous. Han Jung-gil's chest visibly swells with a storm of conflicting emotions. Before he unleashes a guttural laugh, conceding Mukyang's sheer audacity, ha 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 ha. You truly are an arrogant bastard. But I suppose that's to be expected, since you did kill one of the 3 emperors of the Just faction. A deep, booming laugh reverberates through the entire chamber. As Han Jung-gil's eyes ignite with a malevolent red glow, a dark, menacing aura erupting around him as he challenges, what is it that you desire? Are you preparing for my punishment? He probes, but Mukyang's answer is instant and unwavering, no. He's all about that martial arts grind, straight up refusing to be anyone's subordinate, even if he's got the power to literally take over the world. Han Jung-gil just stares, pointing out that he's not even trying to use that insane power. Mukyang just shrugs, basically saying he's strong enough to do whatever he wants, and that means no bossing around or being the boss. But the demonic cult leader isn't backing down, hitting him with the classic, you gotta pick a side argument, leader or subordinate. Mukyang just shuts it down, declaring that if you can't make up your own mind, it's not a dilemma, it's just a straight-up problem. Han Jung-gil finally gives in, admitting that he'll eventually just be stuck training anyway. He keeps going, laying out how the demonic cult would be a total headache with all those subordinates, and being a leader would just make his life way too complicated and annoying. With a final, firm stance, Mukyang announces he's out. No subordinate, no benefits, just peace out. He's not letting anyone stop him, ready to level up his training and even get some top-tier steel for his gear. The demonic cult's swordsmanship wasn't just about fighting, it was about forging a living blade, a weapon that grew with its wielder, becoming an extension of their very soul. Mukyang's about to bounce, but Han Jung-gil isn't letting him off easy, demanding to know if he's really ditching the whole demonic cult. Mukyang just shrugs it off, declaring he's no one's pet or pupil, and he's out. He doubles down, explaining that leadership or subordination would just get in the way of his true calling, mastering martial arts. Han Jungil watches him go, thinking Mukyang might not crave power, but he's still got that demonic cult bite. If Mukyang ever unleashed his full potential, he'd be unstoppable, maybe even a top dog, but for now, he's just focused on grinding. Mukyang's eye flares with raw power, a blazing yellow as he lays down the law, don't even think about messing with him until his training is done. After dropping that mic drop warning, he ghosts the compound, disappearing into the horizon. Then, with a smirk, he whispers to himself, he's the vice leader now, apparently. He scrutinizes a dark, jagged stone, wondering if any cave could even produce something so unique, clearly different from anything he'd seen before. Elsewhere, Guak Hubium, an old face, can't help but wonder, just what Mukyang is up to now. Their paths collide, and Guak Hubium, with a knowing grin, declares, he's grown so much. Mukyang, totally caught off guard, shouts, Guak Hubium. It's been ages, and now this guy is the vice leader of the demonic cult. Unbelievable. Guak Hubium just shrugs off the whole situation as a total mess, but promises to lend a hand. With a fierce look, Guak Hubium makes it clear he's ready to get down to business and plan things out. The two warriors clink their bowls, sealing their pact with a resounding TTAAK. Guak Hubium claps a firm hand on Mukyang's shoulder, a powerful, unspoken pledge of backing. A rare, subtle smile plays on Mukyang's face, then his eyes drop, deep in contemplation. He sits there, a silent force next to Guak Hubium, as the sun bleeds across the sky. Guak Hubium lays it out, talking about loyalty to the demonic cult's leader, then challenges him, why aren't you doing it? A smirk plays on Guak Hubium's face, knowing full well Mukyang isn't bound by their rules. He presses on, realizing Mukyang is still the same, beholden to no one, completely unchanged. Then, in a flash, Mukyang is gone. Vanished. Leaving Guak Hubium and another warrior absolutely floored. Guak Hubium snaps back, furious, demanding to know the game, scoffing at the idea that Mukyang could hide from the vice leader of the demonic cult. Even his companions, a white-haired warrior and a woman, are taken aback, the warrior noting Mukyang's utterly silent presence. Guak Hubium spins around, only to find Mukyang right behind him, who coolly declares his choice, I'll go with Oboro. Guak Hubium's face splits into a massive grin, giving a triumphant thumbs up. I'm fine with that. Mukyang, ever the enigma, lays down a chilling warning, seriously, don't ever have hidden watchers on me again. His eyes briefly close, a silent declaration, and with that, I'm out. The scene shifts to a majestic, ancient structure, hinting at deeper power plays. Guak Hubium, cool and collected, casually drops a bombshell. A smirk spreads across his face, word is, he's already taken a life with pure, unadulterated bloodlust. Tack, a ghost stone clicks into place as he declares, honestly, I'm already a huge fan of the guy. Picking up another piece, he continues, even if you told me you were about to forge a whole new path for the demonic cult, I wouldn't even try to stop you. His gaze sharpens over the board, I thrive on chaos, not order. Wanna know why? The Go board reveals a complex strategy as he reveals, because the harder you try to control everything, the more it all just explodes in your face. The Go game is on, and Guak Hubium is dropping some serious wisdom. He's laying down the truth, we're all living in this wild world. But here's the kicker, once you drop a Baduk piece, that stone is locked in. No take-backs. He drives the point home, his gaze intense, reminding us that even with those pieces locked in, they stay put until the very end, until death. Mukyang's hand shoots out, a silent warning before the absolute chaos. And he spins, his long hair a dark blur, a primal roar tearing from his throat. Before anyone can even blink, he explodes into motion with a devastating kick, shattering an opponent's guard and sending them flying. He's a ghost in the fray, a whirlwind of fists and feet as he slams into another foe, his speed absolutely unreal. Then, a blinding, glowing strike erupts from him, connecting with bone-shattering impact. The sheer power of his assault sends multiple figures flying, their desperate URGA swallowed by the wind. He lands with impossible grace, while yet another foe crumples to the earth. His eyes, cold and sharp, track the final attacker's descent, the brutal, lightning-fast battle already over. He scans the area, one foe in sight, but a gut feeling tells him something's off. In a blur of motion, he's already standing over a pile of bodies, sword out, the fight over before it even began. A slight turn of his head, and he's already clocked the new arrivals, calling out their sneaky double team. And then, boom! A blinding explosion of power detonates from his spot. He's airborne, delivering a brutal kick, and the enemy doesn't stand a chance. Sword back in its sheath, he coolly declares the fight over and makes his exit. Meanwhile, a grizzled man and a young woman are talking, the man quoting him, and she's just shaking her head at his attitude. Orchid, the young woman, is deep in thought about her own powers, knowing her spirit is strong, but her attacks are deadly. But the man is still thinking about what makes a true master, wondering if his brother's leadership is lacking, and decides he's still nowhere near the top. Mukyang, with his signature dark ponytail, lays down the law to the hidden watchers, making it crystal clear he won't tolerate their sneaky surveillance. Having made his point, he declares his exit, while unseen voices chatter about 30-minute sessions, totally on board with the plan. But the scene shifts dramatically, revealing the epic Sunshine Cult's training hall. Deep within, amidst stacks of ancient knowledge, a frustrated voice complains that no matter the scroll, the mana within them all feels exactly the same. Poring over a complex, open scroll, he desperately wished the demonic sex texts would finally break the mold. Suddenly, a sharp-eyed man with a dark ponytail emerges from the shadows of the scrolls, vowing he'd never stoop to studying the same texts as his brother, especially after his brother's last opponent was such a joke. His eyes burning with ambition, he promises to unleash the real power of the Black Heavenly Demon cult. Mukyang just stands there, looking off into the distance, when suddenly a voice hits him with a cryptic question: "Are you really a chrysanthemum?" The voice then reveals its owner, Gwakubium, who came specifically for Mukyang, but then he flips the script, asking if Mukyang is his pupil. Gwakubium just laughs it off, totally rejecting the idea of being a student, and then he throws shade at Mukyang, wondering what kind of weak training he's been getting to be so naive. Gwakubium lets out a thoughtful HM, his face showing he's really thinking about something. Mukyang, completely chill, then brings up a massive boulder, calling it a piece of cake, his mind flashing to a grim scene of bones and skulls. Gwakubium's eyes pop open, a clear look of shock on his face at the unexpected challenge. Then, he gestures towards a magnificent tree in the southern lands, challenging Mukyang to count every single leaf in that entire forest. Mukyang, with a fierce look, just echoes the command, "Count all the leaves." Gwakubium reveals this is an ancient training method from the Black Heavenly Demon cult, designed to forge stronger disciples, but he drops a bombshell: the forest itself is a maze of powerful winds. He doubles down on the windswept nature of the forest, and even though there are only about 3,000 trees, he stresses that the challenge is just as insane as counting every single leaf. Gwakubium was still dropping wisdom bombs about becoming a true demon, but Mukyang was already over it. He just laid down the law about being watched, then dipped out like a boss. He shot a glance back, a smirk hinting at the challenge as he thought, impossible for mankind? Bet. He was totally going for it. Next thing you know, he's deep in the forest, surrounded by towering trees, and all he can think is, interesting. He stared up at the endless green, the mission echoing in his head: count the leaves, huh? He found a perch, scanning the endless foliage, ready to tackle this insane challenge. He zoned in, muttering the ancient chant, kicking off the Black Heavenly Demon cult's insane mental calculation technique, the only way to even attempt this madness. His hand flared with light, and a leaf just poofed into glittering dust, showing just how razor-sharp his focus had to be. One wrong move and he'd just obliterate the leaves instead of counting them. He's still deep in the forest, eyes scanning every single leaf, the sheer scale of this impossible task hitting him hard. Leaves rustle, the forest breathes, and he's soaking it all in, a deep realization hitting him like a truck. He gets it now, why the old man failed. But for him, this isn't just a task, it's the key, the ultimate training to master his martial arts. Pure power radiates from him, his focus razor-sharp. Then, a sudden, desperate thought flashes through his mind: he has to see it before he dies. But wait, what's that? Suddenly, the forest is gone. He's in a whole new place, a blazing forge workshop. An old master, hunched over his work, suddenly speaks, his voice filled with shame: "My skills, they're just not enough." He says it again, his face a mask of humility: "Please, forgive my lack of skills." Mukyang, seeing the elder's struggle, cuts straight to the chase: "What's the problem?" He just stands there, listening to the elder's desperate plea, who's practically begging him to see the truth, claiming he was ready to die but would have bolted if he knew what was coming. Hands clasped in a desperate plea, the elder practically grovels, begging for just one more shot, swearing he won't mess up this time. But the young master just shuts him down, saying he doesn't need to see anything, leaving the elder speechless, only able to stutter but as he repeats his death wish. With a heavy sigh, the elder finally just tells him to check it out himself. He reaches out, his hand moving towards a sword that's practically humming with power. He grips the blade, noting it's a solid piece, then cuts straight to the chase, asking what the real problem is. The sword practically hums in his grasp, a faint aura radiating from its edge. The elder, looking utterly baffled, explains the sword got tainted with both evil and demonic chi, making it a chaotic mess that doesn't align with anything anymore. He confirms the elder's fears, stating the demonic chi makes it useless for martial arts, then, with a chilling resolve, simply says, "Let's take it out." Mukyang stands, eyes locked on something below, a silent intensity building. He's still on the move, with the elder and Gwakubium right there, hiking a rugged trail beneath a wide-open sky. A casual yawn escapes him, showing just how little this situation phases him. Then, out of nowhere, a massive surge of blue energy explodes, absolutely bursting with raw power. The elder can't help but gasp, totally caught off guard by the sudden power surge. Mukyang is now the absolute center of this wild blue light, completely consumed by the sheer intensity of his own aura. He's unleashing the legendary Fists of 1,000 Moon, a concentrated vortex of pure, unadulterated power. The dazzling energy just keeps expanding, exploding outwards and absolutely purifying all that corrupted chi. The elder is absolutely stunned, realizing Mukyang isn't just purifying the evil chi, but the demonic chi too, and Gwakubium is just completely blown away. On the desolate beach, Mukyang's eyes pierce the air, instantly sensing a hidden presence. He's not having it, declaring his absolute distrust for anyone who tries to sneak up on him. But his focus shifts to the newly purified blade, and with a quick glance, he gives it his seal of approval. Not bad. Unbeknownst to him, the elder Gwakubium has been watching his every move, sensing a powerful, familiar energy and agreeing with Mukyang's distrust of hidden figures. Their eyes lock, and Mukyang drops a bombshell, introducing himself as Mukhan. After the intense introduction, he coolly sheaths the blade, promising to unleash its full potential. The world blurs as we cut to a dark, moonlit forest, a new journey beginning. Through the silent, eerie woods, Mukhan strides, his mind already racing with plans and the weight of his new name. His trek ends as he arrives at a grand, traditional building, a new chapter about to unfold. His golden eyes flared with raw power, a low sound escaping him as he instantly locked onto the residual energy signatures. Elsewhere, Gwakubium was deep in thought, a spectral figure manifesting right beside him, a chilling reminder of battles fought. Mukyang's eyes burned, his mind racing. Normally, these guys would be a serious threat, but something felt off, like their power was fading fast. Still, he could tell the real deal from the fakes. Gwakubium kept talking, a shadow of past battles in his tone, confessing he'd faced 3 of these types, including a demonic cult leader, and honestly, some of those cult bosses had straight up scared him. Mukyang's fist tightened, barely noticeable, his eyes dropping as he took in every heavy word from the old man. A steely resolve flashed across his face, his expression locking into pure, unyielding determination. Under a vast, star-dusted sky, the question echoes, are they just waiting for us to walk right in? With a determined gaze fixed on the building ahead, Mukyang makes his move, walking straight into the trap. A sharp, creaking sound cuts through the air, as he clutches his bloodied arm, clearly having already been through a brutal fight. His blood-stained blade held firm, he scoffs, daring his opponent not to make him laugh, declaring that if they outlast him, they'll be the first. Still bearing the brutal marks of battle, Mukyang stands, his robe torn and splattered with crimson, his sword poised for more. Facing him, equally battered, Gwakubium issues a stern command, demanding he hand over his sword. With a bloodied face and a determined glint in his eyes, Gwakubium boasts that everyone who's ever fought him is now lying on the ground, finally defeated. Injured but defiant, Mukyang announces his departure, throwing shade at anyone lurking in the shadows, watching his every move. A subtle smirk plays on his face as he doubles down, he's out of here. Suddenly, Gwakubium, looking just as beat up, appears, commenting on Mukyang's wounds and flexing about how he's taken down legends, even the absolute strongest. He keeps going, claiming no one ever gets away from him, especially once they're in his trap. Then, Gwakubium challenges Mukyang's chances of escape, considering how messed up he is. A huge grin breaks out, and he jokingly tells Mukyang to at least make it entertaining. Then, in a totally unexpected move, Gwakubium throws an arm around Mukyang's shoulder. Mukyang looks stunned as Gwakubium just casually says, hee. Thanks. Then, he suggests they both get some medical attention, a total curveball that hints at a truce. The tension from Gwakubium's sudden offer still thick, but Mukyang cuts through it, telling the others to check on the wounded warrior, then calling out the hidden observer. Gwakubium, now upright, grapples with his wounds, a blue aura flickering around him as he questions the source of the demonic mana. His thoughts race, absolving his attacker, believing it was purely self-preservation, a fight for survival with no true fault. Mukyang, with a slight frown, cuts off any lingering debate, insisting they focus on the immediate task of treating the injured warrior. A confident smile spreads across Mukyang's face, declaring the immediate danger over, a pronouncement that draws a sigh of relief from Gwakubium. A hand rests reassuringly on his shoulder as Gwakubium can only manage a simple, grateful yes. Elsewhere, a young woman, still recovering, sends a silent thank you, speaking for her sister. Mukyang beams, genuinely pleased to have made a difference. His work done, Mukyang departs, leaving the resolved conflict behind him, observed by Gwakubium and the grateful young woman. He's deep in thought, analyzing the 3 sect members and their wildly different cultivation techniques. What's the deal? But then, a familiar voice cuts through the silence. Vice Leader. It's me, Orchid, she announces, hinting at a major revelation. He's taken aback, realizing her deception was for his own good, as she couldn't abandon him after all he'd done. With a quick thanks from her, he gives a casual okay and starts to walk away. Orchid, however, isn't done, asking if he's on the hunt for someone specific. She drops a bombshell, revealing a shocking rumor: the demonic cult is actively searching for someone. He immediately presses for details, demanding to know if anyone else here is privy to this explosive information. Orchid confirms the worst: the top brass of the demonic cult and even their own sect leader are in on it. This changes everything. He knows he has to move fast and wrap up his current mission, because things just got serious. Still reeling from the revelation, he lays down the law: for future reference, please do not have people who hide their presence keep watch over me. Then, with a decisive turn, he announces, I shall now take my leave. Orchid, clearly flustered, tries to justify, but I was only trying to be careful. And a girl, at that. Could it be? But he's having none of it, his gaze intense. I don't care if it's a girl or a boy. I hate it when people hide their presence and keep watch over me. The realization dawns on her, a chilling thought: could it be? A quiet, almost grim acceptance escapes him. I see. With a steely resolve, he promises, I understand. I'll be careful, before adding, I'll be back soon, as he strides away. Orchid's face twists with concern, a desperate thought forming: if it really is that man. I can't leave him to go alone. The majestic mountains stretch endlessly, bathed in the golden glow of a setting sun. On a treacherous mountain trail, a weary voice breaks the silence: how much longer do we have to walk? As they press on, side by side, he offers a rare, simple, thank you. Then, ever practical, he advises, preserve your mana, as their journey continues. He stands ready, blade at his hip, a silent challenge to the world. Eyes like daggers, he coolly notes their unexpected guests. Suddenly, two figures appear, one battered and bleeding, propped up by his comrade, who reveals the injured man's identity: 19 Aura, Archer. Mukyang's eyes narrow, then he coolly tells Orchid to take a look. Archer lets out a pained groan. Orchid, ever the pragmatist, questions if they really don't need to be on guard, but he just shrugs it off, claiming he's not going to hurt anyone. He asserts that if he'd wanted trouble, it would already be over, while Orchid carefully handles a mysterious box. Her eyes widen, a silent huh escaping her lips as she stares at the unexpected gift. He clarifies that this meeting was a surprise, so he couldn't prepare anything better for them, hinting at the box's contents. He simply tells them to just take it, with a chilling addendum: for the time they have left. He spins around, laying down a stern warning: next time, no more hidden watchers. Gwack Hubium immediately bows his head in apology, as Orchid, confused, asks for clarification. Having made his point, he simply states, I shall now take my leave, leaving Gwack Hubium stunned by the sheer, overwhelming force he'd just experienced. He's gone in a flash, leaving only a lingering, take care, in the air. Back on the road, Orchid nudges Gwack Hubium, curious about his thoughts. But then, something sparkly catches her eye: a dazzling necklace and a hairpin, making her slam on the brakes. The bustling market is a sensory overload, and these shiny trinkets are practically screaming her name. Mukyang appears beside her at the busy stall, a bit bewildered by her sudden fascination. Eyes wide with longing, Orchid exclaims, I want them. But a sassy little girl in a bear hat cuts her off. Ha! You're way too young for that stuff. The little girl, still eyeing the shiny trinkets, huffs, these are for when you're a real adult. With an earnest gaze, Orchid vows to level up, to become even stronger. But Mukyang, ever the provocateur, just smirks, daring her to regret such a bold promise. Their hands lock, a pinky promise sealing the deal. But as he turns to walk away, she can't help but call out, a worried master escaping her lips. The protagonist continues his solitary trek, leaving the two behind to watch him vanish into the horizon. A curious voice from off-screen cuts through the silence, wondering aloud if the girl was his daughter. Gwack Hubium sets the record straight: an adoptive daughter, yes, but then he sighs, regretting her choice to join the Nine Earth sect. Meanwhile, the protagonist, now on his own, ponders her destiny, hoping she'll forge her own path as a formidable martial artist. He lets out a heavy sigh, the harsh realities of their world weighing on him, as he pushes deeper into the dense forest. Out of nowhere, two figures, one an archer, burst from the shadows, launching a surprise attack. But Mukyang is already moving, his counterattack lightning fast. Elsewhere, a serious figure with a sharp gaze and slick back hair speaks with authority, calling out to a vice leader and revealing that their sect's top dog is watching. He then cuts to the chase, asking if they're ready for a crucial mission. Suddenly, a fierce-looking man with fiery orange hair and a wicked scar, his hand hovering over a Baduk game, declares that in the game of Baduk every single piece is absolutely vital to victory. The Baduk pieces are perfectly set. He presses on, a piece clutched in his hand, insisting that any Baduk piece that can't defend itself, no matter how insignificant, is doomed to fall. His face hardens, declaring that any such weak piece has no place in their sect. A dark, swirling aura, deep purple and black, explodes from a lone figure, its power absolutely insane. This unique energy, unlike anything else, possesses a raw strength that just laughs at conventional martial arts or magic. Meanwhile, Orchid is freaking out, saying the Blood Eyes sect leader has gone totally insane, and the sect leader just casually confirms the demonic cult is about to unleash chaos. The news spreads like wildfire, hitting Guak Hubiam, who's already got a disciple by the collar, looking furious. He's grilling this disciple, who's been loyal for a decade, about his next move now that the demonic cult leader has lost it, straight up asking, "What are you gonna do?" Even the vice leader gets the urgent intel: the Blood Eye sect leader of the demonic cult has officially lost his mind. The vice leader is absolutely fuming, a storm brewing inside him as he grapples with the sheer audacity of it all. He gets it, he had his reasons, but seriously, did they have to use his weapons? And then just take them? He turns, a sharp glint in his eye, thinking, did they even think about what would happen? The consequences? Anything. His head drops, a silent challenge in his stance: is being a transcendent some kind of free pass to do whatever you want? His eyes flash with pure rage, but he fights to keep his mind from exploding, desperately trying to calm himself down. Across the land, a terrifying dark aura explodes from the Blood Eyes sect leader, his power absolutely overwhelming, and he's just casually thinking about the demonic cult's 1,000 skilled disciples. He just waves a hand, dark energy sparking, like, who cares about any of this? My Blood Eye technique is done. The vice leader just turns and walks off, a bitter thought hanging in the air: maybe they should have just stayed with the demonic cult after all. The Blood Eye sect leader's face twists, his red eyes absolutely blazing with insane power and pure arrogance. He just laughs off any challenge, like, "You're not even worth my time, peasant." With an iron will, Mukyang's face is a mask of defiance, refusing to back down. Then, a voice interjects, trying to take control, but not without a sharp challenge to Mukyang's stubbornness, demanding to know if he's really going to keep pushing back. Suddenly, the Blood Eye sect leader manifests, a terrifying silhouette engulfed in a violent purple energy, his eyes blazing with pure, unholy red power, casually allowing them to proceed with a terrifying calm. But Mukyang isn't backing down, asserting that the captive will not be reduced to a mere prisoner, and he will never bend the knee. The Blood Eye sect leader's power surges, his crimson eyes burning with an almost insane intensity, triggering a gasp of disbelief about his true, terrifying nature. With eyes that could melt steel, the Blood Eye sect leader coldly states that their disobedience has become his ultimate curse. With Mukyang surrounded by other martial artists, the vice leader bows to the Blood Eye sect leader, then pivots to Elder Hyun, vowing that Mukyang's outrageous actions will absolutely not go unpunished. The Blood Eye sect leader's terrifying red gaze locks onto someone new, commanding Elder Hwangjae to stay put. Elder Hwangjae, his face grim, simply nods, his orange eyes betraying no surprise at the order. Mukyang, completely unfazed, lays down the law: no more hidden watchers. Then, with absolute confidence, he declares he's out. Activating his signature moon shadow, he just walks away like it's nothing. But the Blood Eye sect leader isn't done yet, dropping a new mission: get to Naekyeong, stay hidden, and protect his adoptive daughter at all costs. And the orders keep coming. He demands surveillance on Mukyang's mother's associates and her own mother, stressing that speed is key. Meanwhile, Mukyang, completely oblivious to the new intel mission, announces his own trip to Naekyeong in a month, demanding updates before he even leaves. The subordinate, taking it all in, snaps back with a crisp, "Understood." Turns out, the crucial mission to keep tabs on Mukyang's family was handed directly to Elder Hwangjae, a top-tier elder of the Blood Eye sect. Back at the sect, the Blood Eye sect leader is chilling with a muscular dude, who's apparently just a bit older than Mukyang, and he's got some serious muscle. His mind, however, is clearly elsewhere, fixated on one thing: that damnable cult. As Mukyang makes his move, the blonde attendant tries to play it cool, claiming their job is all about intel gathering for the sect. They double down, insisting it's just part of the job. But Mukyang's no fool, and the attendant has to concede he's sharp. Mukyang, though, lays down the law, making it crystal clear he wants no more secret watchers. Message sent, he's out. Vanishing into the shadows. The attendant just shrugs, telling him to do whatever he wants. Mukyang, casually adjusting his blade, tells them to chill out: it's just a habit, no biggie. With Mukyang gone, the attendant immediately snaps to attention, probably reporting to a hidden boss, demanding orders and reasserting their role as the sect's top intel gatherer. Mukyang, ever the sharp one, clocks his watchers, letting them know he's fully aware of their little game. Then drops a chilling warning: they better be ready for whatever comes next. Fast forward 10 days, and our hero, along with 20 other martial arts legends, is on a road trip straight to the Nanyang region. But wait, there's more. On the way, Mukyang picks up a new skill, learning the zither from none other than the legendary sound beauty, Seol Yakbayok. Seol Yakbayok reveals the zither's secret: it's not just music, it's mind control. A weapon that can sway hearts with its melody, making it super dangerous. Forget traditional martial arts, this instrument is the real deal, a weapon you can actually master. That's why Mukyang decided to go all in on the zither, betting it would be his secret weapon for conquering the Nanyang region. Switching scenes, a serious-looking dude is surrounded by ancient scrolls. As another guy hands him a fresh stack of intel. The recipient confirms it's all the intel they asked for, promising his bearded colleague he'll get it straight to the elders. The journey presses on. Mukyang is locked in, mastering the zither, with Seol Yak Bayok right there, dropping knowledge bombs on its hidden powers. But elsewhere, a sharp-eyed master from the Divine Earth sect is watching, a sudden, blinding flash of realization hitting him. Way up high, the sun blasts golden light across epic mountains. Then dips down to show a peaceful village chilling among the trees. The Divine Earth sect master, buried in intel, is totally focused on Mukyang's whereabouts, confirming he's in the northern region and that the Blood Ice sect is going wild on the borders. Meanwhile, a maiden from the Divine Earth sect is making waves, having flat-out rejected a marriage proposal from her own elders. The master, looking furious, just scoffs at her foolish move, openly admitting he only saw her as a disposable pawn. Suddenly, he's cut off by an unseen force, demanding to know what he's even doing in the Divine Earth sect. Meanwhile, the maiden is totally shocked as a voice booms, telling someone she's not for you, and asking if she's up for whatever's coming. Mukyang's mind races, dissecting the Divine Earth sect's facade of refinement, knowing their master's wooden sword is no mere toy, but a symbol of the true danger lurking within. But the master of the Divine Earth sect isn't so refined, towering over a young disciple and barking orders. The poor kid, completely unprepared, is frozen in terror as the master looms. A chilling realization dawns on Mukyang, his eyes flaring with a dark, ominous energy as he understands the Blood Eye sect's reach extends even here. His eye burns crimson, a sinister smirk playing on his lips as he embraces the chaos. The young disciple can only whimper, his wooden sword uselessly falling from his grasp. But before the master can even land a blow, Mukyang is there, his blade intercepting the attack with a deafening tang. A blur of motion, he unleashes a furious counterattack, sending the master reeling back, who now understands this intruder is no mere disciple. A chilling smirk spreads across his face, his crimson eyes burning with power as he dominates the fight. Mukyang, with an intense gaze, lays down the law, no more hidden watchers. He's making his exit, but not without a powerful statement. But just as the young disciple is basking in his glory, he lets out a triumphant shout, absolutely certain he's clinched the win. Suddenly, a lightning-fast strike rocks him, and he's left stunned, yelling that he didn't even feel the blow. A sharp tack from Mukyang's blade is the only evidence of the impossible speed. Leaving the disciple flat on his back, as Mukyang's words hit harder than the strike itself, declaring him a mere novice. Totally bewildered, the disciple is left speechless, unable to comprehend the invisible attack. Mukyang, towering over him, declares it's time for a real lesson, something crucial. With a chilling, calculating look, he muses on the disciple's fate, wondering what comes next for him. Terrified and utterly defeated, the disciple's only plea is for someone to save him. A subtle shift, and the world changes. Revealing a massive slab of fresh meat, prime for the taking. Meanwhile, an old sage with a flowing grey beard lays down the law to Mukyang, anyone hiding their presence is a criminal, and he just spotted one. But Mukyang's not buying it, not for a second. The elder scoffs, calling Mukyang an idiot, then doubles down, declaring that you can't judge a book by its cover, and he always knows a good person when he sees one. Outside, a cow just chills, munching on grass. While Mukyang, completely unfazed by the elder's wisdom, flat out says he's not even going to bother watching this whole thing play out. The elder's jaw drops with a huh, then he explodes with a frustrated ft. Is it, before telling Mukyang to get a grip. A vendor, clearly stressed, desperately tries to offload his rice to anyone who will listen. He's shocked when money is even mentioned, brushing it off as a problem for later, just wanting to get rid of his goods. But elsewhere, Mukyang, with a subtle, knowing smirk, makes his decision, it's time to bounce. The vendor, still caught in his own personal drama, can't even fathom selling rice with everything going on. Across town, a nervous guy is sweating bullets outside a building, knowing he's in deep trouble if he messes up this mission. His eyes suddenly pop open in pure panic, a shocked, huh, escaping him. A tough, grizzled elder with a serious look on his face demands to know, is this the Divine Earth sect? He then barks orders at the worried guy, go get some rice and bring it back to me. No room for argument there. The worried man freaks out about the Divine Earth sect, convinced getting caught means certain death, but the elder, with a dramatic gesture, blames their whole mess on him. A new player enters the game. This is sect leader Jin Yang, and he's not messing around. But the Blood Eye sect leader, glowing with a sinister green energy, is already on edge, furious that the Divine Earth sect has gone too far. Jin Yang is visibly shocked by the revelation, utterly stunned by the audacity. The Blood Eye sect leader's rage boils over, promising to make whoever did this pay dearly. But Orchid, always thinking ahead, urges everyone to chill out and hear them out before jumping to conclusions. She's weighing the options between the demonic cult and the Divine Earth sect, thinking a peaceful talk might actually be the move. Jin Young can't believe what he's hearing, his face screaming, "Are you serious right now?" Orchid, with a crowd of worried faces behind her, admits it's not going to be easy. As night falls and stars blanket the sky, a mysterious building looms in the distance, setting the stage for what's next. The high-stakes meeting raged on in the opulent chamber, every breath charged with tension. His face a mask of fury, the Blood Eye sect leader absolutely ripped into the idea of negotiation, roaring about the Divine Earth sect's exposed treachery and how dare they even think of talking. Watching the explosive outburst, Mukyang coolly assessed that the old man was totally consumed by rage. Orchid, however, was already calculating the enemy's moves, mentally listing the demon of withered leaves, the demon cult's absolute strongest, and that stunning woman with the godlike beauty. Then, it clicked for her, that beautiful woman was none other than Seo Yak Bayak, the legendary sound beauty. The Blood Eye sect leader's mind was a whirlwind, he couldn't fathom why these absolute powerhouses would even bother with negotiations when they could just crush them. But Mukyang wasn't buying it, he was convinced they were just stalling, playing for time, not actually negotiating. The Blood Eye sect leader slammed his fist down, his fury erupting at the blatant trickery. He then declared that if a man of such godlike beauty was here, he had to be from Gamna, no doubt about it, hinting at a place of significant power or infamy. The sect leader's eyes practically pop out of his head as he reads the scroll, the name, Demon of Withered Leaves, Hyuk Murang, hitting him like a truck. Mukyang's eyes are locked on the text, a skeptical smirk playing on his lips as he's challenged for his take. But Orchid isn't having it, she's all about caution, her voice cutting through the tension as she demands they brace for the absolute worst. The sect leader's hands are practically vibrating over the scroll, his brain on overdrive, trying to figure out if this is all just a massive setup. He's calling it out, the Divine Earth sect is just playing games, trying to lull them into a false sense of security, and Elder Huang Jie is all ears, wondering if it's true. Then, it hits him like a lightning bolt. Seo Yak Bayak, the sound beauty, flashes into his thoughts, her eyes burning with a sinister red glow, a dark, swirling aura radiating from her, and he remembers her devastating reputation in the north. Once she's in motion, it's game over. The sect leader's knuckles turn white as he clenches the scroll, every word on it screaming confirmation of his darkest suspicions about the Divine Earth sect. The scroll keeps spilling the beans on the Divine Earth sect's real game, hammering home the fact that their master has been wreaking havoc in the northern region. Orchid reveals the shocking truth, even with his trust, the previous sect master was forced into a compromise. The audacity. They had no idea their secret was out, thinking they could just stall for time. The sect leader's grim nod confirms it, his suspicions were right all along. Mukyang clarifies, the Divine Earth sect's master was only targeted because he dared to disrupt their northern region. Orchid drops another bombshell, identifying the disciple, Seo Yak Bayak, as the legendary sound beauty. A dismissive scoff escapes him, they actually believe they can just ignore this whole mess. The scene shifts to the sect's courtyard, where guards stand vigilant around a mysterious central point. Flames erupt from a brazier, casting an ominous, flickering glow. Before the roaring flames, Orchid makes a solemn vow, she will uphold her position within the demon cult. Meanwhile, the Blood Eye sect leader is absolutely fuming, can't believe the Divine Earth sect is still playing these games after their last master got played so hard. He's totally questioning their nerve, sending some sound beauty to deal with them. Seriously? The sect leader's mind then flashes to the young infiltrator in the demonic cult, a total martial arts prodigy, but still just a human, not some god-tier threat. Mukyang, looking seriously intense, processes the sect leader's rant, totally getting how arrogant the Divine Earth sect is for sending a sound beauty into the demonic cult's territory. The sect leader, still chilling on his massive throne, keeps dropping orders like a boss. He's really hammering home how serious this is, every word dripping with his absolute power. Later, chilling in some hidden bushes, Elder Huang Jie hits Mukyang with the real talk, asking if he's actually ready for the insane mission coming his way. Mukyang's eyes are locked on the ground, his brain going a million miles an hour, totally stressing about this mission and what happens if he messes up. Elder Huang Jie keeps going, dropping one last crucial tip, telling him straight up not to let the Divine Earth sect mess with his head. The old man screams, desperately fighting back, but Mukyang's relentless kicks just keep coming. He collapses, body racked with agony, every bone screaming as he tries to endure the relentless beating. Suddenly, a new, sinister voice cuts through the chaos, laying down a chilling ultimatum, spill the beans to your grandfather, and you walk free. But Mukyang isn't having it, not for a second. He lands another devastating kick, his eyes burning with defiance as he screams for the man to spread the terror. The elegant man in green steps closer, a chilling smirk spreading across his face, vowing to make the poor soul scream until he breaks. Then, with a terrifyingly casual move, he clamps a hand on the man's shoulder, green energy erupting as he unleashes pure agony. A blood-curdling scream rips from the victim's lungs, his face contorted in pure horror as the pain skyrockets. Even through the searing pain, the man somehow manages to beg for mercy, for it all to stop. The elegant man's grip tightens, his eyes burning, as he drops a bombshell. "That kid is my grandson. How dare you cross him?" The older man's screams rip through the air, a raw testament to his torment or sheer defiance. A hand cuts through the air, a silent, chilling command to halt, as a voice, deceptively calm, asks for a brief pause. Just a few steps away, a mysterious woman with flowing dark hair observes the grim spectacle, a chilling, almost predatory smile gracing her features. Mukyang's gaze drops, a rare hint of disbelief flashing across his face, as he grapples with how the old man could possibly still be alive after everything. His hand shoots out, a chilling promise in his tone, vowing to shatter the little brat's bones if he dares to resist. The young man, the direct target of the chilling threat, recoils instantly, his eyes blown wide with sheer terror. A brutal, bone-jarring impact echoes. While the Blood Eyes sect leader observes the scene from his vantage point, a sinister red aura subtly pulsing around him. The young man crumples, blood already streaking his face, his voice a desperate, shocked cry of, "How could you do this after all our training?" Even after everything, the archer's spirit refuses to break. His fist clenches, dripping blood, as a furious red aura explodes around him, his voice a raw, defiant roar against his torturers. The Blood Eyes sect leader's face twists in pure agony, shouting that this is absolutely ridiculous. He's begging for just a few more minutes, but then his resolve snaps. He's not standing by anymore. How can he even call himself a sect leader if he can't protect his own grandson? But as the leader tries to walk away, the Divine Earth sect maiden steps in, demanding to know how long he's going to keep abusing him. She points out it's already been 30 minutes. The maiden closes her eyes, a soft click echoing her intense focus. All within the serene, ancient walls of the sect's compound. Mukyang sits, head down, as a soft voice commends his incredible endurance, recognizing his sheer willpower. The Divine Earth sect maiden then gently places her hand on his head, offering to guide his meditation, telling him to keep going. The Blood Eyes sect leader is absolutely crushed, his face a mask of pure anguish as he grapples with the brutal reality of Mukyang's suffering, questioning everything, even their familial bond. But the Divine Earth sect maiden is laser-focused on his progress, witnessing his insane speed in mastering the devoid spirit cultivation technique. This isn't just any technique, she reveals, it's a mental fortress, blocking out all corruption. And that's not all, it lets him devour internal presence, a game-changing move that lets him absorb the very essence of others, catapulting him into the cultivation realm. Then, she turns to the sect leader, demanding answers about Mukyang's brutal past, because a technique this powerful demands a history of unimaginable pain. Suddenly, a brutal memory hits, the archer's own hellish journey through this process, the sheer agony and the terrifying risk of any outside disruption. Mukyang's hand ignites with raw power, a blazing symbol of the maiden's crucial intervention, stopping the sect leader's reckless approach just in time. The maiden lays it all out, her guidance is either a blessing or a calculated power play. The archer's mind races, a desperate plea for forgiveness burning within him, praying Mukyang's new power means a different fate next time, but he's still utterly bewildered. The cultivation is finally over. The Divine Earth sect maiden announces their mission accomplished, and the Blood Eyes sect leader is ready to bounce. One last look at the protagonist, and she's firm, time to jet. The sect leader is practically bowing in thanks for her guidance, especially for letting his wild plan play out. But the maiden just shrugs, saying that chaos was exactly what the kid needed to level up. Then, a genuine apology from him, for any headaches he might have given her. She takes his apology in stride, but not before dropping a reminder about their deal to return the disciple, then a cool, "See you next time." Chat over, they're out. Robes swishing as they go. Walking away, the sect leader can't help but wonder about the maiden's weird vibe, especially her indecent actions with the kid. But the maiden's mind is elsewhere, questioning the sincerity of his comments as they keep moving. Overhead, the night sky is a silent, starry canvas. The Divine Earth sect maiden and the Blood Eyes sect leader are gearing up to leave with their crews, and one of her subordinates is already asking if the mission's wrapped up. But the sect leader's like, "Nah, you guys head back first," while the maiden's subordinate is just confirming their own sect leader's urgent recall. The Blood Eyes sect leader then drops the bomb, he's handling the rest solo, and the maiden's subordinate just snaps to attention, understood. She's made up her mind, telling her crew to head back to base without her, her tone leaving no room for argument. Then, she pivots to the Blood Eyes sect leader, asking for a quick chat with Vice Leader Mukyang, which totally catches the old man off guard, making him blurt out, "Huh?" Her face does this little flicker of surprise, maybe at his shock, or maybe at the sheer audacity of her own plan. She lays it all out, she wants a travel buddy and some hidden lessons, promising to tell her sect leader she'll be late after she's done with her business. Meanwhile, Mukyang is already galloping off on his horse, a voice from nowhere yelling, "Vice Leader Mukyang." His horse's hooves are just hammering the ground, blazing a trail deeper into the wild. The Blood Eye sect leader just watches his crew bail, totally unfazed, waving them off like it's nothing. As their footsteps disappear, the Divine Earth sect maiden confronts Mukyang, demanding to know his next move. He brushes her off, but she's not having it, revealing her mission to collect the mysterious DMT and remnants. A mission she thinks he's on too, and they need to team up. But Mukyang? He's just annoyed she's still there. She keeps pushing, suggesting they'd be better off joining the main group to power up their forces. But her plea is met with a stone-cold refusal. He just flat out tells her he's got this, solo. The Blood Eye sect's massive compound stood, seemingly tranquil, but a storm was brewing just beneath the surface. Inside, the Blood Eye sect leader was getting updates, casually dismissing his subordinate, unaware of the chaos about to erupt. But then, without warning, the entire compound was rocked by a cataclysmic force, as a massive explosion tore through the building. The subordinate, caught completely off guard, could only watch in stunned horror as the sect crumbled. The destruction intensified, with entire sections of the building imploding. And from the heart of the chaos, a powerful figure descended, making their presence known. It was none other than Mukyang, his eyes blazing with a terrifying red glow and dark energy radiating from him, declaring his presence to all. Wielding a sword crackling with electric blue energy, he laid down his ultimatum: the Blood Eye sect would pay their debt to the Iron Over Mountain sect. And before anyone could even process his words, he struck like lightning, his glowing sword already tearing into an opponent who screamed in shock, utterly bewildered by his sudden appearance and power. Absolute chaos erupts as a devastating force rips through the Blood Eye sect compound, screams echoing through the destruction. Inside, the Blood Eye sect leader is completely blindsided, his subordinate frantically urging him to move, confirming the enemy is here for him. Then, a chilling voice slices through the pandemonium, mockingly asking if this was the man who put a bounty on his head, just to get a personal introduction. The sect leader's jaw drops, pure shock radiating from him, a surge of blue energy flaring as he barely manages to gasp, "Be bounty." Then, a terrifying realization dawns on him, his face contorting in pure dread, as he finally understands who stands before him. And there he is, Mukyang, radiating a menacing dark aura, his glowing blue sword humming with power, the legendary warrior who absolutely crushed the Sword Emperor of Divine Thunder. His sheer presence is a declaration of war, a living legend of overwhelming power. Mukyang doesn't hesitate, his blade flashing as the subordinate screams a desperate challenge, but it's too late, the sect leader can only flinch back as the strike comes down. With a shattering impact, the strike lands. The Blood Eye sect leader's face twists into a mask of pure rage and agony, his crimson eyes blazing as Mukyang's attack absolutely rocks him. Shaking off the blow, he snarls, "Who are you?" Before Mukyang can even respond, a new challenger appears, asking if he's the sect leader, then quickly clarifying, "I'm the subordinate of the Golden Dragon sect." Mukyang, completely unfazed, coolly declares, "Then this has nothing to do with you. I've got no beef with the Golden Dragon sect." Interruption over. Mukyang's gaze locks back onto the sect leader, unleashing another devastating strike that rips a scream from him, "ACK. You arrogant bastard." Mukyang doesn't let up, following through with a devastating, arcing strike, unleashing the severing blade of the moon. The sheer power of the blow sends the sect leader absolutely flying, his body spinning wildly through a storm of shattered fragments. A desperate ACK rips from his throat as he plummets, a mere streak against the swirling chaos. Plummeting deeper, a faint green aura surrounds him, his very existence now teetering on the brink. The Blood Eye sect leader screams in agony, his body still reeling from the brutal impact. Mukyang barely glances back, his voice dripping with ice, mocking the Blood Eye sect's pathetic power and their inability to protect their own. As the residual energy crackles, a voice gasps, wondering if that was the fabled sword decree. Elder Huangjae's jaw drops in disbelief, instantly recognizing Mukyang's overwhelming power, a force far beyond the Blood Eye sect leaders, and knows that resistance is utterly futile. Mukyang simply turns his back, dismissing Huangjae with a chilling, "Perhaps, leave." A cold gaze over his shoulder, and Mukyang dares the elder to fight, demanding to know why his sword remains sheathed. A stunned "Oh ho" escapes Huangjae, as he realizes Mukyang's strength rivals even the legendary Sword Emperor, leaving him no hope of victory. His face hardening, Huangjae prepares to deliver an urgent order. He shouts to Pongjin and the rest, a dire warning, never, under any circumstances, seek revenge against Mukyang. Elder Huangjae lays down the law to his crew, dropping a chilling reminder about what happens when you mess with the Divine Thunder's disciples. Then, facing Mukyang, he makes a desperate plea, putting his own life on the line to protect his people. His words hit hard, a raw, desperate plea for mercy. Mukyang's grip on his sword intensifies, a surge of blue power sparking as he gets ready to bounce. He glances down at the elder, thinking it's pointless to even bother with someone who won't put up a fight. In a flash, barely a blur, he slides his sword back into its sheath. Huang Jie is totally stunned, watching Muqiang just walk away and wondering if he's actually serious. Muqiang just turns and walks off, announcing his mission accomplished and his exit imminent, leaving Huang Jie to bow low, apologize for his whole sect, and let him go. One last, powerful stride, and Muqiang is gone, leaving the elder to just watch him disappear with a heavy, defeated sigh. The dust settles, and elder Huang Jie can only stare up as Muqiang looms, a chilling declaration echoing, "He'll depart if the elder's protection extends this far." With a dismissive turn, Muqiang strides away, a final, cutting remark confirming his offer was anything but amicable. Amidst the devastation, Huang Jie's mind races, did they actually make it out alive? Later, in a moment of heavy reflection, the elder grapples with the sheer weight of what just transpired. Turning to Peng Jin, he demands to know the full story of his encounter with Muqiang, but Peng Jin plays coy. A heavy sigh escapes him as he confesses, he'd just witnessed the fabled League of Invincibility firsthand, a sight he never thought possible. Peng Jin offers a grim nod, silently affirming the elder's shocking revelation about Muqiang's true strength. Under the watchful eye of the full moon, Muqiang ascends into the night, a legend in the making, soon to be hailed as the second martial god of Murim. Get ready for the northern continent, a place absolutely packed with mystery and danger, where only the strongest make it out alive. It's a brutal reality that shapes everything there. Where the law of the jungle is the only law. And he was forced to live by those exact rules. But now, with a steely resolve, he makes a powerful declaration. The time has come. Meanwhile, at some epic stronghold, the sect leader of the northern continent starts to introduce himself, but then bam. He's hit with a sudden, shocking realization. Muqiang, ever the stoic, ponders the brutal truth of the northern continent, a savage realm where only the mightiest endure. He's glad he wasn't born into that chaos, but secretly craves the danger of the coming trials. Far away, in a lavish hall, the Blood Eye sect leader reflects on the countless martial powerhouses, questioning his relentless pursuit of mastery. His unwavering focus has granted him immense knowledge, and he once thought the northern continent held divine secrets. With blue lightning sparking from his palm, he contemplates the sheer, untamed power needed to thrive in that savage realm. He rises, recognizing the northern continent as the ultimate proving ground where only the strong survive, and the weak are utterly consumed. A grimace touches his lips as he resigns himself, to the harsh reality that some things are simply unavoidable. Then, a candle flame dances wildly, and his composure shatters in an instant of pure disbelief. His disciples are counting on him, and any stain on his reputation would be an unforgivable insult to the Blood Eye sect. The Blood Eye sect leader, still processing the previous shocker, fiercely shuts down any talk of theft, declaring his honor is beyond question. Then, he offers a personal gift, but with a major catch: you can only visit from the inside. Even with the concern shown, he apologizes, unable to leave his sect or join his guest. Meanwhile, a new location unfolds, revealing the epic architecture of the Divine Earth sect of the Northern Heavens, a place absolutely dripping with power and history. Muqiang, now inside, gives a shout-out to Senior Yubek's genius, because learning Balhi is already paying off big time in this new land. Under the moon's gaze, he's eyeing a legendary collection of martial arts, supposedly written by the first master to hit the profound realm in the just faction. The Divine Earth sect, one of the 10 great sects of the Northern Heavens, is rumored to hold this exact collection, a treasure trove of insane knowledge. Feeling the hype, Muqiang knows this trip is gold, convinced he'll learn a ton, especially if he can snag the Divine Earth sect's martial arts. The Divine Earth sect, a legendary powerhouse, basks in the morning sun, its ancient roofs hinting at untold secrets. But inside, the sect leader, a figure of intense focus, cuts straight to the chase. Muqiang, you're here. Perfect. I've got a mission for you. The sect leader lays out the impossible challenge, his words echoing with desperation. Only you can master the Divine Earth sect's martial arts, but I'm too frail. With the elders locked away, you're my last shot. This isn't just any sect. The Divine Earth sect, a pillar of the Northern Heavens, holds the legendary martial arts of the first profound master. The sect leader, ever the strategist, adds, don't sweat it. I've already prepped the Divine Earth sect. Across the table, the weight of the mission settles between them. Frustrated, the sect leader throws his hands up. Forget it. Your hidden powers will handle this. Or are you saying you can't even come up with a decent name for me? But Muqiang, ever the pragmatist, pushes back. Seriously? No one better. What about Elder Hyuk Musang? The sect leader scoffs, shutting down the idea. Too old, not as good as you. Fail this, and the Divine Earth sect becomes a joke. A steely resolve hardens Muqiang's gaze as he accepts. Fine, I'm in. But I want every scrap of intel you have on the Divine Earth sect and their elders' martial arts. The Divine Earth sect, a bastion of power, stands in serene majesty, its ancient walls holding untold secrets. But Muqiang isn't here for sightseeing. He's already making moves, dispatching his elite for nobles to infiltrate the Tang and Golden Dragon sects for intel. A sly grin spreads across his face, the wheels of his mind already turning. A dismissive humph escapes him, finding the whole thing unbelievable, yet he quickly shrugs it off, deciding it's all good. With his subordinates out of the way, he's finally free to do as he pleases. He looks up at the vast sky, a mischievous thought forming, why not have some fun? The breathtaking vistas of the divine earth sect unfold, a playground waiting to be discovered. He takes to a secluded path, thinking, time to find a hidden gem. His eyes land on a mysterious building in the distance, and with a smirk, he's off to investigate. With his subordinates gone, he's finally alone, shedding his formal robes for something a little more low-key. He steps out, and bam! The market square explodes with life, a total sensory overload, way different from the stuffy halls he just ditched. His eyes scan the whole place, taking in all the daily chaos of the divine earth sect. Suddenly, an old man pops up, bowing super low, saying he's been waiting, and even cooked a meal. But Mukyang's not having it, asking why he even bothered, when there are literally tons of open spots around. The old man looks crushed, but Mukyang just brushes him off, reminding him he already told him to bounce. But before the old man's even out of sight, a hulking, muscular dude steps up, fuming, calling Mukyang out, demanding to know why he's waltzing around without a uniform like he owns the place. Mukyang just turns, cool as a cucumber, and asks the guy what he's gonna do if he just doesn't leave. The muscular man snarls, then explodes forward with a furious roar, telling Mukyang to get ready. His golden eyes blaze with a silent warning as he lays down the law. For future reference, he declares, his voice dripping with absolute authority, do not have hidden eyes watching my every move. A low growl escapes him. While a small group nearby just wants to eat their food in peace. He turns his back, ready to vanish. But then, a sudden shift. He snaps to attention, responding to an unseen presence, yes, ma'am. A heavy thud signals a group closing in. A guard steps up, throwing down the gauntlet about his clothes. You know the rules. Uniforms are mandatory. Before the words even sink in, the guard lunges, a cocky smirk on his face. But the attack is met with blinding speed. GS Chai-T, another guard yells, he's fast. Mukyang, now in a dominant position, stares down the stunned group. I really don't want to fight, but I guess I have no choice. He commands, all of you, come down. His eyes flash with a golden, irritated glow, the situation clearly testing his patience. Then, a fierce red-haired warrior steps out, knife in hand, her eyes burning with challenge, acknowledging his powerful aura. He coolly replies, calling her Mukyang. Mukyang, unfazed, threatens him for his casual talk, but he just asks if she's ready to throw down. No words needed, she lunges, knife flashing, promising his downfall if he dares to beg. But in a blur, he's already there, shutting down her attack with a brutal, lightning-fast counter, pinning her against the wall as her weapon drops uselessly. His golden eyes burn, holding her effortlessly, a smirk on his face as he dismisses her attack as mere pleasure play. Mukyang, utterly shocked, demands to know who he is, unable to comprehend his power, but he just calmly tells her he's a guest and warns her to move if she doesn't want to get hurt. Then, in a flash, he's gone, releasing her and disappearing before her eyes, leaving her utterly bewildered by his vanishing act. A startled cry rips through the air from the rooftops, signaling the protagonist's lightning-fast exit. Mukyang and her crew are left reeling, as a terrifying voice booms, threatening to shatter her meridians and throw her into a sea of demons if they even think about pursuing. Her stunned guards can only stammer, when did he even disappear? Then, a final, utterly disrespectful message hits Mukyang, a casual, thanks for the meal until next time, sending her into a furious rage. Screaming at her useless bastards to find him, Mukyang sends her subordinates scrambling across the rooftops, their frantic shouts filling the air as the hunt begins. Mukyang just stares up at the endless, star-dusted night sky, lost in a moment of intense thought. He's still trekking through the deep forest when suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence, demanding to know why he's so curious about her name. He finally spots Mukyang chilling by a small campfire, and out of nowhere, she just drops a bombshell, saying she likes him, leaving him absolutely stunned. She doubles down, totally confident that he's the one she's been looking for all along, her declaration hanging heavy in the air. Then, she casually points out how completely different he looks from his sister, and he's just left there, even more bewildered. But she quickly corrects herself, saying her last comment wasn't true, clarifying that she actually just looks down on his sister, not him personally. Then, with a surprisingly serious look, she confesses she's not even sure if she can actually fight him. She drops a bombshell, revealing the raw truth, he hates her, and the feeling is absolutely mutual. Even with that family connection, she doubles down, emphasizing that despite being siblings, their hatred is a two-way street. But then, with a frustrated sigh, she snaps back, demanding to know why he's even asking this after literally kidnapping her. He coolly drops his age, pointing out he hasn't had a sister for long, which just makes her fire back that she couldn't even imagine having a sister like him. He calls her out, reminding her she kidnapped him for her chores, and she actually admits it's because she likes him, but there's a massive but coming. She thinks he's the type who believes he can just do whatever he wants, and she's not about that life. He pushes for an answer, and she finally spills it. He's her first friend from another world, and she absolutely refuses to drag him into her sister's drama, especially not into a direct brawl. She admits she wanted to sway him, but she just can't force him, and after thinking it over, she realizes her sister and she aren't exactly irrelevant. She doubles down, she's not dragging her friend from another world into her sister's mess. If she faces him, she's basically facing her sister, and even though she can't stand her, she just can't bring herself to do it. She stammers, her words fading out. She presses on, urging him to demand compensation if that's the play, to keep everyone happy. But then, he drops a truth bomb. He's terrible at appeasing people. Mukyang, ever the pragmatist, reminds him he's a martial master, probably the strongest one around. He nods, taking it in, but quickly corrects her, he's just a martial artist, not a full-blown master. She lets out a weary sigh, then lays it out, since he's part of their crew, he's gotta pull his weight. She keeps going, emphasizing that a martial master like him needs to seize every single opportunity. He challenges her, asking if she really thinks he's just some martial artist. A flicker of concern crosses Mukyang's face as she confesses, she absolutely refuses to drag him into her family drama, especially with her sister. He gives a subtle nod, fully on board with her decision. Mukyang throws down the gauntlet, asking if she's ready to witness his martial arts prowess. Caught off guard, Mukyang can barely believe her ears. Is he really talking to her? Then, under the watchful eye of a full moon, they're transported to an epic bamboo forest. The air crackles with anticipation, as the bamboo stalks whisper around them. Mukyang reveals his secret, a gentle sword style, perfected for the most advanced dances. Then, in a flash of pure power, he unleashes the strength of the setting sun. His form is flawless, as he glides into the silent descent of the setting sun. After that mind-blowing display, Mukyang turns to him, eager for his take on the show. He lands the final pose, and Mukyang can only marvel at his absolutely refined swordsmanship. Mukyang scoped out the bamboo forest, feeling the vibe was just right. The ground was soft, the wind was chill, perfect for a legendary sword dance. Mukyang watched, her mind racing. This wasn't the willow sword dance she knew, someone had definitely messed with it. Her grandfather's wisdom hit her hard, real swordsmanship was about your own style, not just copying moves. Mukyang flashed a smirk, then dropped the bombshell. He was about to unleash the true, original version. He proclaimed it, this was the real willow sword dance, the ancient art itself. Then, with a blinding flash, he unleashed the strength of the setting sun, a whirlwind of pure power. Without missing a beat, he flowed into the silent descent of the setting sun, his blade carving deadly, silent paths. Mukyang's jaw dropped, completely blown away. How was this even possible? Mukyang's mind is blown. She's seeing the real deal, the master of the willow sword dance, but something's off, his moves are totally different from what she learned. Seriously, every single move he makes just hits different. Then, he turns to her, dropping the ultimate question, do you believe me now? He lays it all out, explaining he only gave her the basics, holding back the real, secret core of the willow sword dance. The real willow sword dance, he reveals, has insane reach, devastating power, and barely sips your ki. At first, she's like, just a kid with some moves, but deep down, she can't deny his technique is next level. So, she swallows her pride and begs, I'll do anything, just teach me. Mukyang stares her down, and then drops his terms for teaching her. His demand. Never, ever spill the beans about the real willow sword dance. She's all in, instantly agreeing to his terms. Mukyang's cool with it, tells her, good, let's roll, and Mukyang's immediately like, wait, where are we even going? Mukyang confronts him about the Doga Ryu, a major problem in Jiangsu, convinced he's the Murim Alliance's secret weapon. He coolly confirms his involvement, hinting at a deeper connection to the Alliance's mission. But he throws the question back at her, challenging her assumptions about his role. She's adamant, declaring him the only one capable of handling the Doga Ryu crisis. With a cryptic smirk, he tells her their current task is just the beginning, promising an epic twist. Their journey culminates as the imposing silhouette of a massive building looms before them. Mukyang's eyes widen in shock, the realization of their true destination hitting her hard. She initially balks, remembering their Murim Alliance ties, but then a sudden understanding dawns on her, a spark of excitement in her eyes. He fixes her with an intense gaze, his silent question hanging in the air, are you ready for this? He arrives, a silent shadow, at the Doga Ryu headquarters, a lone greeting cutting through the night. A guard greets him, acknowledging his long journey, but Mukyang cuts straight to the chase, declaring his intent. He's here to confront them about the Doga Ryu's entanglement with the Murim Alliance, a bold statement that immediately sets the tone. The guard, recognizing the gravity of the situation, promptly ushers them in. The imposing Dogu Ryu fortress looms under the moon, a silent testament to its power. Once inside, a female attendant can barely hide her shock, having anticipated a mere visitor, not a powerhouse like Mukyang. Noting Mukyang's lack of detailed knowledge, Mukyang directly probes their willingness to strike a deal. The attendant quickly assents, but only if their goals align perfectly. Mukyang, clearly captivated by the unfolding events, can't help but ask what Mukyang's true endgame is here. The heavens themselves wept, a torrential downpour hammering against the ancient Dogu Ryu stronghold, and in the midst of it all, a chilling thought cut through the storm. If that happens, Mukyang's voice, sharp as a blade, sliced through the silence, I'll unleash the severing demon core and wipe every last one of you off the map. But inside, Mukyang is not having it. His face is a mask of fury as he lays down the law, demanding to know who's been spying on him and why, making it clear he's beyond annoyed by their constant, hidden gaze. He doubles down, stating that it's in everyone's best interest if these shadowy watchers back off, because he knows they're out there, and he's just not a fan of being watched. Mukyang, sitting opposite him, cuts to the chase, asking if he really thinks the infamous shadow force is the best way to get his answers. A dangerous smirk spreads across Mukyang's face as he declares, he's not just going to ask, he's going to make them talk, and it's going to be a very good talk. Mukyang's eyes go wide, a clear sign of shock or worry as she lets out a small gasp, realizing just how serious his intentions are. But Mukyang isn't backing down. She fires back, threatening to broadcast every single detail of their negotiation to the entire world, making sure everyone sees it, and then throws down the gauntlet. Do you really think you can pull that off? Mukyang knows they're being watched, and she's not afraid to call it out, scoffing at the hidden eyes. She declares herself the boss of this negotiation, warning everyone that if she doesn't get her way, things are gonna get bloody. Her voice carries over the ancient architecture, adding with a humph that she's too good for dirty work, but fine, she'll set up the meeting if they're desperate enough. The imposing building looms. Guards stand ready at the entrance, as Mukyang's voice cuts through, confirming the watchers are inside, and everyone better hand over their weapons before stepping foot in there. Facing her crew, she challenges anyone to mess with her negotiation, and her loyal guards immediately snap to attention, confirming her absolute command. Then, a hand reaches out, fingers ready. And Mukyang's jaw drops as Mukyang appears right in front of her, a casual "oh." What a surprise, escaping his lips. Her cool facade crumbles, and all she can manage is a shocked stammer, utterly floored by his sudden appearance. She lets out a furious gasp, her eyes practically popping out of her head in pure shock and rage. But Mukyang is already over a fallen foe, coolly declaring that resistance is pointless, because they were just too weak and shouldn't have interfered, promising them eternal rest. Then, with a chilling smirk, he locks eyes with Mukyang, telling her not to sweat it, because watching her flail around is just too painful. While Mukyang silently begs for forgiveness, a blinding blue energy starts to erupt from Mukyang's hands, pulsating with raw power. The energy explodes, swirling around his hands with an intense hum, a terrifying showcase of his absolute dominance. Mukyang and her subordinate are absolutely horrified, grasping the full weight of what he's done, as she frantically asks if he just sent someone to their doom, pleading with him to stop. Completely distraught, she clasps her hands, desperately reminding him they're here to negotiate and make peace, begging him for just one chance. With a sly smile, Mukyang takes her hand, agreeing to her terms and calling her Emperor's Lord, then smoothly promises to apologize for his rudeness and actually listen to her demands. His face stays perfectly calm, that faint blue energy still humming around him, as he just drops one word, fine. These nomadic tribes? They're homeless, which means they fight with absolutely nothing to lose, making them a terrifying force. Good thing we've got the Golden Sword Force and the demonic cult on our side, even if things are looking a little rough right now. Mukyang, from the Great Twins family, just drops his name, coolly admitting they're in a tight spot. Mukyang, the Moon Sword's granddaughter, lays out her whole story. She was sent to negotiate with the nomads, but now she's stuck dealing with the Golden Sword Force and the demonic cult right here in Guangdong. She tries to push for a new deal, but Mukyang just stares her down, completely unconcerned about the tribes. He gives her a chilling ultimatum, agree now, or he'll just kill her and take the agreement by force. Mukyang, looking totally freaked out, reminds him that only the Golden Sword Force and the demonic cult can actually stop these nomads. She fires back, warning him that if he kills her, he'll turn both those massive factions against him. She snaps back, asking if he seriously thinks she'd just let him wipe out her and her whole crew without a fight. He just shrugs it off, saying that's not gonna happen, and yeah, they'll definitely make a deal. Someone off-screen pipes up, asking what if they just don't want to pay him, and Mukyang just shuts it down, saying if that's the case, they're done talking. So, can they actually beat the nomadic tribes without the Golden Sword Force and the demonic cult? They're barely holding them off now, and if the big factions start fighting each other, they'll lose tons of people, especially since the nomads just got some surprise backup. The elder's brow furrows, a clear "are you sure about this?" hanging in the air, but the younger one just shrugs it off with a casual "why not?" Suddenly, Mukyang drops the bombshell, Vice Leader Mukyang is here, and he's come to the demonic core. A visceral, quagic sound punctuates the air as the elder's face contorts, a storm of worry brewing in his eyes. He presses again, "Are you really sure about this?" his gaze demanding the younger one to just calm down. Mukyang scoffs at the idea of an empty threat, declaring, "It's not, because the demonic core isn't just any group, they're the world's strongest, the only ones who can stand against the Golden Sword Force." The elder's face twists into a mask of fury, his rage practically radiating off the page. Mukyang keeps pushing, questioning their perceived dominance, pointing out that even the demonic core is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one of the 5 great families and 3 other factions. Then she drops the real bomb. Unlike the Golden Sword Force, the demonic core has zero reason to protect those leading martial arts families. A sly smirk plays on Mukyang's lips as she delivers the ultimate mic drop, a chilling, I'm not really me. She lays down the law, revealing the demonic cult's ironclad rule, no hiding your presence, especially from leaders within 10 meters. But a hand clenches, the tension ratcheting up. Yet, she drops a bombshell, she's the only one exempt from that rule. And the leader, stone-faced, fires back, revealing her exemption is because she literally can't hide her presence. But as the verbal sparring intensifies, Mukyang's eyes ignite with a fierce glow, his hand already reaching for his sword's hilt. His grip tightens, the glow in his eyes blazing as he locks onto the leader. Then, with a chilling scrape, he draws his sword, laying down an ultimatum, reconcile or face death. The leader's jaw drops, the weight of the moment hitting him, while Mukyang just watches, a silent observer to the brewing storm. Finally, she cuts through the tension, shrugging off the leader's jab about her not being a real demonic cult member, declaring such labels meaningless to them. His face contorts in a tense grimace, a low growl escaping him as he reacts to an unseen force. But Mukyang, cool as ice, lays out her terms for peace, offering to hand back the martial arts alliance throne and even throw in extra compensation. She lays down the law, accept, or face the wrath of the entire Murim, calling her terms more than fair, then twists the knife, asking if he can even go back to the demonic cult. Her challenging gaze never wavers. But then, his eyes ignite with a furious golden glow, her voice still ringing in his ears, taunting him about protecting everyone if the Tang family rejects her deal. Sword drawn, a faint, menacing aura now swirling around him, he stands his ground. His glowing eyes lock onto her, a chilling declaration escaping his lips, she shouldn't have said that, and now he'll make sure she can't go back to the demonic cult either. Mukyang's eyes widen in surprise, demanding to know if he's really going to fight the entire Murim just to kill her, the gravity of the situation finally dawning on her. But his eyes burn with an unyielding resolve, a chilling promise on his lips, she'll have to succeed, because from this moment, he'll kill anyone who stands in his path, even her. Mukyang, with a sly smirk, delivers a final, cutting remark about the kindness she's received. Casually suggesting that in another life, they could have been the best of friends. A stern-faced companion nods in agreement, confirming that sentiment. But Mukyang's smile vanishes, her tone turning sharp as she declares she's not one for games or being teased, hinting at a deeper animosity. Her loyal guards stand firm, their expressions resolute as they affirm their respect for Vice Leader Mukyang's choice, ready for whatever comes next. Without warning, a devastating, invisible blast rips through the air, smashing into Mukyang and her allies, throwing them back with brutal force. She's sent flying, the sheer power of the attack distorting her form, a helpless victim to the unseen assault. Then, with a blinding flash, Mukyang's blade erupts from its sheath, a chilling declaration of his intent, ready to cut down all who stand in his way. Mukyang and her allies are utterly crushed, gasping in agony as Mukyang's terrifying aura washes over them, their resistance crumbling under his raw power. His eyes blaze with electric blue power, a suffocating aura erupting around him as he locks onto his target, a chilling, hanging in the air. Before he unleashes his ultimate challenge, demanding, "Let's hear your answer." Mukyang's eyes ignite with a subtle glow as he starts, a single, loaded word hanging in the air. He presses, "Let's hear your answer." The elder, composed and traditional, delivers his answer, confirming their promise to stay away from the Moonlight sect, revealing the great Tang family's decision. Mukyang absorbs the news, a low, "I see," escaping him as he processes the implications. The elder concludes, emphasizing the wisdom of their decision, which averted unnecessary bloodshed. Mukyang's arm tenses, a silent reflection of his thoughts on the peaceful resolution. A young woman lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding, her blade now sheathed, the tension finally broken. But he's already moving, turning his back on the scene, a chilling declaration echoing, "Glad I didn't have to end you." She can only laugh, a genuine, relieved sound, "Tell me about it." His presence fades, leaving only the imprint of his powerful stride. Suddenly, a jolt of recognition hits an older man and Mukyang, their eyes wide with disbelief, that voice. Why is he here, now? Meanwhile, the formidable Oak Chunghan, leader of the Murim alliance, observes with a knowing smirk, Interesting. Mukyang, ever the enigma, continues his departure, a rare sentiment escaping him, glad I got to see you again, my friend. And then, a wave of respect washes over the scene as an entire assembly bows low, honoring Oak Chung-han, the undisputed leader of the Murim alliance. Every head is bowed, every fiber of their being acknowledging his supreme power. Mukyang can't believe it. The Murim alliance leader, involved in this? The older man next to her just watches, noticing her telltale pursed lips. The Murim alliance leader's power is like Mount Tai, an absolute, unshakable force. But the man himself, Oak Chung-han, is already on the move, looking intense. He reaches out a hand, a smooth greeting, revealing his granddaughter has been talking about this person. A subtle smile plays on his face, as he sizes up his new acquaintance. The long-haired man he's talking to, smiles back, a knowing glint in his gaze. But the pleasantries vanish as Oak Chung-han's face turns serious, demanding answers about the other's true intentions. A powerful blue-white aura explodes from him, as he boldly states their reasons for being there are identical. His raw energy surges, a massive, undeniable force erupting around him. Mukyang radiates a faint, almost imperceptible energy. A knowing smirk flashes across his face, a quiet key, hinting at his thoughts. But the red-bearded elder's gaze is fixed on him. The elder muses on Mukyang's incredible fortitude, having withstood Oak Chung-han's crushing power, recognizing the sheer potential he represents, even as Mukyang turns to leave. Mukyang contemplates the proposition, a flicker of interest in his eyes, yet a deeper conflict holds him captive. Suddenly, a blue-haired youth screams, his body racked with pain, grotesque red symbols searing his skin as a malevolent, shadowy entity with burning red eyes bursts forth from his core. With a steely resolve, Mukyang announces his departure. The ancient rooftop spread beneath him. As he vanishes into the distance. Inside a classic, ancient structure, a new day dawns, setting the stage for a pivotal encounter. A hand reaches out, a cup is raised, and the question hangs in the air, how's the drink? The elder, with his striking white hair, takes a sip and declares, this is the royal stuff, aged to perfection, a personal favorite. He samples the drink, a rare moment of appreciation, not bad, actually. Definitely beats tea any day. The elder leans in, his words carrying a subtle weight, just a few days ago, you were with the Murim alliance. Now, here you are, the young master of the dark cult, sharing drinks with me. They say you truly get to know someone over a cup, don't they? A pause, a change in his demeanor, and the elder's voice drops, but here's the real deal. Cutting to the chase, the elder's voice sharpens, there's one thing I've been dying to ask you. Mukyang, ever stoic, responds, spill it. Then, the bombshell drops, aimed squarely at the protagonist's intense gaze, so, tell me, how did your showdown with Oak Chung-han really go down? Seeing the silence, the elder quickly reassures him, relax, I don't need a play-by-play. Just curious about his final moments. Mukyang, however, is clearly processing the weight of the question. Even at the very end, this guy had zero regrets, living his life by his own rules, no matter what. Then, the older man drops a bombshell, asking Mukyang if he thinks his spiritual power even stacks up to that legend's. He keeps pushing, saying he'd only know for sure after a real fight, but that Mukyang and Oak Chung-han are definitely top-tier legends in the just faction. Then, with an intense stare, he hits Mukyang with the ultimate question. What does he think of the guy who could break Oak Chung-han's spiritual defenses but still couldn't finish him off? Mukyang's mind races, landing on the idea of a distraction of the mind, a split-second slip-up. His thoughts spiral, wondering how he'd take down someone like that, and what move he'd pull out next. He thinks about unleashing the divine technique, a secret move that slices through sword energy, but then, a sudden check, what about his own rule against killing? He's caught up in the perfect timing for that secret move, knowing these swirling thoughts are messing with his blade work. Back at the table, the older man watches Mukyang with a knowing smirk, thinking he never thought he'd hear such raw thoughts, especially from someone on his level, and he can't tell if Mukyang's just talking to himself or if he's actually reading his mind. The older man's voice cuts through the air, revealing that Mukyang's power only came from attuning his sword to his own will. But the sword's true power, its very will, remained dormant. Black energy crackles around chopsticks suspended over a cup, a silent demonstration of his words. He presses on, asserting that only by truly grasping the sword's desires, when their hearts beat as one, can its ultimate power be unleashed. Then, with an explosive whack, the cup explodes into a million pieces, the dark energy vanishing in a flash. The older man, a knowing smirk on his face, expresses his astonishment that Mukyang not only shattered the cup but possessed the power to do so. He then points out, his eyes scanning the scene, that the table itself was left perfectly pristine, utterly unscathed. Mukyang takes it all in, his face a mask. Before his mind explodes with a cocoon, questioning what absurdities the old man is even talking about. Turning his back, Mukyang's mind races back to his sacred commandment, convinced that once it's shattered, he'll wield enough power to achieve anything he wants, even beyond the grave. The older man watches Mukyang walk away, a silent judgment forming in his mind about the sheer audacity of the young warrior. He ponders the boundless arrogance, the audacity to look down on all, even as someone nearby frets about disrespecting elders. But the older man just waves it off, a chilling, "It's fine," escaping his lips. Mukyang, however, is already gone, his resolve hardened, knowing his path demands he must depart and confront the trials to come. He moves through a vibrant city, ancient buildings reaching for the heavens. Yet, the city's calm is ripped apart by a raw, explosive rage, a furious energy erupting from a figure with dark, tied-back hair. Her eyes, blazing with an infernal red, scream pure rage, as Mukyang's features twist into a mask of absolute, terrifying fury. She explodes into action, slamming an unseen foe to the ground with a brutal strike, their pained cry echoing through the street. A vicious kick connects, driving her attack home as the victim groans, utterly blindsided by the relentless assault. Towering over her downed adversary, Mukyang unleashes a furious challenge, her voice a roar, daring her opponent to stop hiding and fight. In the hallowed martial hall, Mukyang contemplates the sheer power of the heavenly demon's path, recognizing that even an outsider could ascend to its pinnacle. He vows to fight to the death, to prove his worth, while Mukyang, clutching a child, passionately tells Ok Chung-han that her sister is an absolute powerhouse, a true martial master. Ok Chung-han, ever calm, simply tells her not to sweat it. Mukyang, with a steely gaze, then vows to relay his commands through his sister, directing her every move with the very martial arts he personally forged. At his words, Mukyang's face falls, the child behind her, as the weight of a potentially brutal fight settles heavily upon her. Then, in an instant, her eyes ignite with a furious crimson glow, a raw, explosive power erupting from her as she snarls, challenging the very notion of using her weak sister against her. Her face twists into a mask of pure, unadulterated rage, a primal scream escaping her as she challenges anyone who dares to underestimate her. Engulfed in a maelstrom of crimson energy, she explodes forward, a glowing fist blazing the trail, her voice a thunderous roar as she promises Jung'un's utter defeat and demise. She rockets through the air, hair whipping wildly, her relentless assault continuing with a deadly sword now in her grasp, leaving a searing trail of crimson energy behind her. The crimson power churns violently around her and her weapon, her devastating attack absolutely unstoppable. Boom! A massive impact forces him to block, his sword flaring with white energy as he's caught off guard, a single thought screaming in his head, "I'm on the defense." Meanwhile, Mukyang watches from afar as his sister, Mukyang, absolutely goes off, tearing through enemies in a furious aerial ballet, a low, tsk, rumbling from him as he shouts, "Sister, are you okay?" amidst the carnage. But a sly smirk spreads across his face, his electric blue eyes glowing with anticipation, as he thinks, "What are you surprised about? This is only just the beginning." Mukyang is absolutely floored, her mind racing to comprehend the impossible. Frustration building, she screams, her attacks are completely useless. But Mukyang? He's chill, almost smug, and he's about to drop some serious knowledge. Her eyes go wide, the shocking truth hitting her like a truck, he's leveled up way past her, and fast. Mukyang, ever the teacher, calmly lays it out, master the 6th formation, and the 7th tactical technique is yours for the taking. This bombshell leaves Mukyang absolutely reeling, her face a canvas of shock and utter defeat. Legend has it, a dragon awakens when the moon bleeds red. With the fire of the crimson dragon technique blazing to life, Mukyang unleashed her fury. She lunged, a devastating claw of power tearing through the air, but he just met it effortlessly. A frustrated gasp ripped from her as her attack fizzled, the bitter truth sinking in, she should have known better. Her eyes flared with a mix of disbelief and pure rage, the gap in their power becoming terrifyingly clear. But then, in a blur of motion, he struck back. A devastating counter that shattered her crimson power. The impact sent her flying, a wave of pure shock hitting her as she realized he was getting stronger, faster, with every passing moment. Cool as ice, Mukyang stood his ground, correcting her with a chilling truth, this wasn't just growth, it was the raw power of Ryungin's chi. Then, the Murim alliance leader, Ok Chung-han, stepped in, his voice a command as he declared Mukyang had surpassed all expectations, urging him to push even further. A sharp tch escaped him, his blade now glowing with a menacing red aura. Mukyang drops like a meteor, a blazing crimson aura erupting around her as she unleashes a devastating aerial strike. Blindsided, Mukyang stumbles back, a shocked cry tearing from his throat as he frantically wonders what to do. Her assault unyielding, Mukyang surges ahead, raw red power crackling with every move. His eyes blazing with power, he grapples with the forbidden thought of drawing his blade, a primal scream tearing from his chest. Even amidst his turmoil, Mukyang parries the blow with a desperate arm, recognizing the lethal threat. Shock flashes across Mukyang's features, as she realizes her split-second pause was a fatal mistake. Spotting the gap, he readies himself to strike. Yet a brutal blow rips a gasp from him, his head violently snapping down. Mukyang seizes the moment, unleashing the potent scent of the white orchid with explosive ferocity. Mukyang's blade, absolutely blazing with a furious red glow, just rips through the air with devastating force. Her eyes wide with an almost terrifying focus as she absolutely unleashes the assault. And then, the powerful technique just connects with an absolutely explosive impact. Her glowing hand delivering yet another focused, energy-charged blow. Culminating in a massive, smoky explosion that just completely engulfs Mukyang. As the smoke finally clears, Mukyang looks down at the fallen figure, a hint of concern actually crossing her face. Gah! I went too far, she mutters, realizing she might have just overdone it. Nearby, Ok Chung-han watches the scene unfold, his expression a silent, worried testament to just how serious this situation has become. Mukyang's body, now completely limp and defeated, just tumbles through the air. He just keeps falling, a stark image of his overwhelming defeat, as Mukyang remains above, observing the outcome of her absolutely devastating strike. Staggering back to his feet, Mukyang lets out a soft, almost inaudible, "I'm sorry." But Mukyang's face tells a different story, a raw, emotional, "I'm sorry." Tearing from her, the victory feeling hollow. Ok Chung-han, ever the pragmatist, checks on Mukyang, then declares it's time to go, the show's over. A choked sound escapes Mukyang, her hand flying to her mouth, overwhelmed by the moment. But in the end, the harsh reality bites, only the final score counts, and she won. Mukyang, ever the stoic, bows to Ok Chung-han, accepts his defeat, and announces his swift departure. Ok Chung-han looks at Mukyang, admitting this wasn't the win they wanted, as she can only stammer a weak "ah, but." Under the fading sunset, Ok Chung-han gazes out, Mukyang still lost in thought beside him. He watches as Mukyang vanishes like a ghost, a blur of speed and finality. His mind racing, Ok Chung-han admits that even he, under normal conditions, would have been crushed by Mukyang's might. And get this, Mukyang was holding back, yet still cranked up his attack strength. Unbelievable power. But a dark realization hits him, this overwhelming power might just trap Mukyang, preventing him from ever truly living for himself. A heavy sigh escapes him, a genuine pity for Mukyang's fate. And just like that, Mukyang keeps moving, his dark hair a flowing banner of his exit. Dust clouds his path, as he disappears into the distance, leaving everything behind. Mukyang's gaze, a storm of feelings, tracks his every move. The crowd lingers, their faces a blend of shock and bewilderment at the sudden, strange conclusion. A scarred warrior, eyes burning with intensity, clenches his fist, lost in a moment of grim contemplation. Elsewhere, a sharp-eyed figure in dark robes ponders, scoffing at the idea of escaping the demonic cult, questioning if anyone ever truly bought into that lie. He realizes the truth, they weren't escaping, they chose to join, manipulating their new leader, Jang in geology, to seize the vice leader position within the cult's dark hierarchy. With a piercing stare, he confronts vice leader Mukyang, demanding if she grasps the catastrophic fallout of their actions. Because the cult didn't just dabble in darkness, they weaponized it, turning the undead into their personal army. Unleashing forbidden techniques that came with a horrifying cost, anyone who dared to learn them forfeited their soul, their very humanity. This dark path was carved by the demonic cult leader himself, Jang in geology, a monstrous powerhouse who'd conquered the spiritual realm and ranked among the Murim's absolute elite. His monstrous, clawed presence, a chilling testament to his power, radiated pure terror. The speaker's face hardens as he curses his own past, regretting ever letting his inner darkness embrace the demonic cult, a corruption that had already taken root and defined him. A chilling thought hangs in the air, a silent prayer that the recent chaos wouldn't escalate into something far worse. But inside, a commanding voice cuts through the tension, declaring, "I am Vice Leader Mukyang. Let him in." Then, Mukyang steps into the room, executing a flawless, respectful bow as he declares, "I show respect to the vice leader of the demonic cult." Mukyang's gaze sharpens, a flicker of recognition crossing her face as she coolly states, "Oh, so you're the one I've heard all about." With a subtle gesture of the cup in her hand, she presses on, "It's an honor to finally meet the martial master within the demonic cult." Mukyang's response is concise, a mere, "Greetings." Then, Mukyang shifts gears, commending his recent success, "Excellent work on your assignment, Mukyang. I was literally about to send a message with the Murim Alliance. Care to join us?" But Mukyang, already turning to depart, delivers a firm yet polite refusal, stating, "I'm deeply grateful for the invitation, but I don't think I'll be able to join you." A deep, resonant cough echoes through the chamber, as the imposing figure locks eyes with the Murim Alliance's leader. With a disdainful humph, he declares, "Just like you, I operate on my own terms. And let's be clear, you're not the only one capable of concealing your presence." His eyes blaze with an ominous, crimson glow as he delivers the final blow, "It's truly a shame, but your offer holds no interest for me." The Alliance leader's face contorts in disbelief, questioning the very possibility, but the enigmatic figure merely confirms, "No, it's absolutely possible." His mind expands to encompass the sprawling city below, a master plan meticulously unfolding as he calmly states, there's no need for such shock. Everything is proceeding exactly as I've orchestrated. Beneath the pale moonlight, gazing upon a distant pagoda, his thoughts turn to the prodigious martial artist. Even with all his exceptional talent, if he remains bound to his master, he's nothing more than a leashed dog. A hand grasps a glowing, intricately designed cup, as he unveils his singular strategy. There's only one definitive way to acquire such a formidable asset. A final, chilling smirk spreads across his face as he pronounces, "Aha! Farewell, Mukyang." Under the epic full moon, the mountain range was totally shrouded in shadows. While a lone figure was just casually strolling through the dense forest, his footsteps barely making a sound. Every step took him further into the wild. But little did he know, two shadowy figures in dark, wide-brimmed hats were totally spying on him from a hidden spot, one of them whispering, "So that's Mukyang." The other shadowy figure then proposed, "Let's just wait for him to leave, then we strike, right?" But before they could even finish their evil plan, Mukyang just instantly spun around, his eyes burning through the night as he straight up asked, "Why the heck are you guys even snooping around here?" Both observers totally flinched in shock, their surprise was just so obvious. One of them just totally stammered, "W8, when did he even get here?" Mukyang doesn't waste a second, launching a brutal, unseen attack that rips through the very atmosphere. Dark, explosive energy explodes from him, swallowing his first target in a blinding, violent flash. The cloaked figure is absolutely launched backward, screaming in pure shock as they're sent flying through the night sky. But before the first attacker can even touch down, a second hand, absolutely blazing with brilliant blue energy, slams into the scene. That blue energy smashes into the flying figure, blasting them even further away with a brutal, sharp impact. The sheer force carries them through the air, leaving a blazing trail of azure light in their wake. Finally, the first attacker absolutely obliterates a thick tree, leaving a massive crater in the trunk. He snaps his gaze to the remaining opponent, his voice cutting like a blade through the silence, demanding to know just who they think they are. With the first attacker down for the count, he just turns and walks away, his dark aura still pulsing as he exits the scene like a boss. He whips his head back, a chilling thought on his mind about the cowards who dared to follow him. But his eyes lock onto the defeated assailant, and a jolt of shock hits him. The stab wound he delivered is sealing itself shut, the man regenerating like some unholy abomination. A ghostly white energy swirls around the fallen figure, stitching him back together at an impossible speed. Mukyang's mind races, questioning why this guy, of all people, has such insane regeneration. The masked man writhes, a guttural groan escaping him, his body screaming in agony even as it heals. He lets out a raw, desperate scream, and Mukyang watches, a terrifying realization dawning, this is a power to absorb energy for total recovery. A dangerous grin spreads across his face, this bizarre ability isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. Staring down at his foe, he promises a torment beyond imagination, swearing to wring out every single painful fiber until nothing is left. Chaos erupts as guards scream, desperately trying to hold the line, knowing someone terrifying is about to break through. But it's too late. Mukyang is brutally launched through the air, crashing into the building with a scream of agony. Inside, a terrified man screams, the outer defenses are gone. Everyone's dead. Two more men, gripped by panic, realize the threat is almost upon them and they have to get out. Mukyang, battered but on her feet amidst the ruins, can barely process the sheer scale of the devastation. She collapses again, staring up at her tormentor, a furious question burning in her eyes. Her face twists in pure shock, the brutal reality of her defeat hitting her hard. Then, another massive impact sends dust everywhere, burying her in the chaos as she lies utterly defeated. Still reeling from the devastating assault, Mukyang lay amidst the rubble, her gaze falling upon the unconscious form of the gatekeeper nearby. A low voice echoed through the destruction, acknowledging the chaos he had wrought. Mukyang's eyes widened in surprise, a silent gasp escaping her lips as she processed the situation. He then addressed her directly, asking if she was unharmed. As he moved closer, his presence dominated the shattered space. Nearby, the heavy iron shackles lay broken, their chains snapped as if by immense, unseen force. Mukyang declared his intention to eliminate any remaining obstacles, his gaze firm and unwavering. Mukyang, now standing, questioned his methods, asking about the whereabouts of his weapons. He simply replied, implying he had no need for them against such foes. The battlefield is a graveyard, littered with empty husks. Every single one of them, completely drained of life. Mukyang, towering over the defeated Mukyang, makes a chilling declaration, he'll let her live for now, but anyone who dares to spy on him will be utterly annihilated. Mukyang's face twists with a mix of shock and defiance, absorbing his terrifying threat. Pushing herself up, Mukyang challenges him, pointing out his lack of weapons. His response is chillingly simple, he doesn't need them. A dawning realization hits Mukyang as he turns away, his casual dismissal of weapons speaking volumes. With a final, almost arrogant turn, he simply walks away from the carnage. But before he's gone, he throws one last, cryptic warning, be careful. Alone in the wreckage, Mukyang slowly rises, her hand already on her sword's hilt. Her eyes harden as she draws the blade, which immediately ignites with an otherworldly, vibrant glow. Deep within a lavish, ancient complex, a mysterious figure coolly pours a drink, a single word escaping their lips. The sprawling, ancient architecture looms under the cloak of night, a silent witness to the unfolding chaos. Peering through a circular window, the figure's voice drips with a chilling amusement, ha ha ha. Your sense of danger is impressive. I've been watching from the start, the only thing I did was give orders. With a casual flick of the wrist, pouring more liquid, he adds, honestly, I'm genuinely surprised at how quickly you managed to take down the two granddaughters of the Murim alliance. A fleeting thought of another, Hannah, she's probably scrambling right now too. But then, a sharp, almost panicked command cuts through the air, don't come any closer. Suddenly, Jang In-geology clutches his bare chest, a sharp, guttural cry tearing from his throat, ACKK. Even as he grunts in discomfort, a sinister smirk twists his features, a clear sign of his unyielding will. The heavy door slowly, ominously creaks open, revealing nothing but an inky black void. Jang In-geology's gaze sharpens, his smirk replaced by a chilling resolve as he states, I'm just right outside now that you've come. Crimson energy already sparking from his hand, he drops a chilling apology for crashing the party. But hey, some things just can't wait, even if it means a late-night visit. The old man, cool as ice across the table, just chills and asks, yo, Jang In-geology. What's the big deal? But Jang In-geology isn't here for pleasantries. Scroll in hand, he lays down the law, calling out the old man's betrayal and promising a reckoning for his crimes and deceit. That's how he cracked the case, exposing their twisted team-up and the abduction of the Murim Alliance's granddaughters. His hand ignites with furious red power, and he makes it crystal clear, he is not in a good mood. Dark power swirling around him, he delivers a final, bone-chilling goodbye. Then, a colossal blast of crimson energy explodes, tearing through everything. The sheer power snuffs out the candles, and his maniacal laugh fills the now darkened space. Jang In-geology's voice slices through the gloom, absolutely dripping with contempt as he calls out the man before him, declaring him utterly foolish. The older man's face twists into a furious, red-tinged snarl, daring to challenge him, practically spitting out the question of whether he really knows the truth. With his dark hair pulled back tight, he holds his ground, absolutely refusing to yield. But Jang In-geology's patience shatters, his hand erupting with a sinister, blood-red glow as he roars, bloodlust. He lunges, a terrifying blur, striking with impossible speed. The attack lands with brutal, bone-jarring force, sending shockwaves ripping through the very air. A young woman with striking purple hair watches, her eyes blown wide with pure shock and alarm, as the older man gets absolutely rocked by the hit. His face, once defiant, now contorts in a mask of pure surprise and agony, the pain etched deep into his features. But before Jang In-geology can finish him, the young woman explodes into action, deflecting his attack with a lightning-fast, protective move, shielding the older man from certain doom. The room is trashed, bullet holes everywhere, and the city skyline just looms outside. And then you see these dark, nasty splatters on another wall, total proof that something went down hard. But through all that chaos, Mukyang is holding up a seriously hurt Oh Ryung-hae, and she can barely even get his name out, it's just a faint whisper. Mukyang's face is just pure agony and frustration, his brow totally creased. Blood on her lips, Oh Ryung-hae gazes up at him, begging for forgiveness, her eyes just screaming sadness. She admits she went against her master's orders, and you can just feel the massive weight of that decision crushing her. Mukyang, now bleeding from his own mouth, can only manage a quiet, hurting thought, just one word of hope barely making it out. His hand clenches on her shoulder, a powerful, silent promise in the middle of their mess. Oh Ryung-hae is absolutely crushed, her voice shaking as she desperately pleads, the unworthiness you've shown me, trust me. Tears streaming down her face, she chokes out, I'm sorry for not protecting them back, in this manner. Overwhelmed by guilt, she barely manages to gasp, I'm so sorry. A silent plea for Mukyang. Then, a sudden, explosive kwang rips through the silence, shattering the moment and hinting at an unseen force. But Mukyang, ever stoic, stays by her side, a silent, unwavering force in the chaos. Suddenly, a terrifying vision. Mukyang, but not as we know him, his eyes blazing red, a primal roar tearing from his throat as he unleashes his true power. His focus becomes absolute, a terrifying pinpoint of rage, veins bulging around his supercharged, glowing red eye. Then, a lightning-fast, devastating strike. He unleashes his sword, a crimson blur of pure destruction. The blow connects with explosive force, a bone-shattering pyok as his attack lands. A dark, unsettling liquid splatters across the floor, the sound cutting through the silence. He's still hunched, defeated, his body slumped as if all his power has been ripped away. Then, a mocking voice cuts through the air, taunting him, reveling in his pathetic condition. Her expression shifts, a cold warning in her tone as she explains, it's just her grandfather's orders, so don't hate her yet. She stands over him, a towering figure of cold indifference, her presence a stark reminder of his current weakness. He glares up, a surge of disbelief and anger running through him, he can't believe she's this petty. But even in pain, a fierce resolve ignites in his eyes as he plans his next move, he'll contact the Murim alliance, no matter what. Her eyes narrow, a smirk playing on her lips as she declares, he might actually be useful, then sharply orders him to listen up. He faces a powerful presence, head bowed as a scathing indictment echoes, this is all your fault. Jang In-geology's face twists into a furious snarl, his eyes blazing with an intense, crimson light. He presses on, laying into the younger man, you've always been like this, never satisfied, never caring for your owner. Remember, this is My blade, it can't harm its master. The demonic cult leader shuts down any excuses, if there was anything to be done, you'd have done it already. Standing dominant and powerful, Jang In-geology flexes his authority over the humbled Mukyang. His voice dripping with pure disdain, this is what your arrogance gets you. With one last, searing glare, Jang In-geology hammers home that Mukyang has only himself to blame. He then turns to the assembled masses, no one here will rise as a new leader within the demonic cult. Mukyang, a whirlwind of dark power, just absolutely shredded his foes, leaving them scattered. But then, he drops to a knee. Jang In-geology and Mukyang step up, and she's clearly stunned by what she just saw. Jang In-geology, ever the boss, gives him a nod, admitting he's done well up to this point. Mukyang, though. She's absolutely fuming, wishing she could be the one to finish him off. And just like that, she snaps. A shadowy hand shoots out, aiming for the kneeling Mukyang. But whoa, Jang In-geology is faster. His hand, crackling with dark energy, snatches her arm, yelling her name to stop her. Her face twists into a terrifying mask of pure, unfiltered fury. But he's not letting go, holding her back with an iron grip. With a frustrated grunt, she finally rips her arm away, still burning with hatred. Mukyang's fury was still boiling, but Mukyang was already a dark streak, obliterating the space between them in an instant. Ok Chung-han, watching from afar, was absolutely livid, a purple glow of pure rage radiating from his body as he saw the attack unfold. Mukyang didn't even have time to blink before a devastating purple blast slammed into her, sending her flying with an explosive kwang. Even Jang In-geology was caught off guard, his face twisting in pure frustration, a guttural shit ripping from him as he watched the chaos erupt. Mukyang hit the deck hard, skidding across the shattered ground, completely out of the fight. Mukyang wasn't stopping, not for a second, a terrifying storm of dark energy swirling around him as he pressed his advantage. His eyes blazed with an infernal light, as he roared, so this is how you're going to. Then, out of nowhere, a hulking warrior with fiery red hair exploded in a fit of rage, his roar shaking the very foundations of the arena. He gripped his blade, knuckles white, ready to jump into the fray, snarling, he's still. The red-haired warrior is about to make his move, but then Jang In-geology goes full beast mode. His eyes blaze red, dark energy erupting around him. Ok Chung-han is stunned, wondering how Mukyang is still pulling off his chi moves after all that. Then, with a primal scream, he unleashes the insane demonic arts of the undying blood, a shadowy storm exploding from him. Blue lightning rips around his legs as the dark aura goes wild, his power skyrocketing to insane levels. Ok Chung-han sees this insane power-up and is seriously worried, knowing they're trapped and can't go all out in a group battle, but he swears the demonic cult is going down. Someone screams Mukyang's name, totally freaking out. Jang In-geology's eyes are practically on fire, and he roars out a terrifying order to kill. His body twists into a grotesque, shadowy monster, a terrifying display of his demonic might. Furious at the rising danger, Ok Chung-han's eyes blaze with a fierce blue glow, as he screams a defiant promise to wipe them all out. Meanwhile, the epic ancient gate of a massive structure just stands there, watching the chaos unfold. Boom! A cataclysmic burst of dark energy rips through the area, obliterating everything in its path. The sheer force of it just keeps going, a devastating splash of pure, unadulterated power. And as the chaos settles, a terrifying silhouette steps out of the smoke, radiating pure menace. He slams down with bone-shattering force, dark energy exploding around his every step. With his eyes burning with an unholy white glow, Jang In-geology unleashes a devastating, multi-hit combo on everyone in his path. He lets out a primal roar, the raw power surging through him almost too much to contain. Boom! Another earth-shattering impact, as his dark power absolutely shreds the environment. He's a whirlwind of destruction, a dark blur, taking down multiple enemies in one insane, unstoppable combo. One poor soul gets absolutely rocked, crashing to the ground with a desperate, enraged scream. Mukyang unleashes a devastating, focus strike, a crimson energy exploding around his extended arm. He follows through with a sweeping motion, a sword-like energy effect blazing from his hand. But suddenly, an unseen force binds him, his body locking up as he lets out a shocked grunt, completely paralyzed. A chilling realization dawns on him, a dark aura beginning to swirl around his form as he desperately struggles, the imposing figure of Jang in geology looming in the distance. The demonic cult leader's eyes blaze with malevolent red light, his dark power radiating outward with terrifying intensity. Mukyang's hand clenches, the red energy around it intensifying as he finally grasps the terrifying truth, Jang in geology is binding him. A guttural cry of defiance escapes him, his own dark aura flaring violently in a desperate struggle. The struggle culminates in a massive explosion of light and energy, debris scattering violently in all directions. The red-haired warrior, witnessing the devastating impact, lets out a furious, earth-shattering roar. Caught in the heart of the explosion, Mukyang struggles against the unseen force still binding him, a pained grunt escaping his lips. His face contorted in a grimace, he curses the predicament, sweat beading on his brow. This is bad. He desperately needs to escape the area, but the binding holds him fast, leaving him questioning his next move. What now? Suddenly, a cloud of smoke erupts, obscuring the battlefield and catching Jang in geology completely off guard. A smoke bomb. His glowing red eyes narrow in confusion, as the demonic cult leader tries to discern the unexpected development. What is this? Despite the diversion, Mukyang realizes the escape is futile, the binding still too strong. He needs to get out of this perilous situation, now. With renewed determination, he moves swiftly through the swirling smoke, seeking an opening. He's not giving up. A devastating force plummets, engulfed in a maelstrom of white energy. Elsewhere, a red-haired warrior and his ally are in a panic, demanding to know why Mukyang isn't at the demonic barrier already. Mukyang stares down at the chaos, a single question burning in his mind. He explodes with a torrent of raw purple energy, screaming for them to stop holding back. But the demonic cult leader, Jang in geology, just smirks, confident they won't escape. Mukyang's gaze locks onto the demonic barrier, a chilling realization dawning, someone else was holding back the cult, not him. He unleashes another furious burst of purple energy, raging that they shouldn't have left. But Jang in geology is already giving the order, spread out and chase after them. A lightning-fast slash rips through the very fabric of reality. While Mukyang is a whirlwind of motion, tearing through the chaos with impossible speed. No time to waste, he mentally declares, demanding immediate answers. Explanations can wait, but the truth of this situation cannot. Han Jun-gil, a grizzled elder, reveals the shocking truth, cults are using his family as bait to lure Mukyang. Mukyang's eyes narrow, a chilling question escaping his lips, are these cults truly strong enough to take down Han Jun-gil? Without a moment's hesitation, Mukyang unleashes a devastating strike, dropping Han Jun-gil in an instant. The elder is out cold, and Mukyang wastes no time, slinging him over his shoulder and preparing for the next move. Out of nowhere, a devastating blow connects, and he lets out a guttural cry. Then, a massive explosion of energy detonates, ripping through the air and sending everything flying. He's launched into the sky, a shocked yelp echoing as he's sent spiraling down. But the attacker, Ok Chung-han, stands unfazed, radiating a cool blue energy, and he's already trash-talking, calling out the unforgivable lack of technique from his foe. Struggling to recover, he finally sees his attacker clearly, and it's none other than the legendary leader of the Murim alliance, Ok Chung-han. He lets out another pained grunt, the gravity of the situation hitting him hard, he's in deep trouble. His thoughts are a whirlwind, scrambling for any possible escape route. The rugged, unforgiving mountains loom, a stark reminder of the brutal environment. Sharp cliffs and twisted trees dominate the view, providing no easy escape or hiding spot. A shockwave of raw power distorts reality itself. Leaving his companion bewildered and sprawled on the ground, demanding to know how they ended up here, convinced they'd already made their escape. But then, Ok Chung-han, radiating a calm, powerful aura, simply dismisses any worry, revealing he personally ensured their pursuers were left far behind. Mukyang's face contorts in fury, the crushing realization hitting him, a month of desperate running and illusionary barriers, all for absolutely nothing. His companion, still reeling, screams in panic, shoving all the blame onto Mukyang for this impossible situation. Then, a disembodied voice booms through the swirling void, declaring this entire situation is simply a convergence of beliefs. Ethereal energy coalesces into ancient scales, a stark symbol of the cosmic balance at play. The voice continues, declaring itself a representative of two colossal factions, absolutely forbidding any harm to come to either side. Mukyang's rage explodes, his mind fixated on the horrific cost in innocent lives, screaming internally, why do the people always have to pay the price? Ok Chung-han's voice cuts through the tension, chillingly calm. While Mukyang's jaw tightens, his eyes igniting with pure rage at the name Ryungin, a guttural snarl tearing from his throat. The elder's footsteps resonate with chilling finality, as he lays bare his cold, calculated betrayal. He lays out the chilling details of how he twisted Mukyang's trust, orchestrating a devastating backstab. Suddenly, a torrent of raw, blue energy explodes from Mukyang, shattering the ground beneath his feet with a deafening crack. High above, silhouetted against the ominous sky, Ok Chung-han delivers his chilling ultimatum, a death sentence for Mukyang. Then, with a deadly, metallic hiss, his blade flashes out, radiating an eerie, blue glow. He coolly rationalizes his treachery, using Ryungin's allegiance to the Oak clan as his twisted justification. Mukyang's face twists into a horrifying mask of pure, unbridled fury, his eyes blazing with an infernal, vengeful light. Ryungin's name hits him like a shockwave, and he can barely process the sheer audacity of it all. And the more he thinks about it, the more unbelievable this whole situation becomes. It's just too wild to be true. Suddenly, a flashback hits him, a moment with the fiery-haired woman who casually dropped a bombshell. Seriously, when I snatched you, you were already in deep trouble. He remembers his initial reaction, thinking, wait, but everyone said nobody was even looking for you. But she just flashed a knowing smile and dropped the ultimate truth bomb, no worries. I'm Ok Chung-han's daughter, after all. Then, her face softened, a flicker of sadness in her gaze as she probed, doesn't that make you sad? He'd looked away, a quiet admission escaping him, yeah, obviously I'm upset. She began to speak, but hanging in the tense air. Before her face lit up again, a determined grin spreading across her features. Then I have. Oh, Ryung Hai's voice explodes, a desperate plea ripping through the air. Her family and friends are still trapped, and she's demanding answers. She's not holding back, adding a frustrated warning, at this pace, she'll be ancient before anyone even acknowledges her grind. Then, a sharp, disbelieving voice rips through the trees, demanding to know what the hell they just heard. Ok Chung-han, eyes blazing with an electric blue glow, lets out a primal roar of his own name, his power surging with raw, untamed fury. But Mukyang cuts him off, stepping in with a calm, yet powerful warning, his eyes faintly glowing, using that power now will only backfire, putting himself in even greater peril. Then, a jarring cut. Mukyang is suddenly reeling, clutching his chest in agony, a shocked gasp ripped from him as a brutal blow connects. Ok Chung-han, his face etched with grim regret, offers a heavy apology, calling Mukyang vice leader in a moment of raw respect. But Mukyang is far from defeated. His eyes ignite with a fierce golden glow, and he explodes into action, a dark, crushing aura erupting as he unleashes a devastating counterattack. He's a blur of dark energy, moving with blinding speed, unleashing a relentless, overwhelming assault. The counterattack hits like a freight train, blasting Ok Chung-han backward, his face a mask of pure shock as raw blue energy explodes around him. The sheer power of the blow rips through the air, creating a violent, vertical crack of pure force. Still getting rocked, he throws up an arm, but it's already too late. A desperate cry rips from his throat, begging the vice leader to just stay alive. Mukyang's strike lands with devastating force, a lightning-fast blur of pure impact. He lets out a raw, pained grunt, his face twisted in pure agony from the direct hit. Meanwhile, a grizzled old warrior with a sharp beard and an even sharper look starts to talk, his voice cutting through the tension. He keeps going, his face totally unreadable, like he's weighing the fate of the world. Then, with a cold, dismissive sneer, he finishes, as faint blue energy pulses behind him, a silent echo of the battle. In a final, explosive burst of power, Mukyang's leg whips upward, delivering a devastating strike. A guttural cry escapes him as he channels his full might, the sheer force of his attack resonating through the very air itself. The impact sends a shockwave of blue energy rippling outward, absolutely shattering the very ground beneath his opponent. Looking down at the sheer devastation, Mukyang's gaze is absolutely cold and unwavering. He questions the very notion of saving mana, his voice absolutely dripping with disdain for those who underestimate him, declaring he is no foolish child. Indeed, in this era, nearly everyone can manipulate mana, even if only a fragment of a legendary technique, but Mukyang believes there is no one left to save, nor anyone capable of saving what he intends to absolutely obliterate. The desolate landscape, littered with broken blades and crimson stains, serves as a chilling testament to his destructive power. He continues, accusing his opponent of taking advantage of lies, and reveals that the mana has already become his own. Under the night sky, his expression calm and resolute, he concludes that his opponent was indeed foolish. Gazing up at a blinding light, a raw, burning hatred ignites within him. This visceral hatred, aimed squarely at vice leader Mukyang, twists Ok Chung-han's features into a mask of pure terror. His desperate thoughts echo, a raw, primal plea for survival against this overwhelming force. An extreme close-up reveals Ok Chung-han's eye, dilated with primal fear, reflecting the unadulterated horror of the moment. Unmoved, Mukyang stands cloaked in swirling dark energy, calmly surveying the catastrophic aftermath of his unleashed power. Ok Chung-han plummets uncontrollably through the air, his body shattered and robes shredded, a desperate, silent prayer for survival still clinging to his lips. A guttural scream tears from his throat, chrysanthemum, as his uncontrolled descent accelerates. The ground rushes up with terrifying speed, a blur of impending, cataclysmic impact. Then, a colossal explosion of force erupts, as he finally slams into the earth with devastating power. A thunderous crash. He slams into the water with bone-jarring force. The sheer momentum of his fall dragging him down. A chaotic maelstrom of bubbles and debris engulfing him as he plummets into the abyss. His eyes, wide with shock, stare blankly into the murky depths. His consciousness fading as a desperate, final gasp sends a stream of bubbles racing towards the surface. Total darkness consumed everything, an endless, crushing void that just kept going. But through this absolute blackness, Mukyang was just drifting, an unconscious form sinking deeper into the icy, dark waters. His body just hanging there, endlessly falling. But then, a faint, ethereal glow started shining from below, a literal beacon in the crushing dark. And just like that, as if pulled by some invisible power, he started to rise, shooting upwards towards the blinding light. His body bursting through the water's surface in a torrent of bubbles. He burst out into the light, his dark robes dramatically billowing around him, with two massive, glowing orbs flanking his epic rise. Then, a final, mind-blowing flash of pure energy exploded, blasting the entire scene with brilliant white light. After that insane flash, we're hit with a super calm, endless sky, signaling a whole new chapter. Then, boom. A massive, bustling traditional complex appears below, totally different from that dark abyss. Inside, sunlight just streams through a fancy window, lighting up this super elegant room. Then we see him. Mukyang, bandaged up and looking seriously injured, out cold in a deep sleep. Close by, two hands connect, one passing a tiny, super important file to the other, a clear sign of healing and care. An older guy with a gray beard mutters thoughtfully, Here's the elixir, sir. This is Physician Lee Suryang, a total healing master, now fully focused on getting the young master back on his feet. The one receiving it, General Jin Chongpeng, thanks the physician sincerely, thank you, physician. Seriously, without your help, the young master would have been in huge trouble. The physician, deep in thought, can't shake the feeling about the old man. Is he really not Elder Ok Chung Han of the Murim Alliance, he ponders, admitting he'd never seen him before and just assumed he was one of the elders. The general, taken aback, can't believe this is the physician's first time seeing him. Strange, he mutters, as the physician reiterates his initial assumption that the man was just another elder. Then, a crimson glowing device flares to life, a voice crackling through, announcing its presence and grumbling about being a damn plague. Lee Suryang's gaze falls on the glowing artifact, instantly sensing its immense power just by looking at it. He repeats his earlier sentiment, emphasizing his initial misjudgment of the man's position. But Jin Chongpeng drops a bombshell, revealing the man wasn't just any elder, but the elder of the Murim Alliance, Ok Chung Han himself, a capital criminal and a traitor. Lee Suryang, still processing the revelation, muses that regardless of his treachery, Ok Chung Han effortlessly crushed the fourth glimpse. Elsewhere, Mukyang remains utterly broken in his bed, his entire internal system shattered, his martial arts career irrevocably ended. Jin Chongpeng, with a decisive turn, orders Mukyang's devastating secret to be kept under wraps, no one must know he's lost his martial arts, then departs. Physician Lee Suryang is still on the case, trying to dig up any info on who this guy really is. The sun shines bright. As the day unfolds over the Murim Alliance's epic buildings. The courtyard is alive with quiet energy. Mukyang is chilling, gently stroking a horse's head. His hand moving soothingly through its mane. He's just standing there, one eye bandaged, next to this majestic beast. A warm smile lights up his face as he shouts. And a young attendant giggles back, totally stoked. He's back, giving his thanks and revealing he's got a little something extra for them. And with a flourish, he pulls out this incredible, glowing lotus. Tada! He's beaming, explaining it's his absolute favorite, a stunning bloom from their very own garden. He just stares at it, captivated, muttering about its beauty and how amazing his master is for taking care of him. Next, he's with a young kid, pointing out some massive building in the distance. They're heading straight for it, a grand structure, with other people milling about in the background. Elsewhere, General Jin Chongpeng is talking to someone off-screen, confirming Mukyang's already recovered and is just wandering around. The general, cup in hand, is deep in thought about Mukyang's power, realizing if his mana is stronger than his own, there's no stopping him. He finally concludes, chin in hand, that the only option is to keep him from leaving, but even that would be a monumental challenge. Mukyang and Oh Ryung Hai taken the stunning blossom tree, but far away, General Jin Chongpeng is already connecting the dots, wondering if this flower's condition is tied to something far more significant. He pivots to Oh Ryung Hai, a simple question on his lips, hungry? As night falls, the grand structure looms, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. Inside, Jin Chongpeng confronts Ok Chung Han, his frustration boiling over, why are we still keeping Mukyang around? This guy gives me the creeps. His face darkens as he presses on, controlling him. It's going to be impossible. A spectral image of the general flickers, his mind racing as he mutters, "I've definitely seen this, somewhere." Ok Chung-han hangs on every word as the general's ghostly image reveals a terrifying truth. It's unbelievable, his mana and chi are literally resonating with the world itself. Back in reality, the general delivers his chilling verdict: if we can't control him, he'll become a global threat. His eyes are locked, a profound anxiety etched into every line of his face. He's still dropping truth bombs, warning that if they step in now that Mukyang's power is going wild, they'd better be ready for anything. But then, with a chilling calm, Mukyang reminds them he's also a martial artist, ready to put his skills to the ultimate test. Suddenly, a raw, untamed power explodes from him, as he charges up his next move. General Jin Chong-pung, feeling the sheer force, snaps into a battle-ready pose. Mukyang's eyes narrow, his determination absolute. Then, a blinding blue aura erupts from him, pulsing with untamed power. In a flash, he strikes, unleashing a devastating energy blade. The raw power of that strike leaves General Jin Chong-pung absolutely floored, his jaw practically on the ground. As the blue light fades, Mukyang stands tall, still radiating an insane amount of power. The raw power of the attack sends a jolt through General Jin Chong-pung, a guttural cry of disbelief tearing from his throat. Even the seasoned leader, Ok Chung-han, is left utterly stunned, his face a mask of pure astonishment. Barely keeping his footing, Jin Chong-pung practically falls backward, the sheer magnitude of the power threatening to overwhelm him. Shaking off the initial shock, Jin Chong-pung grumbles, realizing he'd just shown a rather undignified side of himself. But Ok Chung-han's gaze is still sharp, his concern palpable as he warns that Mukyang's untamed strength poses a serious threat to everyone in Murim. Jin Chong-pung presses for details, confirming if the youth had personally engaged them, and Ok Chung-han affirms it. The general's mind races, trying to grasp the true implications of the power he'd just seen. Mukyang stands there, a faint, ominous blue energy still swirling around him, as Jin Chong-pung's inner voice screams, "Is this guy even human? He's a monster."